Nianzhu and Songhai looked back and looked at Chu Che in disdain. Keep pretending, we'll soon expose your tricks. Chu Che couldn't be bothered by their attitudes and led them toward the crowd, but when they looked at the screens, they were dumbfounded. Why were there tiny people the size of their fingers running inside there? Could it be that this place specialized in shrinking people? Since all the computers were in use, they needed to wait their turn. But for some reason, they didn't feel bored at all. After Chu Che left them, they quickly gathered as much information as possible that Yumoyan was also in the group as well. Once again, he came late because he had chores to do at home. Nianzhu scrunched his brows vigilantly. Young man, how did those people get in there? Is this place doing something illegal? Illegal? Ru Moyan was flabbergasted and enraged. He looked like he was about to fight Chu Che's battle. What illegal? There's nothing illegal about this. That right there's an entirely different world. And from here, we get to go in and control what we call our characters as, oh, what's illegal about it? Hey, are you trying to get this hall into trouble? Nianzhu and Songhai were speechless by the youngster's momentum. Why did it seem like the kid was terrified about the thought of this place getting in trouble and never opening again? How could it be? They must be imagining things at AS for the matter about another world. They didn't fully believe it yet. Logic told them it was impossible that if their sect and other mighty sects couldn't find such a thing, how is it possible that a time town like this would have one? Ha ha ha, that was loony. Nonetheless, they were still very much impressed and wanted nothing more than to find the secrets of this strange box artifact. Nianzhu swallowed hard in a daze. So what are you doing there? We fight against some enemies and sometimes ourselves. And the best thing is that even if we die there, we are still alive out here. Nianzhu and Songhai opened their eyes and looked at each other in alarm. Did such a good thing actually exist? We want to go into these realms that we want to try. Ru Moyan looked at their exciting figures and tapped their shoulders like a proud wise sensei, leading his pupils towards the future. Nianzhu and Songhai looked at his actions and almost rolled their eyes at him. If this brat knew who they were, would he still act like this? The things they did for investigations at our Yu Moyan, who didn't know their thoughts, was still immersed in the role of a good teacher, showing his students the way. Come now. Entering the game world is very simple. I see that you're holding your membership cards, but you do have enough money in them, right? Yes, there should be enough to play for 3 days. Songhai replied. All right. Then all we have to do is wait our turn. Don't worry. You came fairly earlier than many did. Oh, you should be able to have a chance to play today. That if you had come later on, I wouldn't be able to guarantee this. Fortunately, Boss Chu added many more computers, making things go faster. Nianzhu and Songhai looked at Ru Moyan in confusion. Boss Chu. Yes, Boss Chu. Ru Moyan's eyes flickered in reverence once talking about Chu Che. Boss Chu is the figure I look up to the most. That he's the park owner, the owner of this gaming hall. Wait, park owner, park owner, park owner. Didn't that annoying brat who brought them over call himself the park owner? This youngster wouldn't be talking about him, right? No, it couldn't be. Umontak. Who is this park owner? Ru Moyan was taken aback. Why would you ask me such a question when I saw the park owner bring you over? Look over there. He's the park owner, a man whose strengths no one can guess. Nianzhu and Songhai looked at Chu Che again. But this time they tried to see through his strength. They realized that they couldn't F. What did this mean? They were both over 700 years old in the spirit Dao realm. How could a 16-year-old brat be stronger than them? This was too illogical, right? They looked at Chu Che as if looking at a ghost. Could it be that he started cultivating when he was a fetus to get to this level? No. Even doing that wouldn't be able to make him this strong. Genius, they looked at Chu Che with the same shock one might have when meeting an alien. Actually, at their level, they should be able to see through Chu Che's cultivation level. But Chu Che had always been wearing the artifact given by his mother, hiding his strength all the time. It was natural for Nianzhu and Songhai to feel that way. The duo chatted with their Moya more and more as time went by. They also got fully absorbed being audience members, watching everything and giving their own comments out of course. They felt like they would be able to take out these so-called enemies in a flash.as. Distinguished grand elders of the profound sect. How could they be words than these youngsters? They were so drawn into being audience members that they completely forgot why they were here in the first place. Gal had just finished playing Mortal Kombat and was about to wait for the others before leaving together. But when he got up, he saw 2 figures that he was very much used to, standing around the batch of new computers that he only saw their backs and felt that they looked all too familiar to IT. Wouldn't be Master, right? Gal's face turned pale as he slowly made his way over. How did he forget that they had invited Master over? Master, Grand Elder Songhai. Who? Both Nianzhu and Songhai, who were in a deep discussion with Ru Moyan, looked at Gal's face in embarrassment. They, too, had forgotten to look for these juniors, but very soon, their embarrassment turned to rage. So you still have the guts to show your faces at us after leaving us worried all this time? Gal felt very aggrieved. Why did he seem like they were enjoying themselves rather than being worried? Ru Moyan was shocked by the turn of events. He knew Bosu, Gal, and the rest came from the profound sect, and seeing the way Gal addressed them showed how powerful they were. Didn't this mean these 30-year-old-looking men were great people in the profound sect? Oh no. Did his breath smell? Were his hands clean? Remembering how he casually placed his hands on their shoulders, as if guiding them. Ru Moyan had cold sweat running down his back. F. They wouldn't be offended, right? Gal's head was still down as he listened to the disdainful comments from Nianzhu and Songhai. Well, to be honest, they weren't all that angry. If they hadn't come, they wouldn't have known that such a thing existed here. They looked at Nianzhu and didn't want to waste more time with him. Rather than looking at him, they were more focused on looking at the screen. All right. Thank you, Master, for your forgiveness. Yes. Whatever. Now, Ruimo, tell me more about the lightning god, Raiden. Yes, Ruimo tell you est, is he that strong? Gao, who both elders had brushed off, didn't know how to feel right now, but he was glad that he was off the hook. But why did it feel like he only got off because they didn't care? The perplexed Gao decided to stay beside his master and win his affection back that Yu Moyin, who had suffered after knowing the identities of the middle-aged-looking men, calmly relaxed again when talking about Mortal Kombat. Gao inserted himself in the conversation, making his master see him pleasing again. Indeed, this hall had a charm of its own, making people from all statuses come together. And soon, it was time for Ru Moyin, Nianzhu, and Songhai to play. Both elders looked at Gao proudly as if saying, just watch how we play with these villains who gave you a bad time looking at them. Gao had déjà vu, remembering his first time coming here. His master and elder Songhai should be able to take down the enemies without any setbacks, right? Gao nodded and felt that it should be the case. Who were they? They were distinguished elders of the profound sect. So how could they lose? Impossible. They had more experience and strength than everyone else here. So they would never lose. Gao stood by them proudly while watching their gameplay. After inserting their cards, they immediately saw two icons on the screen, God of War and Mortal Kombat. Now, they started to believe. The voice from the artifact made them almost leap in shock. Who said that? So, it is true. This was really a gateway to multiple realms, damn. How could such a puny place have this when their sect didn't? What was the real identity of the park owner? Looking at the icons before them, they started hesitating on which one to choose. They had agreed that they would both try Mortal Kombat first, but seeing how heroic the God of War icon was, they were very tempted. Well, it's a tough call to make, but let's just stick to Mortal Kombat for now, before entering the God of War realm. Songhai nodded in agreement. Old Nianzhu, let's do that then. With that, they selected Mortal Kombat and chose the Conquer Story Mode settings. Soon, they found themselves quickly losing consciousness. And in a blink of an eye, the scene around them changed degree. Nianzhu looked around him and was left in a daze. Words alone couldn't describe what he was feeling right now. While watching from an audience's point of view, they didn't get the whole experience. So for them to suddenly teleport and find themselves here in a blink of an eye made them speechless. Of course, without their permission, they got drifted into some story about the world they were in. Suddenly, the scene changed drastically, and they soon found themselves looking at a dark, creepy tower that had lightning falling on it. Why was the lightning only targeting the top of the building? Wait, could this be the home of the lightning god Ru Moyin mentioned? No way. Were they really going to see Elder Raiden? Durarum. The sound of thunder went off as countless reddish lightning streaks burst out from the sky and landed on the tower. Soon, they were taken to the top of the building, where they spotted a massive hole drilled from the bottom of the tower to the top. Was a hole there so that the lightning could get into the building? Durum. Several streaks of lightning passed by them, making them shiver in fright. How could it be that strong? They felt like if it struck them, they would turn into dust. And, as they slowly descended into the hole, the rich chi and pressure from Raiden's lair made them tremble like peasants looking at a god. Well, Raiden was a god, so it was normal for them to feel that way, that if such a person existed in the lower realm, he would be able to destroy the entire place with a flick of his wrist. Elder Raiden was mighty. DRMM. A deep spine-chilling cry echoed from within the building, making their hairs stand. And soon, they decided even further down the hole, only to find that the lightning that fell through the hole into the tower seemed to be directed at a certain prisoner. The prisoner wore a very eye-catching gold armor and was chained up with his hands apart. His face and body really looked bad, with countless injuries on them. Well, being struck by lightning so many times, who wouldn't look bad? They even felt it. It was already a miracle that the guy was alive. If it were them, one strike, and they would turn into powder. That's how strong they felt Raiden's lightning was. Could this guy be another god since he was still alive after all that? Soon, the prisoner coughed loudly before looking up, making Nianzhu and Songhai freeze. Did he notice them? What do they do now? The prisoner looked in their direction, revealing a set of all-white eyes with no pupils in them. Cough. You should thank me, Raiden. Our battle changed you, for the better. Seeing his cold eyes, Nianzhu and Songhai wanted to cry. Each of them, in their own computers, felt helpless. Senior, I'm not Senior Raiden, okay? What was the situation they found themselves in? Even when injured, the senior before them was too strong compared to them. His cold aura made them feel like a kitten standing against a lion. This is a setup, but just when the duo was about to cry, they soon saw another man in the room who looked overly heroic. The man stood in front of what looked like a port, wearing a large flat hat on his head, a strange bluish-black cultivator attire, and pieces of metal shields on his body. And when he looked up, his eyes shone with red lighting. So powerful. The duo felt like they were looking at a savior. Senior Raiden. Is that you? Senior Raiden. Is that you? When the duo saw Raiden, they almost went on their knees and worshiped. The chi around Raiden was so powerful that it made them feel choked. especially when he looked coldly at the prisoner, revealing sparks of reddish lightning in his eyes. His aura was too majestic, commanding the duo to feel like ants. And so, the story continued. Raiden looked at the chained-up prisoner coldly and shot several red streaks of lightning through his hands. The prisoner's body trembled in pain. "Ah! Be silent, Shinnok," Raiden exclaimed. And the duo instantly shut their mouths in fear, as if they were the ones he was talking to soon. The duo got too absorbed by the conversation between Senior Raiden and the villainous Shinnok. What truth about the Elder God is Shinnok talking about? And why did that truth seem to be against Earthrealm? Kill him, Senior Raiden. Deep within themselves, they found that they had some affection for this Earthrealm. They didn't know why, but they fully supported Senior Raiden, who was Earthrealm's protector. And as they kept watching, their entire hair stood put in terror. What did they just see? Raiden made a lightning sword before their very eyes that sliced off Shinnok's head. But he didn't die. Rather, his severed head was still alive. Damn, so this was what being a god was all about. What kind of power was this? Looking at the head, Raiden raised his hands in the air, commanding more lightning to strike it. Bam! Bam! Shinnok's entire head twitched in pain. I will deliver you to Louis Kong and your netherworld minions. You will serve as a warning and be an emblem of my wrath. With that, Raiden slowly walked away, as if bored to continue talking with Shinnok. Well, that should be the end of this scene, or so they thought, because the moment Raiden's aura disappeared, they felt another one, different from Shinnok's. Just then, the rain that fell into the building through the giant hole suddenly froze mid-air on its tracks, no rather than freezing. One could say that it was falling at a very slow pace. And moving amidst, it was a woman in white, whose body glowed with blue streaks of light that, to be honest, it was more like ice rather than light. Senior, who are you now? Her aura was also one that commanded their fear and attention. These people are too strong, they thought. Soon, the scene cut again without them. Even knowing who she was, but listening to her, they knew that she was definitely a villainous boss, maybe the boss of all boss villains here. Now, it seemed like the moment of truth had come, because within the next second, the duo got dragged to a scene where people called soldiers all stood in formation, dressed in funny attires. Watching the scene, they saw a man with a black item, shades, on his face, and a lady who was focused on commanding these soldiers, of course, because they watched from an audience's point of view earlier on. They had already known that the man was Senior Johnny Cage and the woman was Senior Sonya Blade. Soon, they found themselves in the body of a girl who happened to be called Sergeant Cassie Cage. Today seemed to be an important day for the young girl. For her to get promoted, she needed to kick her mother's ass. This should be easy. Instantly, their screen had several bars on it, as they could see their own health bar, as well as Sonya's health bar. Yup, they knew bits and pieces of this healthcare stuff from watching earlier on. Now, it was time for them to fight. Nianzu's eyes turned cold as he quickly rushed towards Sonya, planning to deliver a fierce punch at her. But Sonya, who seemed to have a mind of her own, moved like lightning, surprising and catching him unawares. She quickly ducked, avoiding the punch, and moved swiftly underneath his stretched hand before appearing behind him. The key thing to note was that while she moved, she grabbed his wrist, twisting it in a 90 degrees unnatural position, and placed his hand behind his back. In the meantime, her other hand wrapped itself around his throat, and she, who was behind him with a smile on her face, leaned back, making him struggle for air. Ha ha ha, Cass. You have a long way to go if you think you'd be able to take down your old woman with such weak tricks. At this point, Nianzu's hand behind his back was very numb, and his neck felt like it would soon disconnect from his head. Looking at his health bar, he realized it went down a bit from 100% to 97%, showing how brutal this woman's moves were. That was go down, damn it. Woman, aren't I your kid? Do you want to kill your daughter? What a brutal mom. As if sensing his dissatisfaction, Sonya delivered several other attacks, punching and kicking Nianzu brutally. Cass, this is tough love. If you think I'm going to let you defend Earthrealm with these measly skills of yours, then think again. Bam 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 pa bang crying face. Sonya bent down and delivered a low kick at the back of Nianzu's legs, almost crippling him. Nianzu opened his eyes in shock while staring at the slow-motion image of his bones cracking. The pain was damn too intense. He felt like he would never be able to walk again. He couldn't help gritting his teeth in rage while staring at Sonya. He was starting to doubt whether she was just doing her job or acting out to ensure that her daughter never went to war. This bloody woman wanted to cripple him. How? Could this be motherly love? Seeing Sonya's mysterious smile, Nianzu couldn't help shivering a bit. Someone should get this psycho out of his face. No more, no more, no more. Bam, 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 pa. Titi. Sonya didn't show any mercy at all. And during the fight, she grabbed him from behind again, turned him around, and allowed an oval-shaped flying artifact to attack him. Bang, 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 bang. Nianzu didn't know what happened, but he was sure that whatever was shot at him was painful as hell. Son of a BCH, his body trembled as he took on 3 bullets. But the most painful of all was the one that went through his skull. That moment, he saw a gruesome image of his skull cracking brutality. His breathing grew heavy, and his body trembled in agony. Even when fighting enemies on the lower realm, he had never felt this bad. Well, maybe because he had never had anything stab his skull pricing through his brain. Such a move would kill anyone. Pain, 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 pain. There was no way he would believe that this woman was doing it for his good. Are they really related? Nianzu was unconvinced. He stood, feeling very dizzy. And soon, an evil voice from nowhere echoed out. Ha, finish him. Bam, his HP dropped from 3% to 0%. Alright, he was dead. Sonya Blade wins. Flawless victory. Fatality. _ screw you. In his dying moments, Ninzu really wanted to give the strange voice a piece of his mind. If that was not enough insult. When he fell to the ground, Sonya crouched down with the flying thing behind her and tilted her head playfully. Cass, didn't I tell you? You fight just like your father, soft. Ninazu _ 6 hours later, what kind of powerful skills are these? Why can't I take down this Sonya Blade woman? Damn it. I'm not reconciled. I'm a grand elder of the profound sect. Oh, why can't I beat her? Ninzu exclaimed unwillingly. He had never felt so helpless in his life. He felt like he had truly lost face. And right before his disciples too. Bosu and everyone else was here, surrounding the duo. And throughout his entire 6-hour play, he used 5 whole hours to beat that woman before moving on and getting stuck on the next fight scene with someone called Cable. The most depressing thing was that Sonya kept giving him flawless victory wins for an entire 1.5 hours before he managed to hit her. But even after hitting her and getting rid of the flawless victory tag, he still couldn't avoid her fatality moves. It was just too cruel and embarrassing. Ninzu swore that he would rather drink his own blood than allow it to happen again. Songai rubbed his nose in embarrassment too. Somehow, he was secretly thankful that he didn't bring any of his disciples along. The shame would have been too much for him to bear. He didn't even know how Ninzu could still act tough before his disciples. Actually, Bosu and the rest didn't think it was shameful. After all, it was undeniable that the Mortal Kombat world was too strong compared to the lower realm, even though they hoped their master would win, it wasn't something shameful in their eyes. Rather, they were very impressed. Master, you were awesome. It took me 6 whole hours to get rid of the senior Sonya's flawless victory wins, and another day for me to finally defeat her and move to the next part. But you managed to do all this in just a single day and even started fighting Senior Cable. Elder Songai, I saw what you did when you used Senior Sonya's move against her. Awesome. Everyone, even those in the audience, complimented the duo, making them feel like things weren't as bad as they thought. Yes, that world did have strong characters. They hadn't even fought or seen Senior Raiden YETS. One could imagine how deadly that world was. At least he didn't completely lose face. Ninzu, who had just gotten up, felt a slight change within his body. Elder Songai felt it too. They looked at each other before inspecting themselves hurriedly. The result left them gasping in disbelief. Did they grow stronger? While watching earlier, no one had mentioned such a thing, as everyone focused on the realms. This came as a big shock to them. Bosu and the rest smiled while explaining the meaning of the points under their cultivation levels. So once we have enough points, we can break through. Yes, Master, that's it. Degree 0 degree. Ninzu and Songai felt dizzy from shock. Such a thing existed, and they didn't know about it. Listening to their disciples and seeing the changes within them, they realized that the more challenges and experiences they had in these realms, the more points they would accumulate. This was the fastest cultivation method they had ever seen. Yin Jin and Ben Owo, who he had estimated to break through a few years from now, would probably break through in a few weeks or a month. He just realized that the chi produced in those strange realms might even be far superior to that in the upper realm and those above. Remembering the battles they just had and seeing the outcome, they were just too excited right now. The duo soon got absorbed in their own world as they shared their experiences against Sonya and Cable. Old Ninzu, Senior Sonya, is just too powerful. Do you know that her punch broke my ribs? I can't stop remembering the bloody image I saw of the bones getting broken. It seems that she went too easy on you. That crazy woman placed those bullets into my head, cracking my skull so many times without number. She also tried strangling me as well. That I really suspect her. Me too. Are we sure that she is Cassie's mother? Why do I smell a conspiracy? I suspect that Cassie is Senior Johnny Cage's illegitimate daughter. No, she looks too much like Senior Sonya Blade. Wait, could it be that Senior Sonya is her aunt and not her mother? Yeah, you're right. Why didn't I think of that? I believe we solved it, but this aunt doesn't seem like Cassie that much to us. What do? We have to save her. Yes, we will save her for Senior Sonya, but not now. Why? Because Senior Sonya is very strong and is needed to help us take down the evil people going against Earthrealm. After the war, we'll help her. Chu Che, who was passing by, looking at the duo, Chu Che didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If it were the other way around, Cassie would still do the same action if it were Sonya at a disadvantage. You guys do know that this is a game, right? Well, Chu Che didn't blame them for feeling that the people inside were real because the system had made the characters come alive. They can even devise sneak attacks and other tactics while cursing at everyone here. So no matter how much Chu Che had tried to explain that it was a game, everyone fully believed that it was another area instead. Chu Che had given up when it came to this matter to for Ninzu and Songai. Seeing Chu Che now made them very excited. Their attitude towards him had flipped 180 degrees from before. They now looked at Chu Che as if they had found a treasure. The duo rushed towards him with enthusiasm as their eyes sparkled with awe. What sort of thing is that flying artifact Sonya Blade always uses? Boss Chu, I'm talking about the thing that can shoot the thing called bullets into a person's skull. Boss Chu, what I want to know is how the membership cards and the maps are made. Boss Chu, please don't leave me hanging, that if you don't tell me, I might die. The duo bombarded numerous questions to the speechless Chu Che, who had black lines on his face. Can't you guys allow me to answer before jumping to the next question? The duo spoke simultaneously, without even catching their breath. While standing overly close to Chu Che, Bo Su and the rest couldn't help smiling wryly. Master, Elder Songhai, any closer and you'll kiss Boss Chu. Ninzu looked at Chu Che, thinking of how to bundle him up and take him to the profound sect. All teachers or elders must have at least 3 professions here in the lower realm while being teachers. Firstly, here in the lower realm, the highest rank for any profession is rank 3. The knowledge and chi here were insufficient for improving and practicing their craft higher than rank 3. And so, a rank 3 person here was seen as too powerful. That said, as an elder, even though the least requirement is to have 3 professions outside teaching, Ninzu had 4. And coupled with his high cultivation, he met the criteria of being a grand elder in the sect. Again, all professions here have 3 stages: entry-level, equi-level, and conclusive level. That said, apart from being a 3-star master teacher, he was also a rank 3 entry-level rune/formation master, rank 2 entry-level painting/calligraphy master, a rank 3 entry-level worldly designer, a rank 2 conclusive level blacksmith. Those were Ninzu's professions. So, as a worldly designer who could create chi-infused puppets and a few other artifacts, he was completely blown away by the things he saw in the Mortal Kombat secret realm. More still, as a rune/formation master, how could he let things go after seeing the map and other super rune and formation tactics used here? The same thoughts ran through Songhai's head. He too was a grand elder who had 4 other professions outside of being a 3-star master teacher, making a total of 5 professions. Anyway, his professions were the same as Ninzu, except that he had different ranks since he was drawn to some more than others. Again, the only profession different from Ninzu's was that he wasn't a blacksmith but an appraiser. That was where he differed from Ninzu. Nonetheless, he was so much drawn to the space array formations around, and the many artifacts too, that he almost held Chu Che's leg to be, e.g., in the face of such godly things. They immediately threw their high identities outside the window at IT was as if they were little children getting Christmas gifts. The duo was seriously considering how to kidnap him if need be. At this point, they were very much unwilling to head back to the profound sect. If they went, how would they continue leveling up? How would they see these mysterious artifacts again? Damn it. Why was the profound sect so far away? What was so good about the city? Couldn't the sect have established itself next door to Wenji Town? Well, it wasn't that far for them since it was only 1.5 days with their cultivation base. But for others, it might take 9, 15, and even 30 or more days just from running across the forest and roads that, of course, some beasts could fly over here faster, depending on the beast's strength too. However, even though it was just 1.5 day for the duo, they still felt it far. They wanted to cry. Boss Chu, do you know how that artifact in Senior Sonia's hands works? Chu Che nodded his head. That I do. That one's similar to the flying artifact, but at the same time different. It's called a gun. Gun. Awesome name. Then what about the thing that rolls on wheels? That one is called a car. But in Sonya Blade's case, she was using a military truck. So the name is military truck? Well, it's just truck. The duo's eyes lit up with smiles on their faces. They immediately started tapping themselves playfully like idiots. Ha! Old Ninzu, it's a truck. Yes, 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 yes. Even though I don't know what it means, it is indeed a befitting name. Of course it is. Anything named by Boss Chu is definitely great. Truck? I like that name more and more now. Hey, Old Song is about to have his great-great-grandchild soon. We should let him name the kid Truck. Yes, that it's a very majestic name, but I think we should call the kid Gun. Bosu and the rest shook their heads at their master and elder Songhai. Obviously, Car is a better name than Truck, so the child would be named Car. Listening to their ridiculous banter, Chu Che earnestly prayed for the child in his heart. What sort of name is that? Forget it. He wasn't going to say anything lest they start getting jealous of his handsomeness again. Sorry, kid. It looks like your name will be Truck. Chu Che just hoped that the guy wouldn't grow up to be like all the Truck-Kuans who took innocent people's lives daily. Truck-Kuan's kill count was something the cultivators here would never understand. He was a real serial killer. Sigh. Emotions couldn't describe what the duo was feeling right now. The more they heard and saw, the more awestruck they were. They were also very curious about Chu Che's master. They heard from Bo Su that Boss Chu created everything here on his OWNSO. Just imagine how powerful Boss Chu's master will be. Now, after asking Chu Che himself and confirming that he indeed had a great master, they immediately dispelled all thoughts of bringing him back to the sect. What a joke. They dared not incur the wrath of such a great master. More still, just by interactions and seeing everything happening here, they knew that Chu Che didn't have any evil intentions and wouldn't have any thoughts on the profound sect. Instead, he was willing to allow them to research, learn, and create their own versions of the artifacts, gadgets, and tools there. He was also able to increase their powers too. And if they continued going into those mysterious realms, it wouldn't take long before they broke through. It might be the fastest breakthrough for people as mighty as them. If word got out, many sects might try causing trouble for Boss Chu. The most annoying and superior of all sects here in the top province was the Holy Fountain sect. Those arrogant, greedy bastards would definitely try something sneaky. That's why before leaving, they had already decided to educate Chu Che, giving him a heads up on the matter that AS for the profound sect. They had also decided to talk with the sect leader, hoping that the sect could be friends with Boss Chu. The sect disciples would have much to gain standing on Boss Chu's side. For one, they wouldn't get banned or suspended. Just thinking about their previous actions, they couldn't help shivering a bit. Luckily, because they were investigating, they managed to calm themselves down earlier on. Or else they would have been banned by now, missing all the heavenly realism there. As expected, humility pays. They secretly swore that when they returned to the sect, they would warn those bastard disciples to be on their best behavior whenever they were close to Wenji Town. No, from now on, all disciples needed to be on their best behavior wherever they went. Who knew if they would accidentally annoy Chu Che's master somewhere? Thinking about it all made the duo a little frightened in the entire lower realm. They felt like Boss Chu's master was the most skilled and should be a very frightening being. They dared not cross him. Songhai looked at Chu Che with expectancy and caution. Boss Chu, can you allow us to create these artifacts here? Chu Che shrugged. Up to you. But you'll have to research them yourselves. That IT is part of a learning process. I will not help you in this matter, at least, until I see what you've created already. What? He was willing. The duo trembled with excitement. Of course, Boss Chu. Just giving us permission is good enough. Don't worry that we won't let you down. That's right. Before, I didn't think it through thoroughly when asking you those questions. But Boss Chu, I think you're right. Us studying and researching would yield more results and give us breakthroughs in our professions when compared to us just asking for the information. Thank you, Boss Chu, for your guidance. The duo were impressed with Chu Che. It seems that they had misunderstood him earlier on. Could someone willing to share secrets about these hidden realms be selfish, greedy, and a cheat? If this sort of thing fell in the hands of others, they would hoard and even mislead people, keeping such secrets to themselves. But Boss Chu was different. He was not only willing to share his secrets, but also didn't mind guiding others too. His actions had undoubtedly won their respect. They now saw him as an elder, rather than a 16-year-old kid. Now, they felt like the price offered per hour was too cheap. Chu Che was neither arrogant nor prideful, as if the mundane matters of the world were of no concern to him, and seeing that they couldn't see through his cultivation level. They felt like such a person would have been very famous if he wanted to. Yet, no one had ever heard of him before. There was no doubt about it. Boss Chu was a kind and humble person. Bo Su and the rest felt the same too. Except to them, they would readily replace the world humble with narcissistic. Chu Che, who didn't know what everyone was thinking about, finally decided to choose a spot to grow. The buildings rewarded to him, of course. He wouldn't open it to the public now. But there was a new side mission alert that he had to do. Seeing that the duo were very sticky, not letting him go, Chu Che decided to take them along. Are you all done? Yes, Boss Chu, that we finished our daily 6-hour time limit in the realms. Okay, then, do you want to come with me? Nianzu and Songhai gripped his hands as if they were accepting a marriage proposal or something. Boss Chu, say no more. Let's go to AS for you disciples. Go sleep or do something else. You are disturbing Boss Chu, Nianzu said in disdain. Why did he suddenly feel that these disciples of his weren't pleasing to the eyes anymore? Lulu hurriedly held her new senior brother's hand and refused to go. Smelly master, you just want my senior brother for yourself. Humph. Chu Che scratched his nose awkwardly. Well, they can come as well. What's the matter with you all? Why the hell were you planning on leaving now? Are you deaf? Didn't you hear that Boss Chu wants you to come? Are you trying to make him dissatisfied? Hurry up and follow behind. Bosu, gan, emoticono cara sonriente te cero te emoticono cara sonriente. Bosu and the rest had no tears in their eyes but wanted to cry. How come they didn't know that their master was so two-faced? Bosu and the rest looked at their master and Elder Songhai helplessly while shaking their heads wryly. If someone had told them they would see such a scene where the duo could be so shameless, they would have never believed. But now, their calm master and Elder Songhai were fidgeting and shaking excitedly while talking with Chu Che. These were renowned elders from their sect. If many in the sect saw this scene, they would open their mouths wide in surprise. Was that still the famous Elder Songhai, who was always cold-looking? Where did his powerful demeanor go? And their elder Nianzu, whom many hadn't heard his voice before, was talking here so freely and excitedly without a care in the world. What the hell was going on? People would probably think that they were possessed or something. But only those who had gone into the strange gaming hall realms would know WHY.IN. Fact, Nianzu and Songhai were actually chatty people. It's just that they only chatted freely when in private meetings with other elders. When going out on missions, or standing before sect disciples, both new and old, they had to keep appearances. But it seemed that the realms had shocked them so much that they didn't even bother. The duo merely walked alongside Chu Che, wagging their non-existent tails as they followed along, of course. Lulu was still merrily holding Chu Che's hand while puffing, her chest out proudly. Yes, this was her senior brother. She only felt terrible for her sect sisters, who she tried to set up with Chu Che earlier on. When she first met Chu Che, he told her he wouldn't court her senior sisters. He also told her sternly that she should throw those throughout away and forget it. And so, the 9-year-old naive Lulu believed his nonsense. thinking that she was the one who was trying to set him up with her senior sect sisters. Looking at her handsome senior brother Chu, she felt that she was indeed wrong to try setting him up with others. Her senior brother is too good. Oh, how can her sect sisters compare? She just hoped her sect sisters wouldn't be too heartbroken when she told them the news side. Rumoyan, who also finished his 6 hours, also tagged along curiously. It wasn't just him, as everyone else was interested in where they were going. Even old Fru, who stayed by Chu Che's side, was also curious too, since he didn't have a single clue about what his young master wanted to do. Just like that, the entire gang followed Chu Che out of the gammon hall until they found themselves walking past the somewhat spacious parts of the town. Why did they stop here? At this point, they were all confused. Even Nyenzu and Songhai couldn't figure out why they were here. They scanned the area again, but didn't find anything out of the ordinary. But their gut told them that things might not be as simple as they thought. They furrowed their brows and scanned the area countless times to no avail. What exactly was so special about the place? Chu Che looked at the empty plots of land and nodded in satisfaction. Even though there were tall grass and weeds across the entire place, it shouldn't be an issue. The area he found could fit at least 20 regular-sized buildings stacked side by side to one another. It was that big. Great. With this place, he could comfortably place all the halls awarded to him now, and there might still be room for more halls in future. Well, he didn't know how big or small the building sizes would be. He wasn't sure if the space would be enough for future halls. After all, for all he knew, one hall might take up half the space. Everyone looked at Chu Che impatiently. Boss Chu, what are you trying to do here? Do you need our help for anything? Yeah, Boss Chu. Are you here for the weeds? Could it be that this ordinary mortal grass is important? Chu Che massaged his chin while calmly shaking his head. No, it's none of that. Everyone's ears perked up. If it wasn't that, then what could it be? What would make Boss Chu so interested in this place? Chu Che casually glanced at them before looking at the land again. Halls that I'm here to create a few more halls. Everyone looked at Chu Che, then at the land before looking at Chu Che again. Their eyes kept moving back and forth while lost in thought that it was as if lightning struck them silly, as they continuously theorized what the mighty Boss Chu would create next. Moyan had told them how he witnessed Chu Che turn an ordinary building into the gaming hall in a matter of seconds, which was already too impressive to so now. They expected such a scene that it was just that, looking at an empty plot of land. They couldn't help wondering how he was supposed to transform a random building into a hall if there were no buildings around. Everyone trembled and tried to calm themselves down to watch the once-in-a-lifetime show. At this point, they were even afraid to think for fear of missing out on anything. They all turned silent, as if giving time to allow Chu Che to concentrate. Sure, let Boss Chu work. Understood? Chu Che, who didn't need any damn concentration, was busy talking with the system. System, the land is here. Place the mission hall first. Okay, my darling host. With that, the system changed into an attire similar to that of a construction worker and started fake drilling on Chu Che's shoulder. It drilled. It bumped up and down, vibrating with the drill in its hands. It even worked up a sweat and took out a handkerchief. And after wiping its cute face, it made a tiny bottle of water appear and drank it. What a hard day's work. Chu Che looked at the system's avatar before glancing at the loading on his screen and knew what was going on. This time, while fake drilling, the system had been assessing the land and making it sturdier. Following that, it probably began arranging how the building would look like. And the more the system fake drilled on his shoulder, the faster the loading bar shot up 0.79%, 84%, 91%, 100%. Ding, loading completed. Instantly, the ground rumbled, and what happened next was something that Bo Su and the rest would never forget in their lives. Nyenzu and Songhai were the ones who got hit the most. Illusion. It had to be an illusion. How could such a thing be possible? Degree 0 degree, yeah. What's happening? Rumble. Rumble. Everyone felt countless vibrations under their feet as they stabilized themselves swiftly. The ground opened up magically, and right before their very eyes, a massive towering building shot out of the ground. Boom. Everyone's eyes almost fell out of their sockets. Lying trough. How can buildings grow like trees? Logic told them it was impossible. But the facts before them showed them otherwise. The building was like nothing they had ever seen before. But to Chu Che, he was more than familiar with it. The building was 75% similar to the towering modern-day buildings with glass windows and many modern features. But there was also something very different about it. He could tell that there were some features on it that Earth had never seen before, which made him curious. Host, are you surprised? This system combined your typical building on Earth with that from planet Xenons, another planet that seemed to have a similar history to your previous world. As for the differences and new features within the building, my darling host will have to uncover them for himself. Chu Che nodded while listening. Planet Xenons? So there might be alien tech inside? Okay, he couldn't lie. He was already hooked. Everyone looked at the magnificent building before them and almost dropped to their knees to scream. It's a miracle. Damn, Boss Chu was good. Even those in the profound sect and other mighty sects couldn't pull off such a feat yet. A 16-year-old had done so right before their very eyes. Just how strong was he? They wanted to meet the woman that birthed him and shake her hands in reverence. Madam, you birthed a genius. Thinking of his direct disciples back in the set whom he thought were geniuses. Songai twisted his mouth in disdain. Couldn't they be like this promising young lad here? What was a genius? This was a genius. Even Lulu, who had a one-in-a-million rare ice body, felt that her new senior brother was too strong. Once again, she became prouder than usual. What are they shocked about? Her senior brother is awesome. As for old Fru, he only thought Chu Che could do all this because of his master. And also because Chu Che's mother was from the upper realm, as expected. He inherited her gifted body, making his achievements faster and bigger. Not to talk of the fact that Chu Che's father himself was a genius here. Their child should definitely be a sensation, no? Virum, instantly, everyone's membership card lit up and a notification popped up on the card screen. Mission Hall now available. For more information, click the Building tab and select Mission Hall. Oh, like magic. The members around Winji Town looked at their cards excitedly. What? A new hall? Yeah. When did the hall exist? Where is it located? Look, look. It's a new hall that's called a Mission Hall. Wait, let me see. Okay, I've clicked on the Mission Hall icon. What? Is that the building? What sort of divine creation is this? It's now on the map, but too bad it shows that it will only be open 2 days from now, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Damn. If it were open today, I would have gone over now. Too exciting. There's a lot of information under the Mission Hall tab that will be able to carry out missions according to mission classes. There are SSS missions going right down to F-class missions. Awesome. I was wondering how to make money these next few days. All my gold coins are almost out that I can always go hunting for B scores. But it feels like a hassle to go hunting every time, every day. Having money is just more convenient. Bro, I'm happier that some missions are chilled back. Just take a look at the D-class or F-class mission description that MY Mother is a spiritual crop farmer. Or she might be able to sell her goods directly to the Mission Hall, rather than struggling to sell them to the nobles and others far away. Hey, I admit that this is a good thing, but we can always do it later on. So in the end, I might not check it out now that MY God of War and Mortal Kombat are waiting for me. Straight face. The announcement on the membership card made everyone talk excitedly. It was just that since it was a mission hall and not another realm, many weren't too interested. Why take up a mission that might keep them out of the town for days, if not weeks and months? They felt like it wasn't worth it. But it was an undeniable fact that it was an excellent way to make a huge heap of money that could sustain them for a while. So, many decided to take a mission only once a month, or something like that. Their biggest issue was that they didn't want to stay away from the gaming hall for so long in their minds. It was just a source of income if they ran out of money. In short, they had subconsciously neglected this new hall in their minds. My darling host, you need to complete your new side mission soon. You must complete and live stream one task from the mission hall within 2 days. Show them what this mission hall is all about. No problem. Chu Che nodded and looked at the anxious people beside him. All right, let's go see the mission hall. Yes. All right, let's go. Right. Everyone answered in unison before following Chu Che merrily. They walked through the concrete platform for a bit before ascending a few steps and arriving at a massive double-sided glass door that opened on its own. Honestly, the space around the entire building was enormous and as spacious as those around some sect buildings. Everything about the magnificent towering structure made them feel a sort of reverence emitting out of the building itself. How could such a structure exist? They had never seen one before. Standing before the massive double-sided door, they were once again awed. Honestly, the door was similar in height to those in the pavilion, meaning that when standing by the doors, they looked like cars next to the door. 15 of Nianzhu, placed on top of each other, would be equivalent to how tall the door was, not to talk of its width. The door looked like it was made for giants, which they were all too familiar with. But the fact that this door was glass and had a unique design made them observe and nod in satisfaction. Whoosh. The moment Chu Che came close to the door opened. One shouldn't forget that even though the hall got created now, it will only be officially open 2 days from now. The door could only open for Chu Che, the park owner. Stepping in, everyone was immediately taken aback by the designs here. Even though it was similar to the gaming hall and the registration building, there were a few new things that made them tremble from shock. Wait, so he conjured up an entire building and even created puppets in the process. Were their eyes deceiving them? Did they also see puppets descending from moving stairs? And what about those floating balls? What did they do? Of course, once again, Nianzhu and Songai, who were worldly designers, stared at the scene with their mouths wide open. How many ideas and designs does Chu Che have? Of course, it wasn't just them who got excited over this, as Ni Long and Ping Li also got overly excited. Every one of Nianzhu's disciples had chosen a profession while seeking his guidance. Ni Long and Ping Li were already rank 1 worldly designers, with one in the conclusive stage and the other in the equi-stage. But they too focused on all the wonders within the building. That of course, Nianzhu's other disciples studied other professions, which he was also proficient at. He had 4 major professions outside teaching. His disciples studied one of them under him. Only a few gifted ones like Gao Mu and Bo Su started studying 2 professions all at once. Everyone looked around and admired the beautiful fountain at the center of the massive hall. They felt like ants walking into a giant's palace. Everything was so awe-striking. Bing, 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 bing. Master, 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 master. Instantly, several Rosies quickly descended the escalators excitedly. Some, who were already on the same floor, rushed towards him from where they were, while others descended from the magical floating ball, which Chu Che took as an elevator. Was this tech from planet Xenon? Did they do it following magnets? Or did they use something else? The floating elevator never touched the ground or the sides of the wall. Bing, bing, bing. Bing. Master, master, master. All Rosies had their antennas beeping vigorously as they hurried to their master for pampering. Chu Che could easily read their moods because of their beeping to him. Their antennas were like a dog's tail to Chu Che. When it was happy, it would wag excessively while barking and looking at its owner expectantly. Of course, the Rosies could talk and do other things to express themselves, and even the ball at the tip of their antennas beeped in different colors, depending on their mood. At least in Chu Che's mind, they were easier to read than humans. Looking around, Chu Che remembered the things the system said about the mission hall. In particular, when it comes to the escalators, elevators, and some other devices. Only those in the upper mission classes could use them. Simply put, only mission takers who ranked up could advance further to the next floor. The current floor they were in had a sector on the far end mattered to only F-class taskers. Now, they were standing within the general lounge area for newbies, and everyone else. It was like a giant welcome area that also had large computer-like boards, the size of Chu Che, that showed missions for all ranks. These boards covered an entire wall, with several boards showing only specific ranks. Some boards only showed F-class missions, while others focused on A-class missions. In other words, it placed all missions here, so newbies can further understand things. Of course, in the separate F-class sector, the only missions published were those for F-class taskers. The same could be said for other mission classes too. But here's the thing. While F-class taskers had to share the floor with the welcome lounge, other ranks didn't. The floor above was only for E-class taskers, and above that was for D-class taskers only. The higher one ascended the building, the rank. The highest rank was the Triple S class, which owned 3 entire floors for itself. What was on those floors? Chu Che didn't know. The general area they were standing on mainly was for questions, guiding newbies, and so on. Everything was adequately organized based on ranks. This goes without saying, but the rewards for each class were different. That said, only by ranking up would one be able to use the escalators and elevators. Again, many could start with F and E class missions if they weren't sure where they stood. From there, they could work their way up to the top. Boss Chu, so you mean that tomorrow, there will be missions available? Yes. There will be missions on the list here. If you see anyone you like, you can pick it up. Everyone nodded in understanding. But even though it seemed simple on the surface, something within them felt like things might not be as easy as they appeared. Chu Che found their vigilance funny. He had no clue what made them turn vigilant. Why were they looking at him like that? Was it because he was too handsome? Were they all jealous again? He seriously couldn't keep up with how fast people got jealous these days. Every time, he would have to coax them to let go of their jealousy. And it was all too tiring. Sigh. With the mission hall completed, Chu Che didn't rush to erect the other hall awarded to him, yet he just wanted to focus on a mission hall for the time. All right, time to do his side mission. Chu Che wasted no time and briefly glanced at his interface. Side mission. The host needs to broadcast and complete 2 tasks/mission from the mission hall. Task 1. A-class mission: acquire the rare yellow fingot flower that only blooms once every 10 years and is located in Goffin Leaf Valley. Task 2. Triple S-class mission: retrieve the green non-tal flame found within the Flaming Mountain, surrounded by rank 5 magma beasts and several other terrifying creatures. The host should note that the non-tal green flame is a rare flame from the ordinary realm, the realm higher than the lower realm. The flame made its way to the lower realm by a series of events and ended up in the lower realm, and is undoubtedly a heavenly treasure here. The host is to retrieve this powerful flame at all costs. Side mission rewards. Completion of the first task, 2 million silver coins. Completion of the second task, 1 item from Fantasy World, as well as 10 billion silver coins. Dateline: 2 days. Punishment: disappearance of gaming hall. Chu Che looked at his tasks deep in thought. For the rewards, the amount of gold coins wasn't some fixed amount. The rewards were given based on how deadly or dangerous the mission was. Even within A-class missions, some were low tier, moderate, or very dangerous, so the rewards couldn't be calculated the same. Everything was calculated based on the worth and value of it all. That's why looking at his Triple S-class mission, the reward money was 1 billion silver coins, which was just equivalent to 1 million gold coins. The price was well worth it. Why? Because if he took that non-tal flame somewhere else and placed it in an auction house, those alchemists would go crazy when they saw and felt the raw power from the flames. They might even give all their wealth for the flame, whose power undoubtedly didn't belong to the lower realm. That's why it was heavily guarded by rank 5 magma beasts. These beasts treated the flame as their treasure and wouldn't let it go. The danger level in this mission also contributed to how much he got paid. Again, what got paid depended on the mission's true worth. Boss Chu, don't worry, Dat will definitely watch your broadcast, Bosu said excitedly while nodding his head like an obedient rabbit. Everyone else nodded too and left the mission hall while looking at their membership cards repeatedly to see if the live broadcast had begun. Well, now that Chu Che was about to begin his mission, he couldn't very well leave Bosu and the rest here. They left excitedly, hurrying off to find a place to sit and watch the broadcast. They didn't want to miss a single thing. As for old Fru, he hadn't gone out yet, since he was worrying like a mother hen. Young master, are you sure you want to go alone? What about your meals? Who's going to prepare them? And what about money? Do you have enough? Should I get someone head to the treasury and get you some more? Chu Che was speechless. He knew that the original owner was spoiled. But this was a bit too much, right? It wasn't that the original owner was lazy, but every time he tried to do something, everyone would refuse, with some maids even crying. The kid was brought up like an egg. The only time he ever suffered was training. And because of all this, the original owner didn't know how to cook. So whenever he went out, old Fru and the rest would accompany him, cooking and taking care of his needs that he needed. An extra pillow? Say no more. His shoulders got tense? Not a problem. From the memory in his head, Chu Che realized that the original owner had never once demanded these things. Instead, it was old Fru and the rest who kept doing everything possible to make him comfortable. If he sneezed due to dust, they would take it as if he had the flu and pamper him more. The original owner was a true rich kid. But he was different. He, who came from Earth, knew how to cook and survive on his OW, and he didn't think it would be an issue. Looking at old Fru, Chu Che felt warmth in his heart. Old Fru, my master taught me how to care for myself. Don't worry, I'll be fine. But what if? Chu Che raised his hand and cut him off before he could finish his sentence. Old Fru, I've grown up already, so I will be fine. Old Fru looked at Chu Che for a bit before sighing. Indeed, the young master he used to carry as a baby had grown up quite a lot. It seemed like yesterday when the young master would ask him to teach him how to write. And now, he's taking his first step out of the city alone. Sigh, they sure do grow fast. After sending everyone away, Chu Che switched his membership card settings to drone mode. And in a flash, the car began levitating and hovering around Chu Che. All sides of the card now acted as a camera, where it would pick the most interesting scenes and zoom in on its own when trying to get close-ups. But the most incredible thing of all was that those who broadcasted would have an invisible game interface pop up that would allow them to read the comments on the live broadcast. Again, there was a map of the area where the mission was, but the funny thing was that the entire map was black. Only when they passed through a spot on the map would that area be uncovered. It was as if they were playing games, but in real life. Now, he began broadcasting live, and the moment many got notifications about it, they rushed into his channel like crazy. Where is this? How could such a place exist? Why is it so clear? Looking at it, I feel like I'm there beside Boss Chu. Upstairs, I thought I was the only one shocked from it all. For me, I'm only here to watch the owner and learn more skills. I'm here for something else. Isn't everyone curious about how strong the owner is? Upstairs, of course we are. Finally, we'll be able to find the answer to the guessing game we created. What would happen if Boss Che is actually weak? User star 99, you're talking nonsense. That's right. How can Boss Chu be weak? He's the park owner and the creator of everything. Don't insult Boss Chu. You lowly Magirian. Hey, who are you calling a Magirian? Don't put that evil insect woman and I in the same category. Wait, can you all stop arguing and focus on the scene? Look, Boss Chu is about to enter some strange floating ball. Can anyone tell me what that is? Looking at the beautifully crafted glass sphere that levitated a few inches off the ground. Many couldn't help but wonder what it was for Chu Che. He too was impressed. The closer he it was bigger than most elevators, with its entire structure being transparent. Looking more closely, he once again noticed that the levitating elevator could move without wires or lines, which was something that Earth hadn't done as expected of alien tech. Walking closer, Chu Che noticed that there were 20 elevators lined up along the right end of the giant hall. Of course, these levitating elevators weren't the only things one could use to ascend, because at the forefront of the hall, far ahead, one would find 9 escalators evenly spaced out, some going up and others found down. And like the case with the escalators, if one wanted to use the elevators, they would first pass through one of the automatic membership card checkers that looked familiar to automated ticket checkers placed in train subways. After tapping their cards on the machine, if it turned green, it would allow them to pass through. That would mean that they were at least above F class. They could ascend at the same time. The system was also taking note of the card and the card owner. Its tiny cameras and sensors noted everything about both the card and the card owner. Even if one entered the elevator and wanted to go to a floor not meant for them, the elevator wouldn't move. They could only go to their designated floors. Even if a person wanted to sneak out with a massive crowd of people, the elevator would create a barrier, preventing him/she from getting off on higher floors. And after everyone would have left, the elevator would then take the person to the floor they belonged, forcefully ejecting them out there. The elevator had more capabilities than just carrying people off and onto. It acted as security in its own way, throwing people out when needed. Provided they weren't allowed on a certain floor, the elevator would do its job and send them away. But this law only works if a person wants to go to a floor higher than they could. If a B-class person decided to check out the E-class floor, there was nothing wrong with that. Those higher could go lower, but those lower couldn't ascend further. Bang, the light on the automated card checker turned green, allowing Chu Che to pass. And soon, he was already in the elevator, going up all the way. Swoosh! The metal ball floated and moved like magic, making the viewers almost die from excitement. What kind of artifact was this? Most buildings here just had stairways, no matter how tall they were. This was the first time they had ever seen such a thing. Swoosh! In a flash, the elevator doors opened, and Chu found himself on the floor meant for Triple S class members. The barrage watching was already going crazy from the scene before them. I'll go. Why does this floor look way better than the one below? Too different. Damn. What sort of difference is this? Look far to the left of Boss Chu. There's a sign that says beach. And from the transparent wall, I can even see sand and water there. Unexpectedly, the environment is too good. Chu Che looked at the comments and couldn't help but agree with them. Indeed, as he walked, he realized that there were many amenities for those on this floor that were all adequately spaced out. There was even a tropical beach setting as if they were on vacation. But what amazed Chu Che was that there was a roller coaster ride there. Of course, it wouldn't contribute to one's cultivation if they wrote it. Nonetheless, it was still a form of fun, and the system had found a way to place it in the park. Looking at the comments, Chu Che decided to comment on the situation. Everyone, this floor is only reserved for those who are strong enough to rank up and get to this position. This floor is meant for Triple S class members, so everything you see around is just a few of the many perks that they enjoy. As if right on cue, Chu Che's hovering card zoomed in on these amenities, showing a very scenic angled, in some places, the ceiling changes, creating an image of a beautiful sunrise, and the walls around the area showed beautiful images of various animals famous on Earth that were almost life-like it felt like they would pop out of the wall any moment from now. In short, the whole place had turned into the beautiful circle of life scene that was famous in The Lion King. The scene and the few plants on the floor blended well with nature, creating a very artistic view. And the card drone, which seemed smart and had a mind of its own, flew low and captured several images of Chu Che's serious but heroic expression and the sunrise in one shot. Beautiful. In the shot. Chu Che looked like he was one with the world, an entity above all. The entire live broadcast was stunned, and some even decided to save the image on their cards. I'll go. Where is this place? Are we sure that it's still in the mission hall? I was wondering the same thing. And what sort of creature is that? It looks so cute. All right, point one decided. I must find this creature no matter how long it takes. I want it as my pet. Ha ha ha. Upstairs, you're really funny that I think that this sort of creature doesn't exist in the lower realm. If my guess is correct, such a creature would definitely be in the ordinary realm or even in other higher realms, which means that they would be highly dangerous. So just give up on that dream. You give up. Your entire family should give up. Are you saying that I'll never be able to get to the ordinary realm? As expected, you are a Megarian. Chu Che shook his head wryly at the comments on the live broadcast. If he told them that creatures like kangaroos or pandas weren't in this world, wouldn't many females be heartbroken? He walked a bit until he arrived at the front desk area for missions. Very quickly, he stood in front of the massive mission board that took over the entire width of the wall. It showcased all missions in chronological order from Triple S to A class. Chu Che briefly took note of the missions he wanted before stepping towards an automatic mission acceptor that looked like an ATM machine. With that, he controlled his card with his mind and tapped the blue screen before letting the card elevate again, since it was broadcasting. Following that, he typed the mission numbers SSS, 1, and 3 into the machine. Ding. Congratulations. Your mission has been accepted. Blah, 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 dash dot. The machine gave a few brief details, which people could choose to skip if they already knew of it, but he chose to let it play out for those in the live broadcast to listen in. The mission details have been placed under the mission section on the membership card. Please use one of the 12 portals, and the portal will transport you towards the nearest town, village, or city near the mission location. And when the mission is completed, click on the return option under the membership card's mission tab. Again, if the tasker requires assistance or wants to form a team, they can do so by adding people through the mission tab, but the reward will be divided among everyone equally. Finally, if taskers choose 2 missions, they'll get 2 chances at transporting to any communities closest to the locations of both missions. So, when the tasker has completed the first mission, they can transport to any community closest to the 2 and D mission. That is the standard when missions are very far apart. But the current taskers' missions are not too far from each other, as Tasker Chu will only get 1 transport chance to leave the mission hall through the portal and another to return. Bear in mind that the mission hall closes at 8 p.m.so. If the tasker's missions get fulfilled later than the closing time, the tasker will sort themselves out through the night and can only transport back at 8 a.m. when a mission hall opens. That is all. Card ejected. You may now proceed to the transport portal. Listening to the automated voice, the entire live broadcast became hot. I'll be damned. I thought that if we take missions, we might have to travel out for months. But who would have thought we would be given transportation scrolls through our membership cards? Boss Chu. I apologize for my delinquency earlier on. It was I who didn't know the height of your greatness. I thought if I took on a mission, I would have to travel for days, weeks, or months out of Wenji Town. But who would have known that there would be a portal? I, too, made that mistake in thinking that way. Why am I excited to see where the portal will take the owner? Me too, Boss Chu. Please go into the portal already. Yes, go Boss Chu. Go. Chu Che, straight face, amidst the clamping from the barrage, Chu Che walked before one of the many massive portals and tapped his card at a scanning device. Beep, 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 beep. Destination, outskirts of Daimu City. Portal ready for use. With that, Chu Che stepped through the massive spherical loop. It was time to begin. With that, Chu Che was gone. But unbeknownst to him, Within one of the mountain regions not too far away from Wenji Town, several hidden forces were now gathering within a massive fortress. In particular, 5 eye-catching people held everyone's attention. These 5 guests had just arrived at the fortress and were heading to the Grand Hall. And as they walked, everyone else looked at them in awe, making these eye-catching. People feel proud and raise their noses to the sky. Fairy Emu is no doubt the most beautiful woman ever. I heard that she has men, as far as the eye can see, lining up to marry her. I heard some even wanted to give all their possessions just to be with her for a single day. Who can blame them? The goddess is too stunning and eye-catching. Even I want to marry her. Pooey, you. Please stop dreaming. You are not on the goddess level. That's right. Plus, can you handle her wrath? She has the famous Tyndall Cloud skill that can drain the vitality of those who anger her. Being with the goddess of death is no joke. Soon, all 5 guests arrive at the Grand Hall and were greeted by the head of the fortress, Jiang Zhuang. Yes, they were currently at the base of the Zhuang bandits. The burly figure, Jiang Zhuang, rose from his seat. Welcome, Fairy Emu. Welcome to the Zhuang fortress. Fairy Emu nodded with indifference and calmly sat in the position allocated to her. Likewise, her silent guards in black stood by her side proudly, without uttering a single word. And even though they were guards, their cultivation alone seemed higher than many in the room. To be exact, only one of them was at Jiang Zhuang's level, while the rest were undoubtedly stronger. What a group! Jiang Zhuang offered to take them to their rooms and provide a hefty meal for them, but they declined and decided to go straight into business. Fairy Emu leaned back seductively and lazily glanced at Jiang Zhuang and the other elders seated before her. Leader Jiang, so you want us to take care of a small brat of 16 years old? Emu couldn't help but feel disdainful when she thought they wanted her to kill a brat. She had killed real men, who were leaders, top alchemists, and so on. That said, a brat of 16 years should have a shallow cultivation compared to her usual targets. So why wouldn't she feel disdainful? It was an insult to her talents, rather than people looking at her with once the task got completed. They would look at her as a bully instead. She, who had cultivated for 514 years, felt that any 16-year-old person, be it a girl or boy, was similar to a waste. She could probably accidentally kill them with one punch, so wasn't that demeaning for her status? If the rewards weren't good, she wouldn't take such a self-deprecating task. Fairy Emu was very disdainful at the thought that her target was a little boy. Even with her strength, killing the bitch shouldn't be a problem, no. She didn't even bother handing her disdainful gazes at Jiang Zhuang and the rest, making them feel Jiang Zhuang and the rest also felt insulted by her disdainful gaze, but they dared not say anything to this powerful woman. But they could only swallow it up, wait for her to take care of the brat, and leave. Jiang Zhuang, the leader of the Zhuang bandits, was within the 10th stage of the Chu Che realm. His strength was awe-inspiring around these parts. It was an existence that the bandits wholeheartedly looked up to and feared at the same time. His ambitions to conquer Wenji Town have always been known to all that he had been waiting patiently for the opportune moment to strike. First, he took out the old geezer, Chu Che's grandfather. Then he also took out the young, ignorant town lord. Or at least, he thought he did. Why was the little imp still alive? He planned to attack the town when everyone was in disarray and distracted by the death of their young master situation. But it seemed like fate thought otherwise. Nonetheless, he still wouldn't give up. Their bandit gang was growing at a fast pace, and their hideout in the forest wouldn't be able to hold them for long. For hundreds of years now, he had been building his fraction up in the woods. At first, there were just 5 of them. But now, he had an impressive number of men under his wing that could rival some clans within the lower realm that, of course. His strength was nowhere near that of the young brats. So if he didn't do something fast, he would be left out cold with time. Plus, his plan to completely take over Wenji Town was because their fortress was getting a little too small for them. They're now way more in number, and their activities and movements call for bigger space. Wenji Town fulfilled all their needs, but who knew that after his meticulous planning, the brat would still be alive? He couldn't help wondering if the alchemist had deceived him earlier on. But even if he did, he wouldn't have a way to confront the bastard because of the person's position and strength. He could only look for another way forward. Jiang Zhuang's mouth twitched. Fairy Emu, it's not the boy we are afraid of, but the people guarding him. The strongest among them is a man named Old Fru, and he has the same cultivation base as myself. What we want is for you to take care of the boy alongside Old Fru and a few other AS for the rest. You can just leave them to us. Emu glanced lazily, with an expressionless face. Oh, all right, consider it done. Everyone's eyes lit up, and their buried anger quickly dissipated. What if she insulted them? She had the backbones, authority, and the power to do so. This was the difference between the weak and the strong. That was just the way of life. Good. AS agreed. We will deliver part of the reward now. This time, Emu was the one pleased. Why did she take the mission? That was because the Jiang Fortress offered something that she had been looking for as one of the rewards for completing their task that, of course, since she also belonged to the Bloodhound Killer organization, it was forbidden to kill her employer. If not, she would have killed him, taken what she wanted, and left. This was the advantage of getting a killer organization to do a task. At least one could be sure they won't double-cross them unless someone else paid higher for their employer's head. As for what she came here for. It was the cursed demonic leg of a Me Too demon. even though she was called the goddess of death. That was all because of her powerful Tyndall Cloud skill, but what others didn't know was that all her skills became powerful after accidentally swallowing an ancient cursed demonic part in her younger days. And since then, she had been looking for more cursed body parts that might have fallen from the higher realms. The lower realm couldn't produce such monstrous things as at times. Powerful demon warlords and entities fall to the lower realm for whatever reasons, and she was more focused on finding them. The Zhang brothers didn't know how important it was, but she did. She was so excited that after receiving the cursed item, she went behind closed doors and decided to first consume it before taking on the brat and his people to TO her. She could take care of the brat at any given time, but the finger was a treasure that needed to enter her body soon. Who knew if another person would come here to get it as well? With that, she stayed in close cultivation, with her men guarding her patiently. After a few days, she would deal with her target, eye in her eyes. The young man was already a walking corpse. Meanwhile, the person she was thinking about was also very far away. Focusing on his mission, that it was just that he seemed to have caught the attention of something that seemed hell-bent on making its point. Chu Che looked at the scene before him helplessly. Can you let me go? Chu Che stared at the little man before him helplessly. Little dog, where I'm heading off to is too risky for you. Can you let go? Jiro latching onto Chu Che was the most adorable dog ever. While once it got cleaned up, it would indeed look adorable. But as of now, anyone could see that it was a stray dog. Looking at the little guy, its owner probably died or something. Because from the words of many around, the dog had been lying on that same spot on the streets for months now. Even if it were hungry, it would find food and still go back to that exact spot. Its body was covered with wounds and injuries from fights, making it look more like a beast rather than an adorable pup. Chu Che had a genuine love for dog on his way to the nearest restaurant. When passing through the streets of Daimu City, he spotted the poor thing and bought a full meal for it. Of course, people laughed at him in disdain and said he was crazy, but he didn't care. He also gave the dog one of the healing pills Old Fruit gave him for the mission, so the dog's injuries should be healed in no time. All this was good and all, but now the dog latched onto him and refused to let go. It whimpered softly and didn't want to be left behind, as it bit his sleeve as hard as it could. And no matter how Chu Che talked to the little guy, it still didn't let go of his sleeves. Of course, he could drag the poor guy off if he wanted to. But he felt like if he did, he might injure the poor guy instead. He was helpless on what to do. Meanwhile, those watching the scene couldn't help speaking out. Boss Chu, please take the little guy with you. Yeah, the poor guy likes you, Boss Chu. Just take him. You know, the more I watch, the more I realize how kind Boss Chu is. Just look at how much he has done for the little guy. Boss Chu, please just take the little guy with you. Actually, I understand the boss's concern. He's going on a dangerous mission. Taking the little guy there might put him in more harm instead. You're right. How can we forget about this? But what about the pup? Look at the wounds that were found earlier on its body. It looks like it has to struggle every day for food. It isn't the safest and calmest area around the boss. Hoof hoof. The little guy opened its big blue eyes, slumped its shoulders down, and stared at Chu Che pitifully. Chu Che tightened his lips hesitantly before finally agreeing to bring it with him. That he asked for whether he could protect it or not. He was very confident in this matter. All right, little guy, you can follow me. As if understanding him, the tiny pup started jumping around him happily. Hoof hoofed, it rubbed against his legs and wagged its tail as hard as it could. Chu Che found that the little guy seemed very spiritual, as if he could almost understand what he was saying. Little guy, since you're going to follow me, let's give you a name. From now on, you'll be called Wei Che. You are now part of my Che family. Hoof! The little guy barked and nodded its head while puffing out its chest, making it look adorable. Those in barrage once again exploded. Oh, I can't take it anymore. I want to hug our family's Wei. Little Wei, welcome to the family. Don't worry. When you get back, Ani will pet you silly. As a man, I have to say that this little guy is good at selling cuteness. Even I am falling for his charms. Do you think Wei is the boss's first pet? It's hard to say. The boss is just too mysterious. Oh, Wei is so cute. Straight face. Chu Che looked at Wei while deep in thought. Host, you've noticed it too, right? Wei isn't an average dog, but a great reincarnated ancient beast. That's why it's spiritual. Chu Che looked at Wei and was taken aback. What were the odds that he would find a pet this powerful? Could it be the transmigrator Halo? Listening to the system, he couldn't help frowning. System, just now, I sense that there's a blockage in Wei's meridians, which is the reason why he's still mortal. How do I open it up? Host, you can exchange your current pay for a perfection grade, true jade pill. Courtesy of the system, IT will cleanse the blockage, repair any damaged organs, and remove impurities. Host, this will be your fastest and most efficient way, because no one in the lower or ordinary realm can create such a pill that will match Wei's mythical bloodline and divine body. Chu Che listened and nodded in agreement. Pills, and even elixirs and powders, are generally split into 5 grades based on density and quality. Lower grade. Only retaining equals 20% quality. Moderate, retaining 40% quality max. Higher, 60%. Near perfection, 80%. Perfection, sad face, 95% pure, no impurities, so all pills, elixirs, and powders were graded as such. But those were just the grades at AS for pill levels. There were several, with the lowest being a Tier 1 pill. S01 could have a Tier 1 lower grade pill, Tier 1 near perfection elixir, a Tier 2 higher grade pill, and so on. Additionally, each tier can be formed by alchemists within those classes. For example, rank. One alchemist can at most create Tier 1 pills, with any quality from low to perfection, if they work hard. Regarding quality, it seemed hard for them to create one above moderate level. That said, the lower realm primarily produced Tier 1 and 2 pills at IT was even seen as a miracle if they got Tier 3 ones. And when it came to quality, the lower realm couldn't produce near-perfect or perfection pills. Coupled with that, some specific pill formulas were far above their knowledge and would be impossible for them to make. That said, the pill offered by the system was too rare. Such a pill that could take care of Wei Wei's ancient beast nature was bound to be in the upper realm and higher. Indeed, his fastest bet was to use the system. Anyway, 1/10 of all payments from customers in the various halls were rewarded by the system for his upkeep. He was at a lower level now, and when he ranked up as park owner, his pay would also increase. But how exactly was he supposed to rank up? Firstly, he had to create enough halls and entertainment for the customers. Secondly, every successful business needs branches in different locations. Thirdly, the higher the park's reputation and the more customers available contributed to determining his pay. Sigh. Why did he suddenly feel poor? Chu Che had to agree with the system's suggestion. Host, the pill costs a little over 90% of your current amount in the system. Does the host still want to exchange for the pill? HM, good host. Ding. After confirming that he had the pill, Chu Che took it out and fed it to Wei Wei. Instantly, Wei Wei began feeling a wave of chi storm his body. IT felt like his entire body was being ripped apart as the pill cleaned all impurities and even removed the mysterious blockage there. Wei Wei gritted his teeth and held on for as long as he could. And soon, the pain began to ease. His body was covered with dark tar-like substances that reeked. But he felt mighty strong now. Before giving him the pill, Chu Che brought him near a stream within the massive city. After all, as an otaku, the moment the system said that the pill would also remove Wei Wei's impurities, he knew that this would be the result. Splash. Wei Wei jumped in, swirled within the water, and rubbed his body against the rocks beneath before getting out. He then shook his body to dry and rushed towards Chu Che. JRFFF. He bit him. Chu Che was very confused about what just happened here. Congratulations, my darling host. Wei Wei has successfully formed a contract with you. You are now its master. Understood. Chu Che was shocked after seeing the beast contract seal disappear in a thin air on his palm. He didn't think that this guy would form a contract with him. For one, even though he thought of taking him, he still wanted the dog to have liberties and choose its path. After all, creatures here were different from those back on Earth. Some even ranked up in hopes of getting revenge. So, he subconsciously treated Wei Wei as a person, especially after hearing that it was an ancient beast. That blockage seemed like it was put by some expert, probably within the higher realms. Even ancient beasts and mythical creatures have their own clans, so he didn't know whether the young Wei Wei had some sort of heaven-defying fate that he was unaware of. Maybe it was dropped here as a baby. Maybe it would like to look for its parents? Chu Che didn't know what to think, but he was sure that Wei Wei had some strange past. System, can Wei Wei talk? Host, not at its cultivation level, but in the future it will. Nonetheless, even though it can't speak yet, because of the seal of ownership on the host's hands, it can properly understand the host and take instructions no matter where the host is. In short, the host now has telepathy with Wei Wei. Hoof hoof. Chu Che looked at Wei Wei, bent down, rubbed its head, and smiled. Wei Wei, now that you've just broken past your mortal body, you can finally start cultivating. Hoof hoof. Wei Wei barked and jumped merrily, all the while looking at Chu Che gratefully. In one swoop, Chu Che picked him up and placed him within his shirt. Wei Wei was still new to cultivation and would be undoubtedly slower than he was. There was no time to waste. He decided to carry the little guy. Like that, both man and pup dashed left the city and made their way through the thick forest region. Now he could begin his A-class mission. According to the system's information, this forest should contain the rare yellow fingot herb. The system's map was currently dark right now, but every path that he took would be illuminated, and after it lit up, he could then tell if any creatures or living organisms were around him. Even though the place set out for discovery on the map was vast with hills, mountains, cliffs, etc., the good thing was that for every mission, the system had drawn a triangular red dot around the targeted area that he was meant to explore. Bottom line, he was supposed to step out of the boundary if he ever wanted to find the herd. If the path he took didn't lead him to be herb, he could just take another until the entire targeted area lit up from its current pitch black appearance. Of course, one shouldn't underestimate the amount of land to cover within the perimeters. With his speed and cultivation level, it would take an entire day to run across the place without stopping. But for those with lower cultivations, it might take days. With Wei Wei in his chest, he dashed away like lightning. Now, where exactly was the yellow fingot? For hours had gone by, and he still hadn't found the yellow fingot herb yet. Nonetheless, those watching the live broadcast weren't bored. Why? Because the camera had been capturing him doing several stunts. First, he saved a baby 1-star tiger cub from getting eaten by a 2-star jade scorpion, the size of himself. Then he passed through a jungle region with several dangerous baboons and ran while swinging from vine to vine. Following that, he even did an Olympic-level dive down a cliff. But the most shocking thing was that mid-air he took out, and his sword began air surfing downwards. And when he was about to splash the water, the sword tilted upwards, sliding on the water until it reached the shores. I'll go, boss. Are you trying to provoke us? We know that you're better than us, all right? I'm now a devoted fan of the boss. Just look at the boss's face. No matter what he faces, it's always the same. My dear, I was almost licking my membership card at the boss's awesomeness. Wait, have you guys realized we still don't know the boss's full strength? Yeah, that's true. All this time, the boss hasn't fought and has just been avoiding everything. Guys, is the boss weak? No way. I think it's because he wants to save his energy for his missions. Ha 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 ha. Did anyone see how shocked Wei Wei's face was? Little Wei Wei almost had a heart attack when they first jumped off the cliff. I'm sure after the boss glided up his sword, Wei Wei was more relieved that he hadn't contracted a madman as his master. Ha 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 ha. Poor Wei Wei. Chu Che shook his head bitterly while looking at the shocked Wei Wei. Even though the little guy was courageous, this was probably his first time going through such an adventurous trip. Wei Wei had never done such a thing before. Even though he trusted Chu Che, the poor guy's heart still leaped out of its tiny chest. Because Chu Che had skydived and bungee jumped in his past life, he wasn't scared. The poor guy must have died over and over while they descended. Well, this was good. It would build up his courage a bit more, even though Wei Wei had just broken through his mortal body a few hours ago. With that, the duo continued their journey until they heard someone yelling from but far away. You there! Stop where you are and give me everything that you've got. Understood. Chu Che was just about to move when the stern, domineering voice sounded out again, followed by a heavy attack. Slash. He jumped high in the air and stepped back, only to realize that the place he stood on before had a massive hole that resembled a semicircle. Additionally, some of the surrounding trees had also been slashed around their bottom parts. The barrage was going crazy with rage. Who was so bold? Who the hell dares to rob our boss? Show yourself, you bastard. You scum bandit. You better pray that I never find you, or else I'll beat you senseless. Damn it. I'm so pissed that I'm about to eat my shoe from anger. Even though I'm also angry, I still have to ask, upstairs, are you sure that you're eating your shoe from anger and not from anything else? Understood. Hoof, hoof, hoof. Wei Wei barked angrily, while Chu Che stood as calm as a mountain. Wei Wei, it's okay. Just treat this person as someone with brain problems. Hoof. Bam. The so-called robber descended from on top of a tree, cracking the ground beneath him. Yo, who did you say has brain issues? Chu Che squinted his eyes and calmly looked at the person before him. The robber wore thick but expensive blue and green clothes belonging to some sect. The man before was undoubtedly 202, which was very young in the cultivation world where people could live for hundreds and thousands of years. The man was actually a youngster in this world, and judging from his extremely youthful face that looked nothing above 18, the 202-year-old man probably felt young too. Through the screen, Bo Su and the rest from the profound sect recognized his uniform.sh. He was from the Holy Fountain sect, the #1 sect within the top province. The Cagnan continent, aka the lower region, had 3 provinces on the plain, the top province, Bailong, and Yangning provinces, and within the top province, the Holy Fountain sect was the strongest. Bo Su and the rest hated to admit it, but the Holy Fountain sect was far superior to their profound sect, and the number of geniuses that the Holy Fountain sect had birthed was astronomical. Nianzhu and Tsangai scoffed in disdain. They had suffered countless losses with the elders from the Holy Fountain sect. How could they like a disciple of the same sect? Their reason for hating them was because these guys always liked taking things from others. They stole 5 of their quotas for the provincial battles, as well as stole many other things from them. Those guys were just impossible. As for the Holy Fountain sect they were watching from his robe, they could tell that he was a core disciple. But they felt like Chu Che should be able to handle it. They had to admit, they were also excited about watching the duo battle. They too wanted to know just how strong the boss was. They bit their lips and gripped their membership cards anxiously. Boss Chu, kick his ass. The core disciple glanced at the flying object in curiosity, but the more he looked at it, the more he liked it. So didn't you hear what I said just now? Listen here, boy. You're looking at a genuine core disciple from the Holy Fountain sect. Typically, I wouldn't rob people. But you see, I thought I took enough money for my mission. But on my way, I couldn't help stopping at a local inn and getting along with a few girls, if you know what I mean. And now my pockets are almost emptied out. That isn't that sad? The man said while showing his empty pockets. But kid, don't feel bad. I won't hurt you if you prove difficult. All I want is your money and that flying thing. That should be enough for me when I reach the closest city. Sigh. Just take this as a life lesson that in fact, you should even be thanking me for giving you such a personal lesson. Hey, don't look at me like that. I'm not the bad guy here. That I'm just someone who wants to teach you the way of life as a good brother. Suddenly, his aura grew fierce. Boy, I advise you to empty your pockets and you and your little dog won't get hurt. After all, it would be a real shame if I ended up killing you. What would your parents say? Just from the things I've already seen on you, I can tell that you're from a wealthy family. So be good. And you might be able to see your family again. Listening to the guy talk arrogantly and even sit on a rock, the barrage instantly erupted. Despicable. Nima, this guy opened his mouth, and I want to swallow him raw. How can someone be so hateful? What stupid lesson? Is it the boss's fault that this guy blew all his money on women? Before this, I looked up to people within the Holy Fountain sect, but now I'm withdrawing all my reverence. They're nothing but scum. Upstairs, it might just be this guy that's scum, not the entire sect. Nonetheless, my appreciation for the sect has gone down a bit. How can they produce such garbage? This guy is definitely a Megarian. He talks just like her. Maybe your relatives? What? A Megarian. Go to hell and burn where you belong, scum. At Chu, the core disciple sneezed. Who was talking crap about him? The core disciple who had unknowingly been insulted still wore a broad smile on his face while staring at Chu Che playfully. Kid, don't look at me like I'm some sort of villain I don't have all day. Just hand everything over fast. Hoof, hoof, hoof. Jarrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr going crazy. Chu Che calmly ran his hands through the fur on its head to calm the little guy down. AS for the robber before him. Chu Che wasn't worried at all. He secretly rolled his eyes at the guy, wishing their conversation would end fast. He had a deadline to finish his mission. All right? I can't give you my things, they're mine and not yours. The core disciple looked at him as if he were an idiot. He also tried seeing through Chu Che's strength, but failed at of course. There are two possibilities. Point one was that the brat was stronger than him, or just plain mortal that AS for how he dodged the attack earlier. He might be carrying talismans or rune papers that detected danger and push him back if he was about to get hit. Unfortunately, the weak talisman could only take the boy a little distance back. If it were a powerful one, he might have appeared several miles from here instead. Talismans were very popular with mortals who dared go deep in the forest to collect lower-level herbs that only grew in slightly to moderately dangerous areas. Hey, the reward was good, and sometimes mortals ventured out when in desperate situations. Who knows, maybe this kid's mother was dying at home, or something, and used their only talisman passed down from generation to generation. That it was all very possible. They asked for whether the brat was stronger than him. He immediately ruled out that possibility. What a joke. He was already at the first dan of the spirit realm. And from the kid's breath, he knew his real age was 1/6. Oh, how could a 16-year-old kid possibly be tougher than himself, who was at the second Dao? There's never been anyone so young that had reached his current strength at the age of 16. Besides, how could a poor peasant who wants in any sect possibly grow that strong? After all, without finances and support from the large sects, how else was one supposed to rank up? Even the luxurious large clans couldn't provide everything that a sect could. Sect had numerous alchemists, raw materials, connections, etc. That said, how could this nameless kid be more powerful than he, who was already at the second Dao? When looking at things from a logical perspective, he felt more and more convinced about his speculations that in his mind. The kid was immortal with a few talismans or tricks. Kid, is that thing your puppet? Chu Che glanced at his flying membership card briefly. You could say that. In fact, Chu Che didn't know what to describe it as. After all, unlike weapons, paintings, and other artifacts, the membership card seemed to have a mind of its own and moved about when it was live streaming. Zihao's eyes lit up in curiosity. Even if it was a useless artifact, the fact that he had never seen it before made him want to take a look at it or have it. Could it be a flying puppet? The membership card floating around really intrigued him. He still couldn't tell the kid's cultivation level, meaning the kid was mortal to SO. Apart from having talismans, this puppet thing was also here for the kid's safety. It looks like the little imp was belittling him. Who was he? A core disciple of the Holy Fountain sect. Losing to a mortal was impossible. Chu Che looked at the sun anxiously. He wanted to finish his missions as fast as possible. SO, can this guy hurry it up? If you're attacking, then attack. If not, then please move on. Seeing his anxious look, Zihao smirked confidently. As expected, the kid was frightened. His eyes flashed with a murderous glint while clenching his sword. Kid, if you had done as I said, then I would have at most given you a little beating after taking your things. But now, it's too late for that. In your next life, act smarter. Like lightning, Zihao made his way towards Chu Che, who stood by calmly a little further away. Everyone within the live broadcast clutched their chests in fear. Boss, move, move, move. Damn it. I can't watch. Who will save our boss? Even though that core disciple is despicable, it looks like he truly has the strength to back it up. Upstairs, whose side are you on? Oh my god, is the boss going to be alright? Boss, please move, move. Time seemed to be moving at an incredibly slow pace as everyone glued their eyes so close to their membership cards that they almost kissed them. What's going to happen to the boss? Their hearts sank deeply. Chu Che, who was pitted, looked at the incoming Zihao and secretly smiled. Finally, he can get this over with and be on his way. Zihao's eyes were bloody as he smiled victoriously when he was just a few steps away from Chu Che. Boy, this is what you get for going against people from my sect. You can go for now. Bam! The barrage in the live stream who had closed their eyes in fear finally opened them and were left in a daze. Underscore, everyone was dumbfounded. Could anyone tell them what was going on? Everyone took a full minute to react to what just happened. What kind of operation is this? Where did the flying beast come from? Sigh. The forest is truly an unpredictable place. Was that a grade 2 three-headed bull? Ha 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 ha. I just realized that you could replay and watch in something called slow motion. Everyone should check it out. Ha 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 ha. The look on Mr. Core Disciple's face is priceless. I'm definitely saving this for later. I laughed so hard that I'm crying now. I can only bow down for the boss luck. What kind of heaven-defying luck is this? Could it be that he was the son of the heavens? Chu Che, who was miraculously saved, moved closer and picked up a loose tooth on the ground. Mr. Core Disciple, did you lose a tooth? Zihao, who was under the bowl, underscore Mr. Core Disciple, did you lose a tooth? Zihao, who was under the bowl, underscore, the barrage watching a live stream was going crazy. Bah, I didn't notice that the boss was such a sly fellow. Boss, you know you won by luck, right? So why are you rubbing it? I'll go. Boss Chu is really savage. Why do I feel bad for the bull? It seems to have turned into a scapegoat who will take Mr. Core Disciple's rage. What stupid Core Disciple? From now on, his name will be but Lip. Ha, that's the perfect name for him. Watching in slow motion again, I just realized that the bull's but completely buried his face. Ha. Chu Che, who had no idea what his actions seemed to imply, dared to talk about the matter again while holding out the tooth. Mr. Core Disciple, here, your tooth. Zihao's face turned red with rage. He had never been so humiliated in his entire life. As one of the young masters of one of the most prominent clans within Rainbow City, coupled with the fact that he was also a Core Disciple, people had to lick his feet, give him way, and dared not offend him. Back in the sect, he was stronger than the elders who looked after the outer and inner disciples. He was looked upon with fear, envy, and reverence. Oh, how could he take it when this little imp, this lowlife, this good-for-nothing, dared to mock him? In his eyes, Chu Che was definitely mocking him by dangling his missing tooth before him. Luckily, even though he was out on a group mission, everyone had their own thing to do to S. He had made plans to meet at a particular city close to the mission vicinity to S. He came out alone. But who knew that a mere mortal would trample on him? If word got out, forget about his clan. Even those in the sect would lose respect for him that a Core Disciple lost to a person with a mortal body. Didn't that mean that he too was trash? At this point, Zihao blamed Chu Che for his predicament. It was all the bastard's fault for stalling and wasting him until fate brought a bull to smack his face. Keep today's event secret. He had to kill the boy. Who knows if the brat would go around bragging about it. Even though he hadn't told the imp his name, he still felt uncomfortable about the matter. As the old saying went, nothing could stay hidden under the sun for long. It could take a day or even a million years for the truth to come alight. But why take that chance of waiting it out when his opponent was just before him? For the sake of his reputation, the boy had to die. Seeing Chu Che still holding out the tooth, Zihao was so angry that he started puking out blood from his already bloody mouth. Bluff. Chu Che looked on curiously. Mr. Core Disciple, are you okay? You shut up for me. In what world do I look okay to you? Zihao began punching the heavily injured three-headed bull to get it off him, of course. The beast also fought back using its teeth and horns, but sadly had no energy to lift itself. Just you wait. I'll get you once I'm free. Well, I'm afraid I don't have time to play with you anymore, Mr. Core Disciple. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to you. Do you think I'll forgive you after humiliating me like this? Dream on. Chu Che furrowed his brows in confusion. Wait, Mr. Core Disciple, I think there's a mix-up somewhere. What the hell are you talking about? Firstly, I want the one who made you lose your tooth. It was the bull. Why would I apologize for that? Then dum-dum, what exactly are you apologizing for? Mr. Core Disciple, a bull just flew by at an incredible speed while being heavily injured. Shouldn't you be worried about how it got injured? Zihao's pupils dilated. Mr. Core Disciple, in about 10 breaths, a stampede of beasts will come this way. You see, I have something very urgent to do. I'm apologizing for abandoning you to take care of it. Make that 8 breaths. For your tooth. I know you're just being shy to take it, so I'll keep it under this leaf. Farewell, Mr. Core Disciple. With that, Chu Che turned around and waved heroically without looking back, as if he had just done something remarkable that needed Zihao's gratitude. But little did he know that his kind actions weren't interpreted as such. You get back here now, Zihao exclaimed while staring at the disappearing figure in rage. Damn it. While underneath the heavy 3-star beast whose skin was ridiculously thick, Zihao punched and kicked with all his might while avoiding the beast attacks as well. His word had been knocked off his hands and flew a little distance away, so he would only gather chi to his fists and shatter the damn beast. The thing that gave him strength was his rage and his imagination. That's right. He instantly pictured the bull as Chu Che and continuously beat the injured thing mercilessly. He looked utterly crazed as he opened his eyes wide and twisted his lips like a nut job. He swore that even if he had to turn the entire lower realm over, he would hunt Chu Che down and skin him alive. Even if he didn't know the imp's name, he still remembered his face. All he had to do was draw his image and place a hefty bounty on his head in any assassin guild. How fought his way out from under the beast. But the moment that he was out, it was already too late. Zihao's eyes widened in alarm while watching over 20 beasts running his way. What was this situation? What made the situation so damn hateful was that when they saw him, they looked at him hungrily, as if they hadn't eaten for days. He had so many questions. What exactly made them run? And why did they seem so starved? There was no helping it. He was just one man. With that, he ran as fast as he could, while secretly cursing Chu Che. This was all his fault. Mortal peasant, I will never let you go. Zihao ran as fast as he could, while loudly cursing Chu Che. I'll get you soon, mortal peasant. Just you wait. Just then, Chu Che, who was far away from him, suddenly sneezed. Well, it must have been Mr. Core disciple who was grateful to him and secretly thanking him. After all, he did remind him of the danger coming his way, even though they were enemies just a moment ago. Plus, he gave back his tooth that that should count as something, right? Chu Che felt mighty good about it, moving around the uncharted black areas on his map. Meanwhile, the barrage was still having fun with the last incident. I'll go. Boss Chu left the poor beast to take all of but Lip's rants. No, it should be the other way around. Didn't you hear the boss say a stampede of beasts was coming their way? So it would be Mr. But Lip who will suffer the most. Ha ha! In the end, we still haven't seen the boss fight yet. I know, right? I thought this would be a big fight, but it turned out to be a kissing battle instead. The barrage was truly absorbed with this live streaming thing. There was no dull moment at all. They loved commenting and getting absorbed in action too. Now, they only wanted to see what sort of A-class mission the boss chose. Very quickly, Chu Che picked up the pace and flew by like lightning, causing Wei Wei to stick his tongue out as if he were in a car. The rare yellow fingot grew in very humid and dark regions. The IT was a strange plant that didn't like the chi from the sun and looked like a sparkling yellow diamond in the shape of a plant, and no doubt, it should be within a cave. But since the flower also took in water, the cave he was looking for wasn't a dry one. The cave he was looking for should have streaming water flowing through it or found somewhere within in short, the caves he was looking for should not be too far away from stream, river, or water source. So once he located the water source, he could trail along until he found what he was looking for. Of course, along with all water sources, there should be deadly beasts there. But so what? He had to get the flower. The only thing that made him a little worried was that if there was a river here, then that also meant that there were many streams broken into different separate directions like a spider's web, and he would have to check every one of them. Who knew if the cave he was looking for would be around a stream someplace far away? He was hoping his luck was as good as it was earlier on. Soon, he found a stream and began trailing it while carefully observing the areas around. But his luck didn't seem great. He found his way to the river where all the streams connected. As expected, there were beasts of different kinds, all shredded out far away from each other while drinking water vigilantly. As soon as he arrived, a massive grade 3 blue-horned serpent popped out of the water in a flash and swallowed a 5 feet tall jade rabbit. Plop. Sigh. Nature could be so brutal. Chu Che continued his search, staying far away from the animals along the stream, and decided to take another stream back again, which led him deeper and deeper towards the other end of his map. But this time his journey bore fruits. Rumble, rumble. The ground trembled a bit, and instantly, over 50 grade 3 borehole spiders burst out of the ground fiercely. The spiders made loud, very high-pitched hissing sounds that scared the nearby lower-level bird beasts around. Their heads had drills on them that looked like cone hats, but despite that, their entire bodies were that of a spider. Of course, they could still shoot flaming webs that would burn whatever they touched. Everyone in the barrage jumped F. Their boss was dead. One couldn't stress it enough, but most people could at most fight grade 1 and 2 beasts. Grade 3 beasts could be handled by people as strong as Old Fru and above within the first Dao cultivation, True Chi realm. And grades 4 and 5 beasts could be dealt with by those in the second Dao, the spirit realm. With all these grade 3 borehole spiders, how could they not feel worried for the boss? How could one person handle so many on their own? Mommy, live streams were scary. Chu Che took out the swords belonging to the original owner from the system storage space, making the barrage both excited and scared. I'm going. This time the boss is willing to fight. Boss, what are you waiting for? Hey, aren't you running? Forget about fighting them and run. Yeah, boss. All jokes aside, even though we want to see you in action, we still don't want you to die. Who will give us the chance to teleport to another world if you go? Boss, please don't do it. I still haven't played enough of God of War. If you go. Won't this place close down? Boss, for the sake of your fans, run, run, run. Straight face. The system looked at its darling host pitifully. Why did it feel like the fans of its host weren't caring for him, but were more concerned about the game? At times like this, it's good that his darling host was a blockhead. Chu Che, who had no idea about what was being said in the barrage, wasn't surprised by the emergence of these spiders at all. After all, after arriving here, he noticed that the entire floor had dark blue dots. Dark blue dots were for beasts.so since the map showed them. Then that meant that they were either above or below him. And wouldn't you know it, they popped out the moment they realized his presence. The way they surrounded him while others stood beside the cave made him realize that there was something in the cave that they wanted to hoard for themselves. Chu Che held one sword over his shoulder with one hand and held the other behind his back. The camera flew in, capturing his heroic look, all the while making sure to capture the spiders. It was like a blockbuster movie brought to life. Chu Che smiled calmly. All right, now let's begin, shall we? Chu Che looked at the spiders and turned serious. Meanwhile, everyone in the barrage was jumping excitedly too. Everyone, look at the boss swords. Instantly, tiny lines formed on Chu Che's sword that started glowing a deep dark reddish-orange color, as well as emitting a light orange color too. Then out of nowhere, flames wholly engulfed the swords while Chu Che was holding onto them. And when this happened, they seemed to feel the strong and rich chi emitted from the sword through their membership card. The chi was the strongest they had ever felt within the lower realm. Everyone stood up in shock. How could they feel the power miles away? No sword or weapon in the lower realm had ever glowed like that before. Swords themselves didn't catch fire or glow. Instead, they just transferred the fire like a medium. Swords could create rings of blowing fire or any other glowing techniques, drawing it out. But no matter what, the sword itself didn't glow or move. It was just a medium that, in ancient books, only spirit-infused weapons could glow like that. But this was a lower realm, yes, but they had no spirit weapons here. Everyone's eyeballs bulged wide, open speechlessly. Some even wiped their eyes to ensure they didn't see it wrong. Nianzu and Songhai stood up excitedly on the spot. Their hands trembled while gripping their membership cards tightly. Their faces were so close to the cards that it looked like they wanted to enter the cards themselves. What did they just see? Were those the legendary spirit weapons? Damn, they can die happily now. As if feeling the massive pressure from the swords, the spiders started contemplating whether to flee or not. But how could Chu Che let them go? If he wanted to venture into the cave without getting sneak attacked now, and then he had to take them out in a flash, he rushed forward, leaving behind a deep, cracked surface where his feet were. The spiders all shot planting webs at him while trying to flee, but Chu Che neatly avoided them. And soon the spiders jumped high in the air toward him like ninja spiders. Chu Che also jumped in the air and threw his blades at the closest enemies beside him, planting his blades into them. Rage of Ares. Boom! The flames around his sword increased and left sparks of fire wherever they went. Slash, slash, bam. Ha, slash. The swords moved like magic, slashing and spreading fire to the spiders. One slash instantly killed 12 spiders. But Chu Che wasn't over yet. When there were just 2 more left, he swiftly sent his blades at them, stabbed their bodies, and hauled them over as if he was Scorpio in Mortal Kombat. The spiders shot their flaming webs anxiously, but he dodged them. At this point, the spiders truly found Chu Che hateful. Human, why won't you just die? Foo-foo. They anxiously shot as many webs as they could, but unfortunately for them, they were up against Chu Che, who didn't waste any more time and slashed off their limbs with one deadly move that took out a few of them in one go. Slash, the spiders wailed in pain and glared at the human before them. Of course. Chu Che couldn't be bothered by their emotions and quickly attacked those close to him. He sliced one's head off its body and split another in half with his bare hands in a very gruesome manner. From there, he continued raining terror on these beasts as for the barrage watching. They had left them in a daze. What? Everyone blinked and looked at their cards, making sure their eyes weren't deceiving them. These were grade 3 borehole spiders, for heaven's sake. So how could dozens of them die from a single slash? The most jaw-dropping thing was that once the enemy died, they turned into ashes. Could it be that the flames from Chu Che's swords were that strong? Wipe! What was this fairy operation? Bosu looked at it and screamed in excitement. The moment he saw the techniques, he knew what the boss had done. Many others knew this too. The boss turned his sword into Kratos' blades of chaos. The moment he screamed, rage of fury, I quickly went to my knees in awe. Damn, my poor heart almost stopped. Lying trough. Can anyone tell me if I'm dreaming or not? Doesn't this mean that we can use the techniques from the other world? I can't stand it anymore. I have to try this out now. Me too. Even if I'm taking a dump, no condition can stop me from getting Ares' power. Damn, I want to beat up the boss for not telling us sooner, but I know that if I try, I'll be the one in pain. Ha ha ha. Upstairs, glad you know, because no one will save you. For the boss, I can only kneel and worship. The boss is mighty? Why do I feel that Mr. Butt-Lip was lucky earlier on? If the boss had gone all out on him, wouldn't he have turned into dust? I take back what I said earlier. The boss isn't weak at all. Can someone who can do this kind of damage be considered weak? The boss is mighty. 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 Straight face. Chu Che strategies his head embarrassingly after looking at the comments. He turned around and felt even worse after seeing the level of destruction he did. It was the sort of damage Saitama in one punch left after training on mountains or beating monsters. There was miles worth of destruction all around him. He pursed his lips and sighed. Was he too overpowered? Sigh. The life of an overpowered person was truly stressful, that if those in the barrage heard what he said, they would immediately take back their compliments. Just go and die. What a hateful person. Flaming sword. It was a flaming sword. Degree 0 degree. The barrage went crazy with the flaming swords. Likewise, Chu Che looked at the swords in his hands and felt even more pleased. Many online had already guessed the truth of the matter. Like in the game, Kratos had a link or connection with his swords. This connection was similar to the spiritual connection one might have with spirit/soul weapons that needed only the mind or soul to control. The more one played, the more chi they absorbed from the games. But the chi there was slightly different and stronger, giving them the ability to harness spirit weapons without necessarily ascending to the next domain. That is, if they were up to the task. As park owner, Chu Che had played almost every night even though he had already completed the game. Playing numerous times gave one more insight into the game techniques, as well as a better handle at harnessing the game's chi in this world. And each time he played, it seemed like a different experience because of the game characters and changes that had minds of their own. Nonetheless, harnessing the power of the chaos flames of Ares in the game wasn't an easy feat after all. Ares was a G-O-D-S-O. It wasn't going to be easy. With the enemies down, it was finally time to complete his mission. Chu Che ran through the cave with Wei Wei on his chest, who, by the way, was still looking at him in awe. Wei Wei was convinced its master was strong. Luckily, it was smart enough to make a contract with Chu Che. It raised its chest proudly at its achievement. Obviously, it had good vision. Chu Che, who had gained more loyalty points, casually ran into the cave calmly. Looking at the map, even though he saw several blue dots around, those blue dots didn't move at all. In short, they seemed to be running away from him instead. After the epic battle, the spiders who stayed in the caves dared not come close to him. They weren't that many to begin with after he took care of the rest outside, so it would be suicide on their part to get close to him. Unlike grade 1 and 2 beasts with very low intelligence and only survive by instinct, one could think of grade 3 beasts as the transitional state where the creature's intelligence enhances to SO grade. 3 beasts have somewhat higher intelligence than the latter. 8T this stage, their attacks become calculated, and they can defend or protect themselves using magical treasures. Like humans, all beasts also want to level up, but the lower grade ones, 1 and 2, only have the primary instinct to level up their battle, and so on. Only the grade 3 and above are smart enough to start collecting treasures, rate plants, etc. That said, compared with grades 4 and 5 beasts, grade 3 beasts were dumbed up. In short, the higher they leveled up, the smarter some were. Legend has it that there were some beasts who, while accompanying their immortal masters, transformed into humans. This was especially true for dragons, and even though no one in the lower realm had ever seen one, the ancient books wouldn't lie, right? Chu Che dashed through the cave speedily, and when these spiders heard Chu Che's movements, they were smart enough to keep away from him. Of course, some still tried sneaking up on him, but died painfully. Chu Chu ran through several interconnected tunnels, passing piles and piles of bones, along the way until he reached a massive pool in open space within the cave. The pool's water glowed in a yellowish tint. Chu Che saw this, and his eyes lit up. Wasn't he looking for the yellow fingot plant that resembled a crystal? It was probably what caused the water to have that color. The spiders probably drink the water, gaining strength as well. Anyway, apart from the weirdly glowing yellow water, something else caught Chu Che's attention. The entire pool of water kept swirling around nonstop, all the while avoiding the center of the pool. How exactly did the plant cause the water to change when it wasn't even touching it? The answer was simple, through its roots, and one shouldn't forget how the plant made an entire pool swirl around the center. It was indeed a powerful rare plant, and oh wonder it only grew once every 10 years. Chu Che nodded after thinking things through and again took out his blade. Instantly, several flakes of ice appeared on the blade, and in a twinkle of an eye, the tiny flakes then grew into massive ice blocks that made everyone in the barrage go crazy. Boss Chu, what power is this now? Why did it feel and look so terrifying? Yet again, they could feel the heavy chi through their membership cards. But what shocked them was that apart from the blocks of ice on the sword, several chains of ice had now been formed connecting the sword to Chu Che's hands at F. What was this operation? Chu Che walked to the pond's edge while answering everyone's questions. After his battle, he unmuted the audio for the comments. From time to time, he would either mute or unmute, depending on the situation. After listening to their questions, he didn't see any issues answering them. Many of you are wondering what this new skill is and if it's in God of War. And the answer is yes, it's a skill that can be acquired through God of War. Once you all complete the entire game, throughout your play, you will acquire 4 core magic elements that do different things. There are 4 elements are Fire of Ares, Lightning of Zeus, the Soul of Hades, and the Ice of Poseidon. Each element has over 20 skills that one can master. What? The barrage was shocked silly. There were so many. Degree. There were so many powers in God of War. The barrage was dumbfounded and left in a daze. Many stood up abruptly and ran around excited for a bit, with their eyes still focused on their cards. Their bodies trembled with excitement as they listened to Chu Che. Ha 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 ha! Didn't this mean that they might be able to use lightning? If they could take skills from the God of War realm, they should be able to do the same from Mortal Kombat 2, right? The barrage was boiling even more. Everyone, I just thought of something. Boss Chu said that in God of War, the Lightning of Zeus is one of the 4 magical elements with numerous skill sets. If we learn this Lightning of Zeus and maybe combine it with Senior Raiden's distinct skills, then wouldn't we be invincible? I thought of that too. Yesterday, I saw Boss Chu fight Senior Sub-Zero, who had ice abilities. But from what Boss Chu is saying now, one of the other elements in God of War is the Ice of Poseidon. We can also combine these skills to become invincible. Yeah, but even though they are similar, the skills from Sub-Zero's are different from what the Ice of Poseidon gives. Upstairs is right. With the Ice of Poseidon, Boss Chu said that there are 3 different skills, which are the same as trying to read 30 different cultivation manuals. He's right that I heard that those in Major Sect could most understand 2 skills from the same element. One might only be able to master the Ice Strike or Ice Fists, but mastering all was paramount to being godly, and all this was just for the Ice of Poseidon. Then what more of Sub-Zero's skills? Bottom line, we can't be too greedy. But Boss Chu said that we would be able to learn more depending on how long we spend in those realms. I think we should be able to learn more. Lying trough, even with such difficulty. How can Boss Chu master everything? What sort of genius is he? Nianzu and Sangai's hands trembled in disbelief. From the card, they could feel how strong the attack was. They didn't know how it worked, but from so far away, they could feel the powerful chi emitting from the moves. Seeing the damage it caused made them open their eyes wide without blinking that if their sect had such skills, they would undoubtedly become the greatest in the lower realm skills, or techniques were ranked low to high as low grade, mid grade, and high grade. Well, these were all they in the lower realm knew. In their domain, one could only find a ton of low-grade techniques, as well as a few mid-grade ones. Here, the mid-grade ones were looked at like treasures, again, from a few sect elders who ascended and came back for a final last time. When the rift opened, they brought in a little more information, which confirmed that the ordinary domain had high-grade techniques. Those who came typically visited for just a day or a few hours, who would want to come back to the lower realm. Now that they've ascended, cultivation was harder, and if they didn't spend as much time as possible breaking through, they would for sure grow old and die. Plus, those who ascended had to start all over, joining sects and not having many vacations. They were now the highest ever. Oh, where did they have the time? That said, those in the lower realm only thought that cultivation skills were ranked from low grade to high grade. But that was far from the truth. The upper realm had holy grade techniques, and the domains above had supreme, immortal, celestial, and a few other grades. For Nianzu and Sangai, with their limited knowledge, they felt that these skills were high-grade ones found in the ordinary realm. How if they were to know the true value of these skills? They would definitely faint in a W-A-T this moment. They stared closely at their cards and dared not blink. Damn, their little hearts couldn't take all this, all right? Chu Che, who was unaware of their emotions, still went on explaining all he knew. Earlier on, I invoked the Fire of Ares and used several skills to kill the borehole spiders. And now, I've invoked the Ice of Poseidon. As for why? That's simple. Apart from being able to freeze enemies, it also allows me to breathe underwater. Silence. Once again, everyone looked at Chu Che as if he were speaking another language. Did they just hear him say that he was able to breathe underwater? They felt dizzy with shock, smiling bitterly. Why did it seem like Boss Chu was trying to give them a heart attack? This was too magical. Bo Su's eyes shone passionately while thinking about such a skill that it would definitely save his life one day. Even little Lulu wanted such a skill. This way, she would be able to swim with all her fish in her pond too, right? Everyone's ears perked up while Chu Che continued his lecture, and as he spoke, he switched the feed to show his map instead. And everyone looked with interest at S.O. This was what the map looked like while going on missions. They had to say it was completely different from the park map. The mission map was different from the paper map they received. The paper map was all visible, which showed disappearing doorsteps that seemed to come alive. But the map highlighted on the interface during missions looked exactly like the maps gamers used. Like Chu Che had explained earlier on, the entire map given to everyone was pitch black. Only when passing through a region would everything about that place show. The most exciting thing is that while out on missions, they would get to see an invisible blue interface pop up before their very eyes. Even reading comments could be done like this, which instantly reminded them of the realms and gaming hall. Everyone had listened about this earlier on, but seeing it now still shook them. Yup, the maps given for missions were completely different. Chu Che patted Wei Wei's head gently, while observing the strange pool before him. Some of you are also wondering why I'm standing at the edge of the pool and not going into. That's because looking at the map, we can see several long blue dots swimming towards me. Blue dots. Many listened attentively, and Chu Che continued. With the waters tinted yellow, it's hard to see what's lurking in the swirling waters. But with the map, this shouldn't be a problem for mission takers. That said, it seems that these water beasts want to sneak up on me. Oh, why not let them? The scene switched back, and the camera focused on the water, making everyone tense. They didn't know why, but watching the steady swirling ripples made their hearts beat loudly. They were really on the edge of their seats from watching the action, so much so that some even forgot breathing for a bit. Silence. Everyone watched in silence as they waited and waited for whatever was down there. The most frightening thing was that while waiting, Chu Che had selected a creepy song added to make the scene look like a horror movie. The tension was high. Some girls placed their hands over their eyes fearfully, but still spaced out their fingers in order to continue watching the blockbuster scene before them. Boss, just back away. Now, I'm so scared that I might never go to a lake again. Who knows what sort of beast will be lying there, waiting to swallow me whole? Hell, at this rate, Boss Chu will get eaten by whatever is down there. Boss, can you please step away from the edge of the pool? Damn, did I feel like I'm the one standing there instead? What is this? For the first time, people seemed to have watched a live scene from a horror movie. And just like how typical audiences do, many began telling Boss Chu not to go towards the danger. Everyone felt overly anxious as a wave of despair filled their hearts. They swallowed their saliva and stared intensely at their cards. They had to admit that even though they were terrified for Boss Chu, a part of them was still excited as ever. What sort of creatures were in there? But didn't wait long because soon, the wait was over. Shah! What? Everyone had a big jump scare when they saw 4 gigantic grade 3 beasts burst out the water with their enormous mouths wide open. Bosu and those from the profound sect exclaimed in shock while watching. Lycor beast! Lycor beast! It was actually a Lycor beast. These beasts were essentially long serpents. And at grade 3, they evolved and had 2 hands and 3 extra sets of eyes around their heads. Also, the end of their tail was hardened, making it as sharp as a sword's. They were definitely not something just anyone could deal with. With Bosu's level, he could barely fight grade 2 beasts. If he did, he would need more help to take out a single one like Atiya's strength. He could only comfortably deal with upper peak grade 1 beasts. And even though Chu Che had previously fought all those grade 3 spider beasts, when it came to Lycor beasts that reached grade 3, that was an entirely different matter. Ati grade 3, Lycor beasts had incredible strength that was very much close to grade 4 beasts. With that sort of strength, they mainly were handled by those in the second Dao, the spirit realm. Of course, people with old Fru's strength can still handle them, but not alone. Point 1 needed 3 or more of them to take down a single Lycor. But yet, for Lycors that jumped out to attack Chu Che, how would he be able to handle it? They remembered his previous battle with the spiders where he turned dozens of them with one slash and fell deep in thought again. Could it be that he could take all 4 on? In just this split second, countless thoughts ran through everyone's mind. And no matter how they reacted, Chu Che's expression was the same. Grah! The beasts let out their battle cries. They opened their mouths wide at him, moving at an incredible speed. But Chu Che was faster. He immediately slammed both blades together, creating several deadly ice shards. Broken destiny. Bam! The shard went straight into their mouths, sticking the inner parts there. They screamed in agony and rage, but didn't die yet. Immovable blast. Chu Che sent his blades forth, stabbing both sides of one of the Lycor's necks before jumping on its head. He had ice chains that connected his blade to his hands. Just like Kratos in God of War S.O. with his blades on both sides of the beast's neck and him on his head. It looked like he was riding the beast like a horse. The beast obviously didn't appreciate or want anyone riding on it, as all 8 eyes rolled upward, looking at him angrily. Greya, it shook its long neck, twisting around, all the while moving its head to a close enough angle that would allow it to use its hands and squash Chu Che like a bug at the same time. The other beasts also kept snapping their mouths close to Chu Che too. The scene was chaotic. Several heads were snapping at him, as if he were Hercules in the Disney movie. But he was prepared and didn't dare slice off their heads, and oh, he had the eyes of Poseidon. So cool. The camera did a great job following all the overly heads coming at him from all angles. At some point, they even used their sharp tails too. Just watching gave everyone anxiety. Damn, I'm a person who never gets scared. But just watching this almost sent me to an early grave. Upstairs, I thought I was the only one. I originally wanted to go to the toilet. But now, I'm shaking like a leaf on my chair. I'm not ashamed that I don't even have the strength to stand up again. While watching this, someone knocked on my door, and I almost jumped out the window. Hell, what sort of setup is this? More still, why is Boss Chu calmly explaining the weaknesses of the beast when he should be worrying about himself instead? Only Boss Chu can lecture in a time like this. If I were the one, I would have already been beast food. Boss Chu is strong. Chu Che, who had muted their comments to explain the weaknesses, didn't know that he had been labeled as a strange entity. The Lycor beast has several weaknesses, but the most obvious one is the middle section of its throat. Slash. Notice that every other part around it is hardened with scales, except that spot, which is its softest outer skin. You can't miss it. It's pinkish and easy to identify. Some in the online barrage seriously took notes, as they too planned to go on group missions. What if they met with such a beast? Of course, they could teleport back in a flash, saving their lives, but they would like to try fighting first. And so, they took note of everything Chu Che said. While talking, he had been taking out the other 3 Lycors, leaving just one behind. Everyone, even though that's its main weak point, achieving a solid hit is the most challenging task if one isn't skilled or prepared enough. The beast has 3 additional sets of eyes after becoming a grade 3 beast, giving it a total of 8 eyes around its head. So, the only way to defeat it is to outsmart it by creating a diversion. With that, Chu Che quickly sent over 20 deadly shards of ice from his blades in different directions. And as planned, the beast briefly took its eyes off Chu Che and used all 8 eyes to calculate the trajectory where the shares would land before turning his attention back to Chu Che. And within that split second, Chu Che made his move. Immovable blast. Like lightning, Chu Che's blade flew straight for the pink spot on the beast's throat. And by the time the Lycor realized that it had been fooled, it was already too late. PFFF, blood sprayed out gruesomely. Gruea, the Lycor screamed in agony, but that was not all Chu Che planned for it. The moment the sword stabbed its throat, Chu Che summoned a storm of ice that froze it to solid ice in a blink of an eye. Whoosh! The massive block of ice carrying the beast floated on the pool, moving in the direction of the swirl. Chu Che delivered a heavy blow, scattering the block into tiny pieces. Swish, 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 swish. The last Lycor was dead. The massive ice blocks fell into the water, causing monstrous waves to shoot out of the pool onto the surrounding surfaces. The last Lycor was dead. AS if on cue. The car drone's camera then showed off Chu Che's heroic pose, making many girls inwardly scream. Let me go. How can our boss be so handsome? Just look at his face carefully. A bit of sweat has formed on his face, yet he still looks so handsome. Tell me, who else can have this beautification skill? Upstairs, are you trying to insult the boss? That's obviously water from the yellow pool on his. The boss doesn't sweat. Heavens, did you see the boss's sword moves? Didn't it look like he was dancing gracefully instead? The boss's dance was so handsome that he could make the dead come back to life. My elder sister asked me what I'm watching, but after showing her the boss's face, she drove me to the kitchen to cook while she rushed to the registration hall. The key thing is that today is her day to cook, and she abandoned it all after seeing the boss's face. Ha ha ha. Upstairs, you deserve it. Don't you know how powerful the boss's face is? Handsome, handsome, handsome. Tired face. The women were busy complimenting Chu Che's face and sword moves while the men scratched their heads in embarrassment. I had eyes, but I couldn't see. Boss, is that you? Damn, did you see his moves right now? If not for the fact that I had to go back and replay it in slow motion, I wouldn't have seen anything at all. Just how strong is the boss? Everyone should remember that before killing the last Lycor, Boss Chu fought and killed the others while giving us a lecture as, oh, how strong is he? Upstairs, you're also forgetting that all this time, the boss's face has stayed the same, as if he wasn't even putting these Lycors in his eyes. For this, I can only swear that I will never go against the boss in my life. Isn't this akin to suicide? Boss atmosphere. The boss is omnipotent. Too strong. 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 While the barrage went crazy, Chu Che focused more on the yellow fingot herb.as for worrying if any other creatures were in the water. The map didn't show any blue dots at so he was good to go. Many might get confused about how the spiders and the water servant could coexist, but the answer was far more straightforward than one could imagine. Even though the Lycors had two could also crawl and walk on land, they very much prefer to be in the water because their bodies dried way faster out of water. The only difference between them and other sea creatures was that their drying time took longer. They were water-based creatures that were fortunate enough to be able to walk the land for specific amounts of time. That said, if there were no other creatures in the pool, it meant that they had to be getting their food from somewhere else. And from the looks of it, it wasn't the spiders that they regularly feasted on. So the only analysis was that there was a hole/underwater tunnel below the pool that connected this water to a larger water source. Chu Che had to be careful, in case another one swims up, standing on one of his swords while swirling around. Following the current of water, Chu Che used his other sword to freeze up the part of the water around the empty vortex in the middle of the pool. With that, he jumped into the empty space and carefully harvested the yellow crystalline herb. The entire plant looked like a jewel, making the barrage shocked. How could such a thing exist? They had never seen such a plant before. Even those from the profound sect hadn't seen it before. While everyone apart from Gao, Nianzu, and Songhai, they almost dropped their cards when they saw this. Bosu and the rest looked at them in confusion. Master, do you know what it is? No, of course I know. That's the rare yellow fingot herb that blooms once every 10 years. When turned into an elixir, it can save a cultivator 100 years of cultivation, promoting them to the next rank or higher. True. Everyone's body trembled as they looked at the yellowish crystal herb in shock. One should know that the higher one went, the more difficult cultivation was, and with how desolate and cheat efficient the lower realm was, things were difficult for many. Take, for example, old FRUT around 280 and something years old. He had just broken through to the 11th D8T, the start of one's cultivation journey. The first Dan could be broken in just a single year, and the second Dan could be broken in 4 years or more, depending on one's inborn talent. And the higher one went, the more time it took to break through. Some had already spent over 40 years just to break through from one Dan to the next as they climbed higher. Imagine an herb that could take off 100 years of cultivation, promoting one higher per their innate talent. Several people would kill for such a thing. Yet here Boss Chu was picking it up as if it were nothing, without a care in the world. Even the carefree attitude he used to carry the herb would have made many alchemists in the profound sect smack the SH out of him. Boy, do you have any idea what you're holding? Gao, who had known of their mission, nodded in agreement to what his master said. He had once gone on a mission a decade back, which was about retrieving the plant. But just like them, many sects had already received the news and rushed over. In the end, the Holy Fountain sect got the spoils of war and massacred several disciples from the profound sect. Gao didn't know whether to applaud Chu Che for his bravery or stupidity. Didn't he know that once word went out, several people would come for the yellow fingot? Wasn't he afraid that the town and the gaming hall would be destroyed? Wasn't he scared at all? If all sects came to him all at once, Gao didn't believe that Chu Che would be able to come out alive, and this was what scared him. He had just discovered the gaming hall, so how could he allow it to get destroyed? Gao was now very perplexed on whether he should tell his master about the discovery of the yellow fingot or not. What should he do? Sigh. In truth, since the matter was already on live stream, many people would definitely talk about it after this, and soon, uninvited trouble would come knocking on Che's doors. In other words, Boss Chu was already exposed to there was no need to hide it from the sect. Instead, he hoped his master and elder Songhai could bring the sect to Chu Che's side. And no matter what, he couldn't lose the gaming hall. And Boss Chu. Just like that, Chu Che had gathered another fake fan. Hoof hoof, Wei Wei barked in excitement, as if trying to express his amazement that if he were human, it would definitely start acting like those on the online barrage. Wei Wei felt like his master could achieve anything to had a sense of pride as his chest swelled up, still nestled within Chu Che's shirt. Its owner was awesome. Chu Che rubbed his head in amusement. The little guy was more spiritual than he thought. All right, Wei Wei, stay still. so we can get this out and go, that we still have one more mission to go to. Hoof. Wei Wei nodded in understanding while looking around vigilantly, just in case something tried to come at its owner. Meanwhile, Chu Che removed the herb from its roots, and the moment he did so, the water stopped swirling and rushed crushed towards the center to close up the space. Rumble. 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 Bam. The water attacked the ice shield wall he created all around the space earlier, as he expected. The ice he created was strong, but it shouldn't be long before it broke down and crumbled. Even at this moment, he could see the water thinning the layer of ice. It was like dropping cubes of ice in a bucket of water. And no matter how cold the ice is, it'll melt. Chu Che looked around and realized that the yellowish water had started turning blue. The herb was really miraculous, and no wonder it was an A-class mission. With that, Chu Che got out of the hole, left the cave, and walked out amidst the earlier destruction that he caused outside when fighting some of the borehole spiders earlier on. But not long after he stepped out of the cave, he met a very familiar face again. Mr. Butt Lip, underskirt. Zihao almost fainted when he heard what Chu Che called him. Meanwhile, the barrage was going crazy at the notion of seeing him again. Ayo, Mr. Butt Lip, is that you? Ha ha ha. What happened to him? He looks like a beggar. Poor Mr. Butt Lip. We can only blame the boss for leaving him behind. Do you think he succeeded in taking his tooth back after the boss left it behind for him? PFFF. I just remembered that he's missing one front tooth. But I'm dead. I'm really dead. Poor Mr. Butt Lip. Ha 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 ha. Seeing Chu Che, Zihao's nostrils flared up. The ridges on his neck became dangerously pronounced as his intense gaze dripped with spite. Honestly, he didn't know how Chu Che did it. But at this moment, his most hated person wasn't a cultivator to know. It was a mortal. And that mortal happened to be Chu Che. Just seeing him made him puke blood and rage. His entire being seemed to have triggered some deep enmity from within that would never extinguish unless the scoundrel was dead. What made him even more ticked off was the name that the bastard called him just now. Who the hell was Mr. Butt Lip? Was he mocking him for kissing a bull's butt before? As a core disciple, and someone from a very prominent clan, when had he ever been moved and disrespected like so? Even when the elders in his sect wanted to correct him, they dared not say anything too harsh. But yet, here this mortal was, taunting him with that name. F. The mortal had to die. Fortunately, because of his rage, he decided to search for the bastard after getting chased by those beasts for a full hour. The pain and humiliation that he went through were ones that he would never forget in his life. Chu Che looked at the disheveled Zihao and waved. They were on good terms now, right? After all, he warned Butt Lip about the incoming beasts and gave him back his tooth. Or could it be that Butt Lip here was angry about that? Yes, that it seemed to be the case. Chu Che sighed, looking at Zihao, who was slowly advancing. From a distance, he was probably depressed about forgetting to collect his youth from earlier on. Poor guy. Chu Che looked at him in pity, which left Zihao angrier than he was. He was so angry that he started speeding up to close the wide gap between them. Mortal waste, you're going to pay for the humiliation you caused me. Chu Che looked at Zihao helplessly. Why are you still angry with me about the tooth thing? Haven't you been listening to my explanation all along? As a grown man, how can you be so childish over a tooth? You shut up. Zihao felt like he was going crazy. If he allowed this fellow to continue talking, he would probably have a heart attack and die before killing the bastard. How could someone be so hateful? Zihao had closed up the gap considerably as he ran down the nearby hill to meet Chu Che. But when he was just about to reach his target, something happened. Yet again, rumble, 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 boom. The floor tore open, revealing a gigantic borehole, spider the size of a two-story house. It tore the ground. Open and appeared in the space between the two, dividing Zihao and Chu Che from each other. Everyone in the barrage opened their mouths in shock. The queen, the giant spider on the screen, was definitely the queen spider. It looked like she was angry that Chu Che had killed her babies, as well as stole the yellow fingot herb that turned the pool into an elixir, all on its own. But why did it only appear now? Could it be that it was away, or had just come out of closed cultivation? Even beasts cultivate, silently without any disturbances, just like humans. Boom! The giant spider burst out of the ground, revealing its murderous aura to all. But there was a big problem here. Where was the human it targeted? The queen was stunned that the human it had targeted had suddenly disappeared into thin air. It looked turned around angrily before spotting another human behind it. Hal looked at the spider and felt like the unluckiest person in the world. Kaya. Seeing the angry spider, Zihao once again quickly made a run for it, while silently cursing Chu Che for abandoning him to deal with yet another creature. Damn you! Damn you! Peasant mortal! This isn't the last you'll see of me. I'll find you. No matter how far you run. Very far away. Chu Che sighed in relief and smiled wryly while walking along the road. That's right, he was now on the public roads. The moment the ground burst open, he used his full strength to dash away like lightning, leaving only dust behind. Well, because his Triple S class mission should be located within a forest region a few towns and cities away from here. He wasn't given any additional teleportation passes. If his next mission were far away, he would be given an additional teleportation pass to go there, of course. If he were weaker, he would have received one more pass. But the passes were given according to the strength of the tasker. For him, it would take at most 40 minutes towards his next mission location. But for some, It might take 2 days or 3 if they constantly ran without stopping. Hence, he wasn't given any additional passes. The only teleportation pass he had was the one that would take him straight back to Wenji Town. With that, Chu Che dashed away at top speed towards the next location. He had no time to stop and fight any creatures, arrogant cultivators, or thieves lurking within the forest. That's why he chose to run along the main roads. Those driving their wagons and carriages by were utterly taken unawares when they saw the high-speed line of dust rise from the ground and pass right by them. Everything happened so fast, leaving them confused and frightened. Even their horses were taken aback and had no time to react. Funny enough, just when they felt like they would get blown away by it all, a strange force supported them, keeping them steady. Luckily, whatever had passed by didn't seem to have bad intentions, or they would have already been dead by now. Many trembled in shock and hurried off to their destinations for fear that whatever passed by might change its mind and come back at them. They had always known that this world was unsafe, but today they had a whole new meaning of just how dangerous and helpless they were in this world, dying without even knowing how they died. That wasn't this the same as them being helpless. They had to buy more safety talismans. Hoof hoof. Wei Wei was having the time of his life, enjoying the wind against his face while still nestled within Chu Che's top. Even though the wind was too much, he still enjoyed it. With their A-class mission done, it was to move on to the next. This time, Chu Che had much more trouble looking for the green non-tal flame that he searched for an entire 4 hours before finally finding its location. The barrage watched as Chu Che took out several magma beasts in awe and appreciation of his skills. Chu Che used some of Raiden's lightning skills to deal with them. The eyes of everyone burned with determination as they watched religiously. Chu Che's eyes light reddish streaks of lightning in them, making those watching fan out like people who just saw celebrities. But once again, what surprised them most was the ease with which Chu Che dealt with these beasts. Aren't these magma beasts? Yes, they are. They're really magma beasts. Wait, can anyone guess their grade? Everyone watching was a little perplexed. During the last mission, they could identify the grade of the creatures due to their distinctive features, like the Lycors that evolved extra sets of eyes after reaching grade 3. But magma beasts were different. It was said that even if they cultivated to the point where they could ascend to the next domain, they still wouldn't change much in appearance, from ancient books. It was said that they only changed after they ascended to the upper realm, unless someone were stronger than them and could sense their exact cultivation level. No one would know what grade these beasts were. There were no extra visual changes that many could point out. Even Yinzu and Songhai watched intensively, trying to determine the grade of these beasts. While watching the live broadcast, they could only feel a certain fraction of the strength of Chu Che's skills, but they couldn't feel how powerful the creatures he fought were. Since they weren't there before the creature, they could only devise things visually. Most thought these beasts were at most grade 3 beasts since Chu Che seemed not to have a problem dealing with them, of course. Others suspected they might be grade for beasts that had just broken through and hadn't stabilized their cultivation ranks yet. But no matter what they thought, Chu Che didn't even give them any response to their questions, as he was busy hurrying things up. And just like that, he had taken care of all of them, of course. He collected all the beast cores as well. Why would he leave so much money lying around? No way. He quickly gave them to the system, which in turn converted them into money for his personal use. Mission accomplished. Now he could head back to Wenji Town, but before going, there was something he needed to make sure of first. System. This teleportation pass only guarantees my passing through .s. Oh, what about Wei Wei? My darling host, it shouldn't be an issue for you. Wei Wei is already your contracted beast. He counts as your belonging. But if he weren't, he would need his own pass. Chu Che nodded and opened up his interface. Well, since that's the case, there was nothing to worry about. He rubbed Wei Wei's head and smiled. Wei Wei, we're going to Wenji Town, and we're going home. Woof, woof. Wei Wei barked excitedly in response while still nestled up within Chu Che's shirt. He too was looking forward to seeing his new home. With that, Chu Che teleported them out, making them instantly disappear like magic from that same spot. PFF. And not too long after they left, a group of cultivators soaring high up in the sky, seated on rare magical beasts, soon arrived in the same mountain region. Looking at the scene before them, their expressions instantly turned grim and livid. Who is it? Who was it? The group of terrifying cultivators got off their beasts and started at the destruction coldly. They were all wearing elder uniform from the Holy Fountain sect, the strongest sect in the top province. They also came alongside a few others from another powerful sect called the Eminent Light sect within the Bailong province. The number of geniuses produced from the top province was a far cry from those the Bailong province produced. This green non-tal flame had caused quite a disturbance once it descended onto the lower realm. The moment it reached the atmosphere, it gave off a very powerful aura that only those almost ascending could feel, and the sect elders from numerous sects who were cultivating behind closed doors quickly opened their eyes in shock and tried to pinpoint the exact location where this flame fell. Even those in the other provinces were aware of something powerful falling into the lower realm, but they couldn't find where or what province it had fallen into. This mystery made many search day and night to find the source of this strange force. Lucky for the profound sect, some elders on a mission very close by saw the green flame descend like a heavenly light, and quickly observed the situation the moment the flame descended into the area of these magma beasts. After seeing the terrifying strength of these beasts, they knew that they couldn't handle these beasts alone. So they headed back and reported the matter to the sect leader. But these magma beasts were hundreds and very unpredictable. They didn't know if all the magma beasts were extremely strong or weak, since the beasts looked the same no matter their strength. That said, they had noted some weak ones and a lot of overly powerful ones too. The key thing was that this was the lair of these magma beasts, meaning deep within the mountain caves and swimming within the mountain magma, were many other magma beasts whose strength they had no idea of. For all they knew, this place could be riddled with over 300 or more overpowered magma beasts, and they weren't ready to take the chances for failure. If they failed and caused quite a stir, other sects would get alerted as, they had to win on their first try. That's why they secretly invited people from the Eminent Light sect to assist them. Many don't know, but the sect leader of the Holy Fountain sect here in the top province, and that of the Eminent Light sect in Bailong province, were sworn brothers with a deep history. So they were somewhat confident that there would be no betrayal involved. Nonetheless, they did take precautions just in case. Anyway, elders from both sects secretly planned things out and rushed back here to defeat these beasts and take the flame. They came here fully prepared and ready for action. But who can tell them how things turn out like this? Everyone trembled in rage. Who was it? Damn it! Who would dare steal something that we, the Holy Fountain sect, have set our eyes on? Could it be people from the mystical True Force sect? Or could it be those dogs from the Profound sect? Another elder looked to the sky deep in thought. You're right in assuming that. But just like we got aid from outside the province, what if another sect did the same and beat us to it? Everyone nodded and felt it was plausible. Sect Elder Shinkai from the Eminent Light sect crossed his arms over his chest, deep in thought. It could also be people from the Yangning province who worked together with the sects here. The possibilities were many. Nonetheless, the important thing is that the damage here is fresh, meaning whoever took the flame shouldn't have gotten far away. Everyone's eyes instantly lit up, but he was right. The damage was done a few minutes ago at most, so the culprit wasn't far away. Good. Without saying a word, they all got on their beasts and began a thorough search. Elder Shinkai calmly looked around murderously. IT looked like he would have to stay in the top province for a bit longer. But who was it? Chu Che and Wei Wei, who had no idea about the turmoil they caused, happily found themselves within a mission building in a flash. Wei Wei opened its eyes wide curiously, as it had never seen such a place before. IT stuck its tongue out excitedly and quickly jumped out of Chu Che's shirt. Hoof! Hoof! The little guy jumped and skipped merrily, making the barrage smile. Everyone liked little Wei Wei. Chu Che estimated that soon the little guy might have its own fan club. After stepping off the teleportation device, Chu Che walked towards a few transparent columns at the corner of the room, which looked like those transparent transport columns in the Jetsons. There were 10 of them in total, and just beside each one was a card machine. Chu Che stood before one of the tubes and tapped his card on the machine beside it. And instantly, the tube glowed brightly. It should be that there seemed to be a light source within the tube that made it glow. Card accepted. Welcome back, Tasker Chu. Please drop task items from both missions in the transport tube, one item at a time. Chu Che nodded and first placed the rare yellow fingot within the tube. Instantly, the clear glass tube lit up from within, illuminating the crystal-like yellow fingot herb even more. Like magic, the herb started elevating, moving up the tube until he could no longer see it. Rare yellow fingot processed and accepted. Please drop the next item. Chu Che came back to his senses and took out the green non-tal flame. Congratulations again to Tasker Chu on completing your 2&D mission. For submitting the first item, 2 million coins will be rewarded to Mr. Chu. Instantly, the money appeared in bags within the spacious tube, piling on one another. Plop, 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 QQ. Chu Che saw this scene and had black lines on his face. Why did he feel like he'd become Scrooge McDuck? He grabbed one of them and opened it, revealing the bag's content. Of course, trust the camera to capture everything and even make the silver coins twinkle in the live broadcast. Those watching couldn't help but open their eyes wide in shock. F. Boss Chu is rich. Greedy face. Was it too late to ask Boss Chu to adopt them? F. Boss Chu was rich. Many looked at the bags with popped out eyes. Before Chu Che left for his mission, they were very aware of the rewards. That IT was just that it sounded too good to be true and seemed like it would keep them out for too long, away from the gaming hall. As Omni just brushed it off. But now, seeing that Boss Chu had teleported right back and even got bags of money, they felt like they had finally found a way to support themselves while spending so much. In the gaming hall, of course, they could always just kill random beasts and collect their cores for money each time. But they thought that this was the shorter and fastest way. Many, if not all, can only kill grade 1 beast at most, with a few daring to kill grade 2 beasts. Unless they were similar in strength to Old Fru, they couldn't attempt defeating a grade 3 beast. 10 grade 1 beast gives 20 hold coins, which was close to what they spent in a day while at the gaming hall. Daily, they could spend a maximum of 6 hours playing, with each hour costing 3 gold coins. Not silver, but gold. So in a day, they spent 18 gold coins, 180,000 silver coins. And in a week, that was 126 gold coins, or 1.26 million silver coins. But here was the thing. Even though 10 grade, one beast could sell for 20 gold coins. For them, it would take 2 to 3 days to kill that many beasts at once. They might end up spending 2 weeks or more hunting in the forest constantly. Many had planned only to do this when they ran out. They planned to dedicate the time to hunting before coming back and gaming straight for a week. That's right, 126 gold coins are what they needed for an entire week. That, of course, to make things easier on themselves and to keep them around the gaming hall more often. Many still chose to hunt every day once they finished their gaming session. Tea first. They thought this was the fastest way to make money. Earlier on, they thought they would have to go out for months or something on missions, just like how official sect members typically did. Again, coupled with their low cultivation, even traveling far should take days and weeks, no? At least, many thought it wasn't better than hunting beast cores around the outskirts of the forest. With their lowly strength, they dared not go too deep in. Anyway, seeing how Chu Che carried out his missions, they felt it might be the fastest way to rack up enough money. Rather than hunting daily or taking out 2 or more weeks to hunt constantly, wouldn't it be better to take up missions and finish up the takes in a matter of days rather than weeks? Thinking about it like that, they appreciated the mission hall even more. Of course, everything depended on the mission class they took. If they were E-class taskers, they might only get rewarded 2 gold coins, 20,000 silver coins per item, or something like that. But the good thing was that such tasks shouldn't take so long to accomplish. And by the end of the day, they might be able to take 4 or 5 more missions all at once. Many of them were already cultivators and should be around D-class, hence earning much more money. Looking at the example of what sort of mission each class could be given, felt like F-class missions were for mortals, while E-class missions were for those who just broke through their mortal shells. AS for them. They've been cultivators for years now, as almost should be in D-class, of course. People as strong as Bosu and the other profound sect disciples here should be in C-class or B-class, depending on their strength. Some guards in Chu Che's palace fell into this category too. Also, people as strong as Old Fru should take A-class missions, and all the SS, and triple S-class missions should be taken by those in the second Tao of cultivation, the spirit realm. Everyone knew their place as well as how much money they should be able to make from the mission hall, and no matter how they looked at it. Doing missions gave more in a shorter period when compared to their original plans. And with the way they were advancing soon, they might rank up in mission class too, earning more. The way they looked at it now, this mission hall was a blessing in disguise. Staring at the 2 million silver coins that Chu Che just received, it might seem like a lot. But in a week, they used up 1.26 million silver coins, 126 gold coins. Then this should be enough for just a week and a half. That IT was brutal, but very fair. Cultivation was expensive and hard. IT wasn't strange to spend so much on improving oneself. For the results they got from the gaming hall, they felt like it was too cheap. If it were a prominent sect, they would charge 500 gold bound or more to enter. Another realm per hour. They might even hide its existence, refusing ordinary folks like them from ever using IT. At least that's what they thought. That's why they dared not waste this sort of opportunity. Another good thing to note is that while on their missions, they still had a chance to make even more money. Say their mission was to collect specific quantities of grade, 1 herbs. If they killed a few beasts along the way, then they could still collect the cores as money too. Giving them extra money to IT was a double win. Some of the barrage had already decided first to do group missions with their friends and gather money together, just to test the waters. And if they were really in danger, they could teleport back to the mission hall swiftly. What shocked them the most was that even if they didn't use it, the teleportation pass would automatically activate if there were any sneak attacks made by the enemy that they couldn't see. That wasn't this guaranteeing their lives. So even if they ran into higher grade beasts or scum sect disciples, they would be safe. With such a heavenly thing, what else could they say? They would be fools not to take up missions. While those in the barrage continuously commented on the path to riches, Chu Che calmly closed the bag of money with black lines on his face. What a hassle. Does Tasker Chu wish to deposit the reward money into his card account? Note, the money can be withdrawn anytime from the ATMs whenever Tasker Chu feels like it. Chu Che felt happy that IT was like having a real bank account. He rubbed his chin and nodded. Let's do that. As you wish, Tasker Chu. Ding. Account credited. Tasker Chu, for submitting your second item, 10 billion silver coins, 1 million gold coins, will be rewarded to you. Silence. Degree 0 degree. The barrage was speechless. Wait, his second item was some green flame. Oh, he got 10 billion silver coins for it. They admit that the flame was located in a very dangerous spot, but 10 billion was an overkill, alright? They had never seen so much money in their lives. Many didn't know the value of the flame and didn't understand why it was so rewarding. But if Chu Che took this flame and showed any alchemist or sect elder face to face, they might sell all their possessions just to have it. Nyenzu and Songhai couldn't tell the actual worth of it because they weren't there to feel the power from the flame. They were just watching the live broadcast, as if watching TV, so they assumed it was an ordinary flame. They could only feel a fraction of Chu Che's power and nothing more. But looking at the reward, they felt their assumptions were far from the truth. Now, even thinking about it, they had never heard or seen any green flames before in this domain. The lowest flames were reddish-orange ones, which were ordinary, everyday flames used by common folks and have no use in cultivation. Above that were pure reddish flames in different shades depending on how powerful they are, with the lightest reddish ones being the most powerful ones. Following, there would be yellow-colored flames in different shades, and finally blue. Searching their memories, the green flame was indeed unheard of. They squinted their eyes deep in thought. While Chu Che, on the other hand, was more focused on rounding up and getting his next reward. That's right. The fun wasn't over yet. Does Tasker Chu wish to deposit the money into his membership card? Yes. Ding. Account credited. Tasker Chu, your last submission had 2 rewards. You shall get the other half of your reward, a random item from Fantasy World. Please wait briefly, and in 5 breaths, the item will appear. Countdown begins now. Chu Che's heart trembled excitedly, as if secretly counted in his mind. As an otaku, how could he not be thrilled when seeing the real thing and not some movie or fan prop? Everyone in the barrage held their breaths while staring at the glass tube intensively. When the voice mentioned the fantasy world, it was talking out those other realms, right? So Boss Chu will receive an item from either Mortal Kombat or God of War. Just thinking about it made their eyes burn with envy. The items in those realms were too high quality and couldn't be created by people in the lower domain. Oh, who wouldn't be envious? Even Sangai and Nianzu felt like Boss Chu was too lucky. Nonetheless, many didn't have any bad intentions. After all, they felt it was only fair given all the creatures Boss Chu took out. Everyone secretly counted down in their hearts while watching the tube, without blinking. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 ding. Congratulations, Tasker Chu. You have been awarded the ancient golden scepter of Elder God Shinnok, also called the amulet staff or amulet of Shinnok. Poof! A golden chain with a dark green stone at its center suddenly appeared in the tube like magic. Chu Che held out the chain before smiling playfully. Expand. Boom! The chain suddenly expanded and turned onto a thick staff that touched the high-rise ceiling. Everyone felt dizzy from the scene before them. What was this? Although some had heard and even seen staffs or items that expanded, none could expand more than spear-length. Oh, what was this? Chu Che looked like an ant holding a giant staff. Oh, you know how tall the current floor he was standing in was. It was akin to 3 floors high. And coupled with the drone's shooting capabilities, many were instantly blown away. This was too godly, right? They give up. The shock they had received was enough to give them heart attacks. Chu Che chuckled before controlling the staff again, adjusting its size to spear length. Poof. Now, everyone could see the details on the staff. Chu Che thought that the staff looked like a golden trident with a large circle at its center that contained a glowing green gem. Tasker Chu. The amulet of Shinnok will only listen to your voice or thoughts and obey your every command. No one else can command or steal IT. IT will always stay on your neck or can be changed into a bracelet or an earring if need be. As for its powers, there are many. Firstly, just from wearing the amulet alone, all chi absorbed onto the body will be turned into the purest form of all, and any impurities in the body, be it poison, will be removed. Additionally, the amulet also acts as a teleportation device. The tasker only needs to think of where they have once been, and the amulet will teleport them there, even if it's the upper realm, provided the amulet wielder has visited the place once and remembers it. Then they can teleport there. Lastly, the amulet has the power to absorb chi and unleash waves of crimson energy, instantly killing those below the wielder's strength. In conclusion, this is a reward. Hence, the amulet rewarded has no negative effects on the wielder and is a great note. Unlike the amulet in Mortal Kombat, one cannot teleport to the past or the future, only places in the present time, and the amulet will have no repercussions or weaken the user. Again, the number of times one can teleport depends on strength. Likewise, the number of people they can teleport will also depend on their strength. Tasker Chu. That is all. Chu Che nodded calmly, while everyone in the barrage felt like they were dreaming and started at the amulet in disbelief. Lying trough. Why don't you also say that the amulet is their father? Lying trough. Why don't you also say that the amulet is their father? Everyone stared at their cards so intensively, as if to enter the cards. If it could do all this, they want to know the criteria for getting such godly artifact from those new realms. Of course, tomorrow, which marked the first day when the mission hall would publicly open, they'll know all about this. For starters, they needed to earn a certain amount of points to get a single chance for a random item draw. Just like that, Chu Che left the mission hall with Wei Wei. He had successfully completed the system's side mission and had even gotten the amulet in cash. And the good thing was that he didn't have to lose the gaming hall. Well, that was the punishment if he failed to complete the mission. From the broadcast, Boss Chu said he would come here. Knowing that Chu Che was headed toward the gaming hall, almost everyone stopped what they were doing and stood outside impatiently. Some who were away ran through the streets at top speed, and the moment they saw Chu Che's silhouette, many dashed toward him like crazy. Boss Chu, please show us the amulet. Boss Chu, can you teleport with me? Little Wei Wei, it's me, your sister. How cute. Little Wei Wei is just the best. Boss Chu, please take me in as your disciple. I can cook, clean, and specialize in carpet training. Yes, I can lie on the floor and be your carpet. You bastard. Why are you taking my position as Boss Chu's carpet? It's clearly my responsibility. Or are you trying to snatch it away from me? Ah, what a joke. Since when did it become your job? Please, don't sully the job position with your ignorance. Chu Che almost stumbled speechlessly before feeling sad. Sigh. Blame it on his face for causing such a riot. The curse was real. Chu Che treated it as if it were a common occurrence. What could he say? At the same time, listening to all the comments, little Lulu was even more convinced that her sect sisters couldn't meet up with her big brother Chu in terms of strength. She continuously felt pity for them, shaking her head bitterly. Nyenzu and Songhai were the fastest to dash towards Chu Che, looking at the amulet around his neck anxiously. Just from the craftsmanship, they could tell that it was indeed heavenly. But they couldn't feel any power from it. Why? Boss Chu, can you activate it? Degree. Silence. The moment the question echoed out, everyone became silent, not even daring to breathe. They froze on the spot and watched intensively. Chu Che didn't mind their requests, so he commanded the amulet to activate and expand. Instantly, the air became very choking. That it was like someone had unleashed a beast from another higher realm or something. Even though there was no killing intent from it, everyone's knees turned soft from its magnificent aura. Nyenzu and Songhai trembled in shock as they looked at the glowing stone at the center of the staff. Chu Che hadn't stopped broadcasting yet, so to further demonstrate things, Chu Che waved the staff right before everyone's eyes and disappeared alongside Nyenzu and Songhai. Everyone looked around in confusion. What was going on? Look! Boss Chu has returned to the city, where he found little Wei Wei. What? Let me see. I wipe. He also carried those two seniors too. Bosu looked at the scene, feeling very aggrieved. Why didn't Boss Chu take him? Nyenzu and Songhai, who were with Chu Che, looked around the city as if trying to make sure that it wasn't an illusion. And before they could even dwell on the matter, they found themselves standing before the gaming hall again. At this point, everyone had confirmed things. Oh, it was true. They could get items from the other realms via the mission hall. Then what were they hesitant about? Many quickly decided to take their first mission tomorrow. Chu Che answered everyone before finally leaving alongside Wei Wei, Old Fru, and a few other guards. Watching him go, Nyenzu and Songhai were very perplexed about their next moves. Of course, Bosu and the rest stood beside them silently too. Old Songhai, we must inform the sect master about this place fast. I agree with you. But the question is, who will do the honors? Well, I think it should be you. After all, I have to stay behind and look after my disciples. Songhai opened his eyes in disbelief and sneered. Say that again. Old Nyenzu, should be you who goes back. After all, you have a meeting with the elders 3 days from now. Wait, what do you mean by me? You're also part of the meeting too. So what? Who doesn't know that I'm a rebel? I don't want to go to, so why should I? TCH, so you think you're the only rebel? How can I go now that I have a chance to study these artifacts? Plus, I felt my blood boil when I entered the realm earlier. You know that I'm already at the peak of my just a few more days, and I'll be able to break through. Okay, since we both don't want to go, then why don't we send letters through your disciples? On hearing Songhai, Bosu instantly broke his leg. Master, Elder Songhai, please don't look at me. I'm injured and need time to heal. Little Lulu nodded at them. I promise Senior Brother Chu to see him tomorrow. I can't go. Plus, I'm so little, weak, and cute. What if someone wants to kidnap me? Master, you promised to look after me till I grow up. How can you think of this? Master, you know that I'm in charge of Lulu's feeding. How can I leave when she decides to stay back? Master, you may not know this, but I recently broke my heart not long ago. What if I get depressed and lose my way back to the sect? I think for everyone's sake, I should stay back and heal myself. Master, Elder Songhai, Master, straight face. Time went by quickly, with people getting hooked on playing games or going out on missions. Even ordinary mortal folks had heard about this mission hall, that IT was the quickest way to make money, and ordinary folks felt that it protected them in a sense. You little troublemaker, it's so big and too luxurious. Your mother and I don't want to disgrace ourselves. Are you sure that we'll be allowed in? Yes, Ru-Mo. Are you sure we can go in? On the road, an anxious couple asked their son repeatedly about the building before them. For the past 2 days, they heard the rumors from the other local folks that some mighty buildings had somehow appeared in their little town at the time. They didn't believe it because building something so fast still required the blocks, sand, water, and everything else to be dumped on the site. And one still needed a combination of masters from several cultivator professions to create such things. Take 4. Example, the surprise collapse that happened a few years ago. Out of nowhere, the walls just collapsed. That was because Chu Che's mother was taken away. None of the town folks knew why, but they had to care for their safety, and so they worked alongside the guard to carry tons of stones, as well as several iron drums of mud, water, and other pasty substances from trees towards the region where the walls used to be. This time, they wanted to make it stronger and thicker, so they needed more stones. Anyway, after everything was placed by the fallen wall, the old town lord, Chu Che's grandfather, invited several otherworldly designers to assist him. An old Fru, in putting up the wall in a matter of 3 days, all those people used 3 entire days together to make the wall stand again. Of course, the old town lord had also invited other masters for other professions to assist the otherworldly designers in rebuilding the already destroyed town lord palace. Knowing everything these folks knew, they felt it was just a rumor when many said they saw a godly building stand in their town. Even if it existed, didn't it mean that it was the palace of some powerful lord? So why in God's name was this child taking them over there? The couple felt like their older son was crazy. Ru Moyin rolled his eyes heavenwards and still took them over to the mission hall. No matter how he explained things, their fear blocked their sense of hearing. He decided they should hear it from the horse's mouth instead. Everyone in this world, be it mortals or cultivators, had spirit roots that it was the very foundation of one's soul and body, which was also associated with a person's innate talents and elemental affinities like metal, wood, water, fire, and earth out of course. Those were the 5 elemental attributes most people fell into, but some spirit roots didn't belong to any of the 5 and were rare or called mutated spirit roots. Everyone was born with a quality of spirit roots/root bones, and testing the roots wasn't expensive and, at times, free too. After all, everyone was always looking for geniuses. That said, many mortals still couldn't break out of their shells because they didn't have the resources that big clans and sects provided. That's why common folk would choose to work in big clans as guards, or even servants. At least there, they would still be given pills and primary cultivation resources each month. Cultivation was too expensive. This was why not many in desolate regions like these could break out of their mortal shell. The 14-year-old Ru Moyin came from a family of 4. His parents, himself, and his 10-year-old brother. That he heard he had an aunt who married a man in another village far from here. But that was all the family he knew of. For mortals, they were in more danger than anyone else. They never dared not go into the forest and only stayed in the outskirts because that's where mortal beasts stayed, so hunting them would be easier. Mortal beasts wouldn't dare go into the forest because they too would die, so they stayed put on the outskirts. For mortals, accidents happened to them too many times to count. Just traveling could get them killed. And even within the towns and homes, one never knew when a storm would blow in. They were powerless in this cruel world, where even bandits could turn their town upside down with ease if not for the town lords. That's why they truly valued escape talismans out of course. Even the low-grade ones were too expensive for them. But some still bought them and kept them in their homes as family legacies, passing them on from generation to generation. No one suffered like mortals, not even the cultivators that got schemed against. That said, years back, Ru Moyin, determined to make a change, entered a little deeper into the forest and almost died in the hands of a rank. One boar. It was only by a stroke of luck that he managed to pierce its eyes before stabbing its neck, that he then took its core and exchanged it for a low-grade pill from one of the merchants passing by. Even though he was cheated, he still managed to break past his mortal shell. All this was also due to his innate talent. And his family. He was the only cultivation among them. And today, he had decided that he must completely take his family out of poverty by having them take on F-class missions. That it was the safest and easier to do. Plus, the pay was higher than what they got in a week. So why not? Standing before the massive building that looked like it could touch the clouds, even Ru Moyin's family could feel the reverence emitting from it. First, they were utterly scared. But seeing some everyday folks run out happy, they were both shocked, confused, and curious. Honestly, whatever their son had told them over the last 2 days had never registered in their minds. Fear was all they thought of. Mortals. They had to keep their heads down and not invite trouble. The 10-year-old boy who came with them, thinned as like and held Ru Moyin's shirt with a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Elder brother, are you sure we can make money from this? You're easily gullible. What if you've been tricked? Hey, have some faith here, all right? If I say we can, then we can. And with the money, we'll be able to get you to break from your mortal shell. Listening to his older brother, Ru Mimo's eyes lit up in shock. Really? I could be a cultivator too? Of course you can. When has your brother ever lied to you? Brother, there was that time that you lied about. Moyin quickly placed his hands over the kid's mouth helplessly. Only his brother could betray him like this, giving him no face as an elder brother. The kid was too honest. The couple chuckled and patted Mimo's head. Good boy. You should always tell the truth. Moyin, YWY. The family of 4 were just about to head in when they heard a high-pitched voice calling Moyin's name. Smelly Moyin, we meet again. Damn it. Moyin, who hadn't even turned around yet, already knew the owner of the voice. His proudly raised shoulders quickly dropped helplessly, and with a bitter smile, he slowly turned around. Little Lulu, can we just drop that matter? Yeah, you would like that, wouldn't you? Underscored. The couple turned around only to see the cutest girl they had ever seen in their life. Her skin was too clear and practically outshone everything. Just looking at her, it was clear that she would grow into beauty in the future. By her side were 3 handsome boys that were slightly older than Moyin. Their appearance made it clear that they were from some influential clan, sect, or society. They even had swords around their waist, they should be cultivators. And oh wonder their skin looked like. These cultivators greeted them with respect, meaning they called their friendship with their eldest son. But now, they were even more curious about what their eldest son had done to anger the cute angel who was still pouting unwillingly. The 10-year-old Mimo, on the other hand, was more focused on how beautiful the 9-year-old girl looked. He kept blushing so hard that he dared not look at her directly. He looked away the entire time, trying to act aloof and unbothered. He then looked at his brother in dissatisfaction, wondering how his elder brother could bully such a cute little girl. Moyin caught the look of his brother's dissatisfaction and was left speechless. A little girl comes, and his brother throws their brother good out the window. Sigh. Little Lulu's problem was that he was ahead of her in God of War. since he became friends with Bo Su. She took him as a junior, too. Oh, shouldn't she be better than her juniors? The little girl was still grumbling about the matter. Luckily, she was ahead of them in Mortal Kombat, or else it would be game over for him. Fatality. At least now, she wasn't that angry anymore. Lulu pouted and acted like she was an old man. All right, Junior and I, with my infinite mercy, have forgiven you that if I don't do so, then how can you look up to me? Well, no need to kneel and thank me that I am your senior. After all that, I must look after you. Mo Yin, who had no intention of kneeling. Sir, Mimo looked at Lulu and was even more impressed. What a kind, cute girl. Lulu then turned her attention towards Mimo, stunning him and making him inward agitated, even though his expression remained the same. Since you were his brother, then you will also be my junior. Yeah. Why aren't you a cultivator like your brother? No. As my new younger brother, you must be strong too, or you'll lose my face. Here, take this. You should be able to break through later. Mimo looked at the pills stuffed in his hand and felt uneasy, even though he stood silent with the same calm look. All right, now that that's settled, come, walk beside me. You'll be my direct follower. Okay, let's go in. Without even thinking things through, Mimo left his brother and walked alongside the naughty Lulu. Everyone, straight face, Bosu apologized pitifully to Mo Yin and his parents. What could they do? Even they couldn't go against the little girl's wishes. After all, she was indeed their sect senior. The Ru family stepped in and were shocked silly. Bosu took his time explaining a few things to them, focusing on how beneficial this place was to his family. Only when hearing it from Bosu did it register in their minds. Mo Yin looked at them in disbelief, not knowing whether to cry or not. Someone else says the same thing, and they automatically understand. But when it's him, they're still clueless. Hello? What was this? Forget it. Provided they calmed down and weren't afraid anymore. Who asked him to be a trickster? The number of times he had pulled a fast one on them was too many to count. Like the time he entered the forest without their knowledge, almost giving his parents a heart attack, or the time he snuck away in the middle of the night to practice a weak fist technique that he bought off a merchant. He couldn't blame them for always being anxious when it concerns him. But shouldn't they have a little faith in him? Well, at least they were now on the path to riches. In this, many within Wonji town had discovered the path to riches, but while everyone was still fully immersed in glee, unbeknownst to them, a formidable enemy was already storming toward their beloved town, on the main roads. Hundreds of people were currently making their way towards Wonji town. Many held their weapons. Knowing that today would be the day, they took what firmly took their positions within the town. They dashed along the roads, making the traveling peasants shower like headless chickens. They already identified the attires of these people and immediately knew their identities. Some jumped into the bushes as if diving, while others tried moving their horses and carriages out of the way, trying to make their appearances less visible. Some were very confused and just stood rooted on the spot in fright, while others hurried toward the sidelines, picked up leaves, and tried converting themselves with them, even though it made almost no difference. Run! It's the Zhuang bandits. Run, run, run. Plop. Chaos filled the roads as everyone quivered in panic. Who wouldn't? These bandits were notorious and too famous around these parts, and many times they stole and killed travelers, cultivators, and everyone else. Running to them was always bad luck. So many were so terrified by their sudden appearance. Plus, there were hundreds and hundreds of them. This alone was enough to make everyone's hair stand as tall. But when the bandits passed them by without doing anything, they couldn't help wondering if they had just run into frauds. Well, whatever the case, they had to get out of here fast. Ha ha! With Fairy Emu here, we're bound to claim Wonji town as ours. That is, how can those small fries were any match for Fairy Emu and her men? Finally, we, the Zhuang bandits, will be able to crush those annoying town guards once and for all. F King Good. I want to see the look on Old Man Fru's face when our leader finally crushes him. Today, Wonji town will belong to the Zhuang bandits. Tired face. The Zhuang bandits were ready for action, storming towards Wonji town in full force. For years, their enemies and the only ones who had been able to suppress them were those from Chu Che's palace. Over the years, the Zhuang brothers had tried to take over multiple times with no success, especially when Chu Che's mother, father, and grandfather were still here. Now, they knew that their chance was here at first. They wanted to play it safe by poisoning the boy who calls himself the young town lord. But even at that, the brat still refused to die. Now, they just decided to do things head on. After inviting Fairy Emu, who was already within the second dan of the spirit realm. That was the spirit realm. To them, that was already mind-blowing since not many bandits had even reached the 9th dan of the True Chi realm. Their leader was the 10th dan, almost breaking to the 11th. And in these desolate parts, that alone was mighty as imagine seeing someone as powerful as Fairy Emu. They had nothing but worship in their eyes. Even if she insulted or looked down on them, they still looked at her in awe. The strong were respected, and the weak were disdained. That's just the way things were. Emu and her men dashed alongside Jiang Zhuang, aka Leader Jiang, and a few more bandit elders. Emu gazed around lazily when advancing, as if bored. Our deal is for us to take down the boy, the old man, and a few others, right? Yes, Fairy Emu. With the most powerful people down, the rest would be easy enough for us to handle. Once the job is completed, we will then give you the other half of the rewards. Good. As planned, your men will wait out of the town for our signal that we don't want anyone reporting things fast to them, giving them time to hide or flee. Once we're close to the town, your men will stay in the woods and wait. Fairy Emu said before squinting her eyes coldly. Even to this moment, the job disgusted her. Tio thinks she, a 514-year-old lady, will be asked to kill a 16-year-old kid. Sigh. This was one of the missions she secretly swore to never tell or own up to. Her reputation was hit hard just from accepting the mission. Well, at least it should be fast, so she should be able to leave this miserable place and hear back to Rainbow Capital City. Just look at how many of her pets she missed. She hadn't sucked the vitality off my powerful men yet. Now, she was beginning to miss all the chained-up powerful men she kidnapped and kept in her dungeon. One of her primary skills was the ability to suck one's vitality in a black queue. So many geniuses have been taken by her and proclaimed missing after falling in her sweet arm. In such a desolate place. It was impossible for her to find a man whose strength appealed to her appetite. Sigh. She missed home. Like that, Fairy Emu and her men were ready to finish their humiliating assignment. Time passed by swiftly, and soon, Emu and her gang found themselves in Wenji town. They walked in with few thoughts in their minds. First, eradicating Chu Che, followed by Old Fru and a few others. For what the bandit said, Old Fru was akin to Chu Che's shadow. He was always next to his young master unless ordered otherwise. They planned to just head to the town lord's palace and directly deal with things openly. But just after moving a bit, they heard someone say that Chu Che was doing something called a live stream in some hall. They also heard that he'd soon leave the so-called gaming hall, so they had to hurry up and catch him if they wanted to settle things fast. And so after harshly asking for directions, they finally got to the ordinary-looking gaming hall. Without even wasting any more time, they decided to step in him. Bastard named Chu, you come out for me. 0_0. Bastard named Chu, you come out for me. Degree 0 degree. Everyone looked at the incoming guests and froze on the spot. The bastard named Chu wouldn't be Boss Chu, right? Who the hell had such courage to go against the sky? Everyone stopped what they were doing to watch the show. Even those logged in on the computers saw the messages on their interface and paused their games to return to reality. Everyone wanted to see who had the guts to try Boss Chu. Could it be that Mr. But Lip had finally found Boss Chu and was here for revenge? No, it was somewhat unlikely. Then who was it? Who dared to try Boss Chu? Damn it, at this moment, they truly wished they had something to eat or drink while watching the show. Some even started broadcasting the scene for many who weren't there or out on missions. If Bosu and the gang knew what they just missed, they would probably shed tears for days out of course. Nyinzu and Songhai, who had become part of Chu Che's handbags, were undoubtedly in the gaming hall. What a joke. They wanted to study these artifacts found in the other realms. So how dare they leave? They also needed Chu Che around so that if they got stuck, he could enlighten them further. Everyone's mouth was wide open, gaming a Centauro, as their eyes widened in alarm, almost falling out of their sockets. And instantly, they saw a dead-drop beautiful lady step in with a few of her goons, who were all dressed in black. For a second, those broadcasting had waves of people entering their channels. What a beauty. Lying trough. Are we sure that this woman wasn't Boss Chu's wife or something? Upstairs, that's impossible. I admit that she's beautiful, but Boss Chu is way more handsome compared to her. Hey, never let this information get to Boss Chu's ears, or else we'll have another sermon of how handsome he is. I know, right? Before meeting Boss Chu, I thought and felt that I was good-looking. But after meeting him, I only want to kill him even though I respect him, that he always thinks I'm jealous of his handsomeness. Upstairs, I thought I was the only one. I had to go back home and stare at my mirror for a few hours to make sure that I'm not ugly. I think you all are right that I don't know what it is, but now, no matter what lady stands here, I'll subconsciously think Boss Chu is better looking than them. Upstairs, please stop using the word think. It's a fact that Boss Chu is way better looking when compared to this lady. Do you all think that it's his fiancée who he abandoned? No, Boss Chu isn't that type of person. The lady is probably here to challenge Boss Chu to a beauty contest, and my votes are on Boss Chu though. Same here. Same here. Same. Lulu, Bosu, and the rest, who were just about to teleport for their mission, instantly froze when they saw the broadcast of Gao, who was accompanying Yinzu and Songhai. Why did all good things happen when they were not around? After reading the comments, Lulu looked at the lady and shook her head pitifully, as expected. It wasn't just her sex sisters who wanted her big brother. Everyone wanted to be with him. But no matter how she looked at the lady, she felt that her big brother was better looking. Sigh. Yet another girl whose heart is about to be broken. Lulu thinned her like and looked at Bosu and the rest pitifully. When we return to the sect, you as juniors must comfort sect's sister Kyla, sister Chi Chi, and sister Maven. It's impossible for them to be with elder brother Chu, Bosu, and the rest. Y_Y. Bosu, Yinjin, and Ben Owo could only nod helplessly. Yes, they would console their sect's sisters, not because of Lulu's reasons, but because they had been dragged into this unknowingly. Forgetting about Lulu's heartfelt worry, they focused all their attention on their cards. Without a doubt, Fairy Emu was exceptionally beautiful. Her skin radiated and glowed without any blemishes whatsoever. Her long dark hair, her perky lips, her mesmerizing eyes. Everything from her Her head to her toe could make anyone, be it man or woman, to have a second look. Nonetheless, she didn't have a pure sort of beauty. She gave off the feeling of a lazy, black-hearted beauty instead. All that was left was for her to have black wings on her back. Who was this beautiful lady? And just what did she want with Boss Chu? That was the mystery everyone was concerned with. Bastard named Chu, you come out for me. One of Fairy Moo's men yelled out arrogantly when they stepped in, and after yelling, what came next was shock.f. What godly master designed this place? Their minds wandered a bit as countless thoughts passed through them. But soon they calmed down again after thinking things straight. Wasn't it just a space formation array design typically used in the large sects? From the report, the brat's father, who passed away, used to be a genius within the Holy Fountain sect some 20 years ago, that it said. That he committed some grave sin and was driven out after getting poisoned at this was probably created by him when he was still at the height of his glory. Yes, after figuring things out, they couldn't be bothered with these people. And the moment they saw Chu Che, their eyes glistened brightly seeing that he looked exactly like his portrait. They couldn't help smiling broadly when they saw their target. Fairy Moo tilted her head and crossed her hands across her chest lazily. You are the young town, Lord Chu Che. Ichimichem. Anything? Fairy Emu smiled seductively. Yes. As a matter of fact, I've been looking for you desperately, old man Fru. I've also been looking for you. Chu Che opened his mouth in shock and disbelief before covering his chest, as if defiled. Look here, lady, what kind of pervert are you? What do you take us for? Not only do you want to refine someone as handsome as me, but you also want old man Fru too. Shameless, you better not stare at me again. I will never like you, never. Fairy Emu, 0_0. Everyone else, straight face, you better not stare at me again. I will never like you, never. Fairy Moo's lips twitched in annoyance when she saw the little imp back away and look at her as if she were some perverted predator. Hello? She was a beauty whom some men would kill to get. Oh, why would she now turn desperate for some brat? Emu felt like she had never been so insulted in her life. Her nostrils flared, and her cheeks turned red in rage. You little runt. Who the hell is interested in you? Bastard. I'm here to kill you instead. Chu Che opened his eyes in disbelief. Lady S.O., because you've been turned down, you feel the need to kill. What the hell is wrong with you? How can you be so unreasonable? Chu Che was flabbergasted. Fine. If you're too ashamed that I rejected you, then don't worry. You can tell people that you turned me down instead. All I ask is that you stop dreaming about me, because you and I can never be together. You. Imu stammered in rage while pointing at Chu Che angrily. 2 minutes. All it took was just 2 minutes for this guy to piss her off. She came on here with a calm and collected attitude. But now, look at her. Damn it, what sort of hateful guy did she run into? Even though she didn't care for the brat, she was still very posted off when he said she wasn't his type. She, Fairy Moo, was everyone's type. So what did he mean? Was he trying to say that she was ugly or something? If she planned to give him a quick death earlier on, now she didn't. This bastard deserved to die in the most painful way ever. Very quickly, but goons gritted their teeth and stepped forth in rage. Brat, who the hell do you think you are? Do you know who our mistress is? How dare you insinuate that she would be interested in a lowlife like yourself? Boy, you sure have guts. Our mistress is a famous entity who brings fear to many. Oh, stop dreaming. She squinted her eyes coldly at Chu Che. Little runt, like I said, I'm here to kill you. That I would have given you a painless death, but since you dare to profile me, don't blame me for being ruthless. With that, Fairy Emu, as well as her rooms, leaked out their string murderous aura, making all those watching shiver in fright. Strong. Too strong. Nianzu and Songhai, who were watching, were shocked to see that this woman was at the second dan of the spirit realm. Of course, they were far stronger than her and could quickly deal with her if need be. What puzzled them was who had paid to get Boss Chu killed. Who was behind it all? Old Nianzu. Should we step in and help out? Nianzu massaged his chin thoughtfully. No, not yet. I want to see just how strong Boss Chu is. That if he can't handle her, then we'll step in. I'd like to see what he's got. With Fat, the duo stayed back and blended in with the crowd, watching the entire show silently. Old Fru grew grim when he felt the burst of murderous aura target himself and the young master. Who exactly were these people? Could they have come because of the destruction of that Black Valley cult? They hadn't provoked any other person, so he couldn't think of it being anyone else. The question now was whether he and the young master would be able to handle the people before them. That aura was far stronger than his at the 11th dan of the Chu Che realm. These people were definitely stronger. Oh no. Would he and the young master be able to handle it? Old Fru's face turned pale with worry when he saw the goons, and the ladies stepped forward slowly, with playful smiles on their faces. Of course, the guards here quickly stepped forth to assist Old Fru. Protect the young master. Everyone rushed forth in panic. But to their surprise, as well as the audience's surprise, Chu Che still stood there calmly, as if the entire scene was one big joke. Chu Che chuckled lazily before pointing at the rules hanging on the walls. Sigh. Lady, do you know where you are? This is my town. In other words, this is my entertainment park, and the rules are the same everywhere. Rules? What stupid rules? Anyone who harbors ill intentions towards the park owner, shall get babbied up, spanked, thrown outside of the hall, and banned with immediate effect. Oh, you only have yourselves to blame that Rosie's did your thing. Bing, 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 bing. Yes, father. Everyone looked around to see 6 Rosies hurriedly step forth in a flash like ninjas. Their antennas beeped vigorously, and their red eyes and red-colored antenna tips turned pure black. What happened next was something that they would never forget in their lives. Troublemakers, troublemakers, bad babies, bad babies. What? Fairy Emu and the rest didn't have time to react before they were swiftly pushed out of the building by the long, extendable arms of these puppets. They were forced out and pinned to the dusty ground on the streets. Bam. The ground cracked and trembled with an undesirable force that caused the passerbys and those lining up to open their mouths wide in shock and fear. And no one had even seen when the many metal tube-like hands had left the building. It was as if Emu and her books had magically appeared pinned to the ground. This kind of operation was enough to scare anyone, right? Everyone subconsciously created space and turned their heads toward the building door to see where these long, extendable claws came from. Who? Like evil villain robots. All Rosies marched out in unison while chanting the same words over and over. Bad baby! Bad baby! Bad baby! The scene made everyone's hair stand at attention. Weren't those the cute, harmless Rosies? Weren't those the cute, harmless Rosies? 0_0. Everyone stared at the situation in shock and disbelief. What was going on here? Bad baby! Bad baby! Bad baby! The robot Rosies, who had now entered the domineering mother phase, all marched out in unison, making everyone step far away from the scene. What a joke! Who would want to get caught up on this? Those inside the gaming hall rushed out behind the Rosies to get front-row seats to the show. They had a feeling that it was going to be epic. Even those watching from several broadcasts couldn't help screaming in anticipation. Why do these puppets now look different? They're usually sassy and cute. So how do they now look like hellish puppets? My money is on the puppets. They look strong. No, I think they will lose. They only succeeded in pinning these strangers down because they launched a surprise attack. Streamer, can you get closer? What the hell are you doing? Streamer, that person's head is too big and blocking the view that we can't see. Hey, who is this person blocking out the view? Move out of the way. Emu and her goons squinted their eyes coldly when they realized what just happened. Their bodies boiled with rage when they thought of the shame and disgrace such a scene would cause if others got word of ITTO them. These puppets only managed to land a hit on them because they took them unawares for such a simple assignment. Wouldn't it be a disgrace if others knew that they even received a single scratch from it all? Swish! In a flash, all Rosies withdrew their stretchable mechanical arms and placed them over theirs like mothers scolding their children. Bad babies need to get punished. Fairy Emu and her men quickly got up and stood in defense, planning to make this quick. Now that they were ready and prepared, they didn't for one second think that these puppets would be able to stop them. Emu's expression turned even frostier when she glanced at Chu Che. Kid, you're only making things worse for yourself. Once these scraps you call puppets are taken care of, then I'll show you that there are things in this world far worse than death. Bad baby, bad baby, bad baby is rude to grandfather. Mother doesn't want baby anymore. Understood? Everyone looked at the Rosies who were pointing arrogantly at these strangers and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why did it seem like these puppets were acting like a spiteful mother? What was this operation? At this point, Fairy Emu was numb with rage, so much so that her face remained expressionless. She felt that these puppets were talking down on her. Everyone attack. I want no traces of these puppets found once we're done. As for the middle puppet, leave her to me. Yes, my lady. With that, everyone jumped into motion, aiming for the Rosies that pinned that down. Swish! Fairy Emu leaped forward in a flash and smiled coldly while stretching her long nails at the middle Rosie. The closer she got, the more confident she felt. Everyone watching stared so hard that they didn't even realize that they were holding in their breaths, as well as gripping the shoulders and body parts of others hard. Their hearts sank deeply when some felt the air wind hit them hard, indicating that Fairy Emu had just passed by. With her crazy speed, they couldn't see her moves, making them feel that this would be the end for the Rosie she targeted. Was Rosie going to lose? Will Boss Chu step in? Will the lady end up killing Boss Chu too? Everyone had so many questions on their mind that IT was just that what they thought was completely different from the end result they witnessed. Fairy Emu smirked arrogantly while advancing towards Rosie's middle, stretching her nails towards Rosie, channeling chi on it. She intended to rip the damn thing apart with a single move. But just when she was inches away, Rosie suddenly revealed a horror movie-like smile at Emu. She looked like a posed doll / puppet. Now, child, it isn't nice to raise your hands at your mother. Bad baby. Pa! The loud crips sound of Rosie's slap echoed out so loud that everyone couldn't help looking at Fairy Emu pitifully, as expected. Her jaw was swollen and as red as a tomato. Fairy Emu stumbled back and placed her hand over her jaw in shock and disbelief. You dare slap me? You dare hit this fairy? Ah! I'll kill you! I'll kill you! I'll kill you! It was official. Emu had lost it. She screamed in rage and dashed towards Rosie in hate. She punched, kicked, and even used her whip against Rosie. But everything ended up with her getting beaten silly. Aw! How dare you attack me? Do you know who I am? Pa! You will regret it if you don't stop for me. Pa! Brat! Tell her puppets to stop. You're destroying my beautiful face. Bam! Are you deaf? I said stop. Bah, bah, bung, bah, what? Everyone looked at Emu, and somehow felt that she was very pitiful. They looked at the Rosies and swore never to get on their bad sides. Who would have known that these puppets would be able to deal with such existences so quickly? Everyone couldn't help shedding a few invisible tears for Fairy Emu and her goons. They looked at everything and thought it was finally over. But how could they have known that this was just the beginning of the show? How could Rosie leave things like this when she hadn't? Baby them up? Impossible. You. Bam, 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 bam. Audience. Surprise face. That looking at the miraculous scene before them, everyone couldn't help wiping their non-existent sweat off their faces. Meanwhile, Fairy Emu, who was soaked and beaten to a pulp, had lost her power of speech as she started talking incoherently. Just when she and everyone else thought this would all be over, Rosie's claws stretched out, reaching for her fiercely. F. Was this the finishing move? Everyone thought the same too. Was this the lady's end? She subconsciously closed her eyes and relaxed her expression as if trying to die in the most beautiful way ever. Typically, this move usually made the audience feel like she was scared of anything to as, if even till death, she was unwilling to give them the satisfaction of having her enemies witness her beg or cry. Yes, such a move could have been awe-inspiring. Too bad her present image made it look like she was about to cry instead. Her swollen face, coupled with the pain, really hurt whenever she moved. Her facial muscles, even squinting her eyes, was daunting to cultivated and absorbed chi. It would go down, provided there weren't any scars or internal injuries that needed elixirs or pills. Swells were nothing. Fairy Emu, who thought she was acting like a noble, otherworldly figure even till death, didn't know about the thoughts of those watching in the broadcasts. Lying trough. How did she go from that to this? Her entire face is purplish red. Wait, why does it look like she's trying to hold in a fart instead? You don't think she'll let one out now, right? Upstairs, I thought I was the only one seeing this. Sigh. In the end, she looks pitiful, like I said. Going against Boss Chu won't end well. Did you guys hear what she called herself? She said she was Fairy Emu, or something like that. Does anyone have a clue about her? No clue. But judging from her attire and arrogant attitude, she should be from one of the big cities. Fairy Emu. The name is quite interesting. Upstairs, who are you trying to act mysterious with? Please, accept your faith and stop acting like some big boss. Hey, can't a man pretend? And how are you so sure that I'm not a big boss? Hooey. Like the rest of us, I'm sure you've never been to any big city before. Big boss indeed. Emu spread her hands apart and closed her eyes as if waiting for judgment. Very quickly, Rosie's hands stretched towards Emu, and everyone knew this was the finishing blow. It was just that what happened next made many open their mouths and eyes wide for different reasons. Rip. Silence. Fairy Emu, who had her eyes closed, suddenly felt a draft of wind blow all over her body. She opened her eyes, only to see her now torn clothes in the hands of Rosie. She looked at the crowd and saw several people's eyes glued to her. Some had nosebleeds, while others, the ladies, covered their faces and flushed hard. Some also covered the eyes of the youngsters. The wind made her shudder. And it was only then that everything seemed to click in her mind, that it wasn't just her, as her goons had been stripped clean and were all wearing their birthday suits too. Instantly, their expressions became unnaturally stiff. You give back our clothes now. Give them back. The audience was too stunned to react. The women blushed harder, seeing many men stand naked in a circle. First, the men wanted to turn around with their backs facing the crowd while surrounding Fairy Emu. But if they did that, wouldn't Fairy Emu see their fronts instead? Plus, the crowd will also see their buttocks too. They kept turning around in confusion while cursing the perverted puppets before them. This scene was not only funny, but also terrifying to those who regularly visited the gaming hall. They would never tease or get on Rosie's bad side ever. Fairy Emu's eyes were blood red with rage when she saw all the Rosies send their stretchable claws to them. Bad babies, come to mama. Just the voices of the Rosies made Emu and her gang back away slowly while trying to hide their goods. Their faces turned pale in horror when they saw the claws reach for them. You stay away from us. No, what are you doing? Let me go. What do you want to do? I said let me go, you crazy puppet. No. Pa, flip, that, flip, te. In a daze, the crowd watched and once again felt lucky to have never angered Rosie before. Rosie's belly region opened up, and out came a lathe white cloth diaper. And in not more than 3 breaths, she skillfully wrapped the cloth on Emu and also tied something over her head. From there, she carried Emu like a baby, as if trying to burn her, all the while Emu was trying to push herself away from the puppet's chest. You crazy puppet. You let me go. You let me go now. It was at this moment that the Rosie carrying Emu released a terrifying aura filled with rage. You unfilial baby. Since you don't want mother anymore, then mother doesn't want you too. Swish. With no warning, Rosie gripped Emu's diaper, spun her several times in the air before shooting her way up into the sky, mercilessly. Maybe it was their imagination, but the audience could have sworn that they saw an invisible star twinkle after Emu disappeared above. And as she flew up, Emu couldn't help cursing loudly. Damn you puppet. I'll get you. I'll get you. Rosie placed her hands on her hips in rage. This mother doesn't want the baby anymore. Oh, don't come back. You have been banned. Straight face, audience. Who am I? What am I doing here? Everyone had no tears but wanted to see our Y.S. Oh, was this what the rules meant by getting babied up? I'll get you. Whoosh, Emu flew through the air at a ridiculous speed and landed within a forest region far, far away from Wenji Town. And the lower she was to the ground, the more trees she destroyed. And in the end, the force eventually buried her into the ground. Cack, crack, crack, bam. The scene was unbelievable. All nearby beasts were so shocked that they hurriedly ran away from whatever had caused such destruction. Ugh. Fairy Emu trembled in pain before spitting out a large mouth full of blood unwillingly. Presently, she found that she had somehow created a burial hole the entire time she had been sliding across the ground. In resentment. She dug her fingernails into the soil underneath while cursing Chu Che and his perverted puppets. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. How did it end this way? No. She was reconciled. How can someone as great as her be beaten by a brat no more than 16 years old? What exactly happened there? Could it be that the brat had the help of a hidden master somewhere within the town? Cough, 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 cough. Emu coughed loudly while grimacing in pain. She felt like she had cracked her ribs and her back. And truthfully, she didn't feel like standing at all. But she knew that if she didn't stand up now, it wouldn't be long before some forest beasts came at her. Of course, her men also thought the same and tried their best to carry themselves. Everyone clenched their fists right and only felt hatred flow within them. And no matter what, they had to make that beat pay. Meanwhile, back in Wenji Town, seeing Emu and her goons shamefully thrown away, everyone couldn't help sweating hard. They haven't done anything that could piss off these Rosies, right? Even Songai and Yinzu felt a little frightened. Earlier, they had never bothered to care about how strong these puppets were since their entire attention was drawn to the strange realms. In short, because of how cute and sassy these puppets were. They had dropped their guard down severally. But during the battle, they couldn't even perceive the teal strength of these puppets. Instead, when they tried to see through the puppets, they were hit by a strong, mysterious force that knocked them back and caused them to stumble and tremble instead. This wasn't something they could defeat. Remembering how rude they were to Chu Che when they first arrived, they wanted to dig holes for themselves in the ground and die. If word got out that they, the dignified elders of the profound sect, had ended up getting stripped and thrown away in this manner, then all their faces would be lost. How were they to ever raise their heads high again? The only way they would be able to escape from all the disgrace would be to ascend to the next domain as quickly as possible. Even at that, when others descend and meet them, their legend would still prevail. Looking at the beautiful Emu who had disappeared up in the sky, they could only shake their heads pitifully for her. Because from now on, the legend of the naked flying lady would be a hit for all. The worst part is that some people had broadcasted and stored the removable occasion. There was no way that she could deny it. Sigh. Boss Chu's puppets sure were ruthless. Everyone felt like they should never provoke these puppets. Ever. When the villains disappeared, all Rosies returned to their original cute nature, rushing towards Chu Che merrily. Chu Che patted their heads helplessly. Who knew that his cute babies would turn into Terminators in the blink of an eye? Nonetheless, he didn't think that they were scary. Chu Che thinned his lips deep in thought. Who wanted his life? It wasn't long since he arrived, and he had only gone out twice. It was either the evil sect who discovered his whereabouts, Mr. Butt-Lip, or those who succeeded in poisoning the original owner. Who? This was a mystery to Chu Che, but while he and everyone were still discussing Emu and her goons, just outside the town, the Zhuang bandits started dashing towards the town like crazy. Why? Because they saw the signal from above. Yup. They saw something speedily fly over their heads. Right from within Wenji Town, they assumed it was the signal. After all, Fairy Emu had been vague about what the signal actually was. All she said was that they would note seeing this. What else could it mean? Leader, that's the sign. I just saw it too. Ha ha ha. The brat is dead. Doesn't this mean that old Fru is dead as well? Yes, he's definitely dead. Ha ha ha. Who asked them to go against us, the Zhuang bandits? Serves them right. Listening to his men, Zhuang Count helped grinning victoriously. Finally, Wenji Town will be his. Alright, let's go. Kill them all. Yes, leader. With that, they were off. Meanwhile, Chu Che and the rest who thought the show had finally ended were taken aback by the sudden message on their cards. Their cards vibrated loudly, raising everyone to freeze. Random mission alert. Random mission alert. Destroy the incoming enemies. I repeat, destroy the incoming enemies. 010. Random mission. Destroy the intruders or successfully push them back. Everyone looked at their membership cards in shock. What was this? Chu Che also looked at his membership card in confusion. Was this some sort of group mission? Instantly, the system popped out and sat on Chu Che's shoulders and playfully swung its legs. My darling host, I think you've always forgotten that since the entire town is marked as the entertainment park itself, no one can endanger it. During enemy attacks, you can activate safe mode, which will ensure that no structure, be it the buildings or even the walls, would get destroyed, and no matter what the enemy brings, the park will stay standing. And the residents will be the only ones who can go into their homes or buildings. Once they lock themselves in, no one would be able to enter. All enemies will be kept out. Again, you can activate shield mode, which triggers a force field around the town. So any attacks on the town from outside will get blocked at the same time. No enemy would be able to step into Wenji town. And last but not least, the host could choose to activate battle mode and launch several attacks at the enemies that in fact, in the last battle with the evil sect, he could have just wiped them all out once battle mode was activated. Chu Che opened his eyes in amazement. How could he forget about this? Chu Che rubbed his chin in curiosity. So far, the park has 3 modes. The first was, of course, safe mode, which not only protected the walls and the building structures, but also kept the residents or those who paid to stay within the inn safe. This mode protected the structures, but had no problem with intruders stepping in. That's right, in this mode. The enemies could freely barge into Wenji town and stroll on the streets as they pleased, but they wouldn't be able to destroy or enter a single building, be a hut or a mansion, and the townsfolk that would remain safe, hence the word safe mode. The second mode was shield mode that wouldn't allow any enemy in and could also stop all attacks. In short, with this mode, residents could go about their day as they pleased without a care in the world, and no matter what attacks fell from the sky or flew at sky-high level towards them, it would all be blocked by the amazing force field. Lastly, his third mode was battle mode. Without a doubt, the enemy would perish or get brutally injured since he was sure that no one could be superior to the system. Thinking of his last battle outside the town gates, he could have just used battle mode to deal with them. Sigh. Blame it on him for being so forgetful. Chu Che listened and quickly understood something. System, with the random mission you've just given out, do you want to activate safe mode? Correct, host. You need to activate safe mode to ensure that no residential structures get destroyed when the enemies enter Wenji town. Then what about the townsfolk? How do I warn them about the trouble coming? Host, you don't need to worry about that. Once you click on any of the modes, several warning messages would echo out from the registration hall, reaching the ears of everyone within the town, no matter where they are. Each mode has different prearranged messages. The shield and battle modes will inform them about the threat, but tell them to go about their day, as they usually did. While the safe mode will ask them to stay within any of the nearby buildings, that be at a barn or even a mansion. Whatever building nearby is where they need to be. Okay, the system had indeed thought of everything. What more could he say? Old Fru beside Chu Che couldn't help signing up when he saw the random mission alert. He quickly clicked yes on his screen and instantly saw a blue interface pop up before him that it wasn't just him, as Nianzu and everyone else quickly joined in. Welcome, Tasker Old Fru. Welcome, Tasker the Greatest Elder. Welcome, Tasker the Powerful Taoist. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Old Fru blinked hard and stretched his hands forward in disbelief. This was incredible. He had seen these floating, transparent, bluish interfaces when spending time in the gaming hall visiting the other realms. But this was real life. Okay, his lips quivered in excitement as he tried to resist the urge to smile stupidly. Of course, those who had already taken missions in the mission hall weren't all surprised by this. No. What shocked them the most was that they could see a health bar above them. What was this operation? Looking at each other, they could also see bluish, transparent names above everyone else's heads. Some recognized some famous names and immediately went wild with glee. A wipe. Anti-Megura 24, is that really you? F. It's Sword Shiro 11. So that's who you are? Ah. I remember you, Amar. Doom, aren't you the one who commented about getting ripped in a shred by Senior Sonya Blade? As expected, Beauty Pin truly lives up to her name, that she's so pretty. Everyone saw the floating names above their heads and excitedly greeted each other happily. It was as if they had met their long-lost friends. Nianzu and Tsangai stood firm when they saw the worshipping gazes from everyone else. Look, it's the greatest elder and the powerful Taoist. What? Damn it. I can't believe I've been around them all this time. I heard that they were able to escape the prison of the damned in a matter of days and hold the record for the shortest time, or took to advance to the next level in the realm. Awesome, as expected of them. Guys, look, the random mission countdown is on. Time to go. Listening to everyone getting overly excited about who was who, Chu Che couldn't help shaking his head wryly. As expected, the online world was truly amazing. For the random mission, several brief notices came up after people clicked or inwardly said yes to accept the mission. Start off. Those who choose to select yes will automatically get a life-saving teleportation pass that will teleport them into the ground floor of the mission hall when their power level is below 60%. Again, apart from seeing their health bar on their floating interface, they would also be able to see the enemy's health bar floating above their heads. Maybe 5 to 10 people could team up to deal with some powerful enemies, working hard to finish them. Another thing to note was that they could get points from the enemies they defeated. That's right, they could get points that could get converted into Q, in short. These points would get added to their strength points. This was also an opportunity for those who were about to break through. For example, some had 199, 967/200, and were only shy of a few points. Of course, the number of points they could get depended on the strength of the enemy, as well as the struggle they faced against the enemy. Of course, point weren't the true reward for the random mission. This was just a bonus. The reward was that those who did join would get a free play pass, where they could play without paying for 6 hours. Again, there was also some hidden reward that no one knew. Of what could it be? Some people who just noticed the alert tried to join in, but failed at as of now. The window of opportunity to join in had already passed. The moment the alert popped up on everyone's screen, they were given 1 minute, 30 seconds to accept or refuse. The time limit had long passed, so only those who clicked or inwardly chanted the word yes could fight. Running towards the gaming hall were Bo Su, Little Lulu, Ru Moyin, and the rest. The moment the alert came up, they instantly accepted and decided to join in on the fun. What a joke! They had already missed the flying lady. So how could they still miss this? Impossible. Luckily, they hadn't chosen a mission in the mission hall yet, or else if they had teleported out already, wouldn't they be in tears with regret by now? Sure enough, when they were making their way towards the gaming hall, they heard a clear and steady voice echoing across the town. Warning. Warning. Safe mode activated. This is a message from the town lord. Enemy approaching. Wenji Town is in danger. All residences should stay inside. Town guards ensure that everyone is safely indoors. Taskers, please head towards the front of the town for battle. Warning. Warning. Safe mode activated. This is a message from the town lord. Enemy approaching. Blah, 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 blah. Listening to the voice, Bo Su and the rest quickly changed directions, dashing towards the town gate at the same time. The townsfolk, and even those who came in from the neighboring villages, all stopped what they were doing in shock. What was going on here? Their faces grew grim when they heard the clear voice. Enemy attack? Oh no. Will they be okay? Many quickly got up to run into the nearest building, just as the voice had said, and those who were far away, working on fields, were carried and escorted towards any of the buildings by the town guards. The mortal folks who were already mission takers in the mission hall quickly looked at their membership cards that alerted them to get to safety. From the membership cards, they understood that no matter what building it was during the battle, it would remain safe and sturdy. Could be a formation. Those who had entered the barns couldn't help looking at the wooden barns, wondering if the formation around it would truly be able to keep them safe. Well, no matter the case, they had no choice but to believe. After all, there was nowhere they could run to since the enemy was already here. But they couldn't help wondering who the enemy was. Could it be that they had offended someone without knowing it? Swish, swish, swish. Jiang Zhuang and his men hurried along the wide road, heading towards Wenji Town. Standing before the gates, Jiang Huang felt like his long-time dream was about to be fulfilled. Ha ha ha. Now, Wenji Town will finally be his. He and his men stepped into the town, but saw no guards around the gates. Boss, where is everyone? Yeah, could it be that Fairy Moo dealt with them all? One of the bandit elders caressed his chin playfully while looking around lazily. There are no signs of any battle taking place here. So my guess is that the guards here are headed towards the town lord's pace to have their precious master. They're still probably trying to defeat Fairy Moo. Listening to the leader, the bandits all sneered arrogantly. Oh, they still think they'll be able to deal with Fairy Moo? A bunch of fools. Everyone laughed merrily while advancing. But soon, they started seeing a storm of people rising towards them from ahead. But this didn't make them panic. Ha! Look! Fairy Moo has scared them so much that they're running away. Jiang Huang grinned broadly while taming a battle stance, seeing the frightened group running towards him. How could he let them go? Jiang Zhuang, who initially thought they were frightened, was utterly taken aback by the killing intent he received. No, something wasn't right. Jiang Zhuang's confident smile quickly cracked and froze when he observed the thundering crowd dashing towards their way. These people weren't frightened. They were charging in for war instead. Jiang Zhuang's eyes darted from left to right and right to left in disbelief. What was this setup? Weren't they supposed to be running away in fear of Fairy Emu and her goons? So what was all this? The bandit elders had also noticed the problem too. All four elders looked around vigilantly while being dumbfounded by the scene before them. Leader, these people are weird. Yes, I think they're charging toward us with the intention of fighting. But this doesn't make any sense. How could they have known of our arrival? Could it be that Fairy Emu said something while battling with them? No, I don't think so. Fairy Emu is someone from the Bloodhound Killer Organization. She's been trained to keep a tight lip on things. Even in battle. She wouldn't say who sent her or who she was working with. That's true. Then it can only mean that these approaching people only rushed towards us coincidentally when they were fleeing. They probably think we're here to block their way. That's why they're prepared to fight us for the chance to flee. Plus, with our famous Zhuang bandit outfits, they've probably already recognized us and are hostile towards us. Everyone nodded, thinking that it made absolute sense. Jiang Zhuang couldn't care less whether they were trying to flee or attack them to him. The outcome of the battle had long been decided. With old Fru and the brat out of the way, he was truly in a good mood. Bandits killed them all. With that, the bandits dashed toward the approaching cultivators like crazy. At the same time, the taskers who saw the health bar above the heads of their approaching enemies only felt overly excited, as if they had been infected with chicken soup. They knew they couldn't die, because when things would get bad, they would automatically get teleported away. What was there to be scared of? Many were too excited to fight people in real life that were strong. The pressure from such opponents would benefit them greatly, and they wanted to gauge how much they had improved over time. Haha! This was perfect. They dashed forward with silly smiles like mad people, which made the bandits helpless, who smiled when seeking death. This alone made them utterly speechless. Boom! The battle began. Ru Moyin, who was still within the beginning stages of the second Dan, quickly rushed to deal with a bandit who was in the fourth Dan of the Chu Che realm. Bam! 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 Rumble. The floor shook and cracked as Moyen quickly dodged his opponent's numerous attacks by inches. So strong. Seeing the damage the attacks caused, Moyen couldn't go sweating intensely. The pressure from his opponent was so much that it sent a spark of fear down his bones. But Moyen knew that if he gave in to this fear and lost his vigilance, he would get brutally hacked, and by then, it would be game over. Or in this case, he would get transported back to the mission hall. But how could he allow that to happen? Honestly, he was so shocked that he could even dodge the attacks, so FAR.IT looked like his battle experience in the gaming hall realms had really paid off. Because of his vigilance, as well as the minor signs given off by his opponent, it was somewhat easy for him to predict where the enemy would strike next. As expected, all the battles and surprise attacks by Majira and the other characters in the realms had taught him to be fully aware of his surroundings. Swish, swish, swish. The air whistled loudly as Moyen kept dodging the attacks. His opponent couldn't help opening his eyes in disbelief. What the hell was going on here? At the fourth dan, he could tell that Moyen was still in the second dan, the higher one's cultivation. The swifter his attacks, making those lower or weaker hardly see the attacks. T.O. Moyen, he should only be seeing flashes or after images that, who could tell him why this guy could still dodge his attacks? How is this even possible? Seeing the shocked look in his opponent's eyes, Moyen couldn't help sneering that in the gaming teams. All his opponents were always way stronger than he was since he could hardly see what they were doing. He learned how to predict and be in tune with his senses. What a joke. Did these people think that the training he did was all for nothing? Of course, even though Moyen was confident, it didn't mean he could take on people stronger than his current opponent. Even though he didn't know how strong his opponent was, he felt his opponent should have a similar strength to Bo Su, who was in the fourth dan. He should know because he had been sparring with Bo Su all this time, improving his sense of surroundings. Of course, if he would fight someone stronger than Bo Su, he felt like he would have no chance to dodge or predict any incoming assaults because they would be way too fast for someone like him in the second dan. Thanks to Bo Su and his training from the realms, he could at least dodge most attacks from those in the third and fourth dan that said dodging was easier than attacking, that he could dodge most of their assaults. But if he planned to engage them 9 out of 10 times, he was bound to miss his mark, that he mostly learned dodging to flee if he ever faced an opponent like Bo Su. But now, he knew that if he didn't attack, he wouldn't be able to get points from the mission. Alright, IT was time to give it his all. Seeing Moyen dodging his attacks, the opponent bandit couldn't help gritting his teeth unwillingly. I don't believe it. Why are you still unharmed? The bandit looked at Moyen from head to toe as if looking at a strange creature. He felt that his pride as a bandit had been crushed. Why, you little, damn it, I will not be played on by a kid of only 14 years old. If I can't even kill you, second dan weakling, I'll write my name backward and call you father. Crab spear hands. Instantly, the bandit raised his hands above his head, opening them up like a crab, before striking a pose with his legs. Swish. He moved like lightning, channeling his chi into his hands, transforming them into sharp knives, ready to take Moyen's life. That Moyen's eyes dilated in terror at the sheer amount of pressure he felt. But he knew that he had to act fast, or he would be out of the game. He had to use this time to strike, or he would never have another chance again. Remembering the flash image of his opponent, he quickly moved his body, hoping his decision was correct. Here goes nothing. Swish. Fire of Ares, Ares Fury. Boom. Under the shock of the bandit, the tip of Moyen's sword turned red, releasing a violent flame that was too hot to handle. What? The bandit quickly jumped away in shock before looking at his burned hand that hurt like hell. What sort of flames were these? They were so hot that he felt like they might actually turn him to ashes if this second dan youngster was too strong. Lying trough? What just happened? Degree 0 degree. Those who saw this scene were pricked with a sensation that shot through their spines. Some watched in horror, while others trembled and stood up in disbelief. Moyen, who had long ago chosen to live broadcast the battle, had completely stunned the barrage by his moves. I'll go. The Moyen Mysterio just used the flames of Ares. Ha ha ha. It's the flames of Ares. Damn, I'm so envious of him. I thought I was a genius by managing to make my sword heat up. But now that I know that there are people other than Boss Su who can produce some flames, I've decided to bury my head in a hole and beg for forgiveness for my blindness. Awesome. Dash increment dash. While the barrage grew crazy with glee, the nearby bandits who saw this scene were both dumbfounded and in horror. How was this even possible? This was too abnormal. How? This didn't make any sense. The bandit Moyen attack felt his heart tighten when he looked at part of his left arm that was already burnt black. This was bad. Even though the brat was in the second dan, that flame was way powerful. He guessed that the flame should be able to deal with a third dan cultivator in no time. And for him in the fourth dan, it would take a few more tries to finish him off with the flame. Thinking of him dying in the hands of some second dan weakling, the bandit felt very much unwilling for Moyen. He was so stunned when he saw the raging effect of the fire of Ares. He felt like he had only tapped into the early stages of imagine if he managed to tap into the rest of it. Of course, the strength of the fire was somewhat proportional to his own strength too. The stronger he got, the stronger the flame. Seeing the bandit's health bar go down from 100% to 94%, sure, it was a long way to go, but it was way better than him making a move without the flame. Without the flame, he might fight for long and only manage to damage his opponent from 100% to 98%. Imagine fighting until one was exhausted, only to realize that the enemy's strength had only been reduced by 1%. No, it wouldn't even be a fight. The bandit was way stronger than him by 2 dawn. So how can that be considered a battle? Forget about having the difference of 2 while dawn. Even a difference of 1 dan was too strong, and he was once again going too far. Currently, he was at the early stages of the second dan, still struggling to stabilize his core. So without a doubt, someone at the middle stage or late stage of the second dan would be stronger than him. That said, his opponent at the fourth dan should just massacre him, leaving him no chance to retaliate. If he didn't manifest the flame of Ares, his opponent would probably torture him and even kill him, only exhausting at most 1% of his strength. Sometimes, the enemy might not even exhaust their strength at all, treating him like a fly on a wall. But now, with the flame, Moyen had managed to injure his enemy at the early stages of their battle, decreasing his strength by 6%. This was too magical, all right? Moyen felt like he was still dreaming, of course. He didn't get full of himself because he knew his flames were not as strong or near to what Boss Chu could manifest. Compared to Boss Chu's flames, his were as faint as a flame hovering above a thin stick, matchstick. Moyen smirked confidently, which happened to be seen by the annoyed bandit. You little runt, don't think that because you've managed to scar me, you'll be able to take my life. You better stop dreaming, because I will be the one to take your life instead. Claw spear hands. Fire of Ares, Ares fury. Boom, boom, wish, ban, boom, boom, boom. The air was tense, and the pressure was high. Moyen's breathing became heavier and heavier the longer the fight went. Damn it, he had been struck once by the bandit, which made his health bar drop to 63%, while he, who had managed to land 2 more hits, had only managed to drop the bandit's strength to 83%. Once his bar went below 60%, he would automatically get taken out of the battlefield. He gritted his teeth and faced the pressure, trying his best to control his breathing and dodge the attack. But when he thought he had successfully predicted the bandit's move, he felt a dreadfully heavy attack coming his way. His face turned grim. Had he miscalculated? The bad smiled ruthlessly while transforming his leg to be as flexible as a serpent. Ha 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 ha, brat, you didn't see this coming, did you? Now, you'll know why people fear us, the Zhuang bandits. Now you die. Ha 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 ha. The bandit opened his eyes, revealing a very crazed appearance at the thought of killing off the brat. But what happened next left him in shock. When the attack was just inches away from the brat's face, the little imp suddenly smiled playfully. Swish, plop, the brat had vanished. Whoosh, the bandit's attack whistled strongly in the air, leaving him dumbfounded. The bandit looked around vigilantly, jumping like a toad in circles. Where was he? Where was the little runt? The bandit turned around, severely, thinking the best would launch a sneak attack at him. But nothing seemed to be coming forth. Could it be that the brat used an escape talisman? He was so close. Ah! The bandit exclaimed in an attempt to release his pent-up frustration. He almost puked and fainted from pure rage when he thought the brat who burned his hand and even his waist had escaped just like that. He wanted revenge, goddammit. Brat, pray that I never catch you, because when I do, I'll stew your liver and feed it to the fishes. The bandit cursed Ru Moyen numerous times in his mind. But before he could even take a breather, 3 other youngsters rushed towards him with strange looks in their eyes that made him speechless. They looked at him as if they were looking at a chicken they were about to catch for dinner. And what was up with the strange words they kept yelling out? Ha 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 ha. His H.P is at 83%. With 3 of us attacking him all at once, we are bound to get high points. Yes, yes, yes. After fighting for so long, his H.O has only dropped to 83%, showing how strong he is. I like strong opponents like him. The stronger he is, the more pressure we'll face, leading to more points. Mr. Bandit, don't be afraid to come at us with everything you've got. We like being beaten up. Give us your best moves. Mr. Bandit, are you listening? Mr. Bandit. Straight face. The bandit almost stumbled. Why were people in this town so strange? They started feeling uncomfortable already. Who gets pleasure from recording beatings? Could it be that he had signed up for something else instead? Looking at the eager faces of the trio, the bandit only wanted to shed tears in silence. For the first time, he didn't feel like beating people to death. Mr. Bandit. Mr. Bandit. Mr. Bandit. Why? Boom, boom, boom. The battleground remained heated as all taskers flew in without any fear whatsoever. Their actions were so crazy that even the enemy started to get weirded out by it. All point one of the bandit elders thinned his lips uncomfortably after his opponent had disappeared before him. He looked towards another elder and smiled bitterly. Do you know the situation here? The other person was in a daze as well. I have no clue, but I think by now, it's safe to say that these people are mad. They aren't right in the head anymore. It's almost like they're begging to be killed instead. This isn't normal. The first elder couldn't help nodding in agreement. Something was up with these people. Not only were they actively seeking death, but they also liked disappearing in the heat of the battle. There were too many strange things going on that they didn't think the battle was worth fighting anymore. But then again, the only thing that confused them was the matter with Fairy Imu. Where the hell is that woman? Is she occupied with people who are also actively seeking death? Maybe it's very likely. But wait, if she did succeed as we thought, then who is that? A few bandit elders squinted their eyes and looked right ahead, only to notice old Fru fighting vigorously. Impossible. Their chins dropped in shock and disbelief. That wasn't he supposed to be dead by now? If he was still alive, then the brat should also be alive. Then what signal did they see earlier that made them rush towards Wenji Town? Their faces turned grim in horror. This was bad. Jiang Zhuang had also spotted old Fru fighting ahead and stood rooted to the ground in astonishment. He quickly pushed away the town guard tasker he was fighting and stared at old Fru instantly, feeling a deep sense of crisis build within him. How? How was it possible that he could no longer see old Fru's cultivation base? Black hair, straight back, fewer wrinkles on his face. The son of the BCH had broken through. Jiang Zhuang felt like someone had pure ice water on him. They used to both be at the 10th dan, and in truth, old Fru should have had no hope of breaking through. Jiang Zhuang shook his head unwillingly. He had calculated everything and knew that in a few more years, old Fru's life should be over. That meant that within this transition stage of him nearing his end, old Fru's vitality would be greatly weakened, making him easier to kill. What was all this? His eyes darted chaotically after seeing old Fru. She lost, but how? How could Fairy Mu lose? Who the hell defeated her? Who was the one who helped old Fru break through? Damn it. There was no doubt about it. Some mysterious senior was here. Jiang Zhuang's body trembled in horror. Retreat, retreat. All bandits leave now. The bandits who heard the command started falling back like crazy. They weren't fools. They had long realized that something was way off with this battle. And for so long, how come Fairy Mu didn't come? There were so many signs that told them that these weird people were in control of the entire situation, yet they chose not to believe that someone in here was able to deal with Fairy Mu. Noticing the situation and recording their orders, the bandits dashed towards the town gates crazily in an attempt to flee. But how could it be that easy? Mr. Bandit, where are you going? I haven't even gotten enough points yet. So don't even think about it. The bandits felt like crying when these people didn't let them go. Damn you. Crazy people. Get out of the way or I'll blow your head off. Perfect. That's good, Mr. Bandit. That's what we want. Blow it. Blow it off now. Crying face. Perfect. That's good, Mr. Bandit. That's what we want. Blow it. Blow it off now. Crying face. F. The bandits picked their legs and dashed out as fast as they could while trying to fight back. Who could tell them what sort of crazy people had they encountered? What was all this? Retreat. 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 Jiang Zhuang thinned his lips unwillingly while trying his best to flee as fast as he could. Even the other bandits had pale faces when seeing the scene before them. They, too, were also terrified by the strange techniques and skills used by these people. Everyone was dashing out as fast as they could, but how could it be that easy? Out of nowhere on this sunny day, two small black clouds formed above. And what happened next shocked the bandits and everyone else silly. DRRRRA. Lightning struck down from above, making the bandits step back in utter fear. F. What did they just see? Degree 0 degree. Monsters. 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 Nianzhu and Songhai, whose feet now had streaks of lightning dancing around them, felt utterly energized when the bolts of lightning struck their feet. They opened their eyes and grinned, making those in the barrage scream like idols, while the bandits only felt utter fear. The duo looked at themselves as if competing with each other. Lightning steps. Zoom. They dashed forward in a zigzag manner, getting as many kills as possible. Thunder of justice. Krah. What? The bandits had no time to react. They died with their eyes wide open in shock and alarm. No one could see anyone or anything. Even the other taskers couldn't see anything. All they saw were fast streaks and flashes of light that passed through the bandits in a blink of an eye, creating reddish lines, and wherever these flashes passed, death would follow. Plop, 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 plop. Like flies, they all fell in disbelief and terror. Their hearts hammered in their chests unwillingly, and before they knew it, they were dead. Even though the baskets couldn't see things clearly, that didn't mean those in the barrage couldn't. The duo were also live streaming too, and even with their crazy speed, the card could still keep up with them, recording every little thing they did. Seeing things clearly, the barrage was going crazy yet again. Some stop up in shock, feeling like rushing over to the duo in worship. F. Weren't those Lord Raiden's lightning kill step? This was awesome. Many in the barrage almost licked their cards and dropped to their knees in awe. Chu Che also looked at the scene and couldn't help nodding in appreciation. Because of their high cultivation level and strength, it looked like Nianzhu and Songhai had perfected the attack. But that was far from the truth, as so far, they had only gotten a glimpse of the real attack. If Chu Che were to perform it, he would be able to kill off all enemies by just standing in one place and sending streaks of lightning through the floor to all enemies. Plop, 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 plop. The bandits fell one and one, horrifying the bandit elders who glanced over their shoulders. I knew it. I knew we shouldn't have hired Fairy Mu. All her boastful arrogance turned out to be all for nothing. Damn it, didn't the Bloodhound Killer organization agree to send us one of their bests? So why would they send us trash like her? F. We paid all that for nothing. No, I don't think Fairy Mu is the problem here. Take a look at how weird this town is. I'm sure that the seniors residing here must be way stronger than Fairy Mu and her goons. Maybe the senior killed her already. Or Maybe what we saw earlier wasn't a signal from her, but a shadow of her fleeing the scene instead. Those bloody villains, is it that they looked down on us too much that they didn't even bother alerting us? If we had been warned, do you think we would rush in to get slaughtered? How are we supposed to fight gods who command lightning? We don't have much time, but it's clear that they want us dead, we have to flee fast. Quick, get your escape talismans out, or we'll all die here. Now. Whoosh. Without a moment to lose, they all got out their escape talismans and rolled it up, which automatically activated it, causing the rune writings to glow blue. Krah. Jiang Juang had a grim expression when he suddenly felt a massive wave of murderous pressure surround him. Fortunately, he had activated the talisman and disappeared just before Nianzu was about to make his move. Plop. Jiang Juang, who found himself within the Great Hall in the bandit fortress, alongside a few other elders, realized that he had been hit or rather shocked with something before he escaped. Judging from the burns on his legs and his tattered pants, he knew that if he'd stayed a little more, he would have undoubtedly died. Pluff. Leader. A few bandits who stayed in the fortress rushed towards him when they saw Jiang Juang spitting a mouthful of reddish-black blood. Jiang Juang's eyes rolled as he spat vigorously. Damn it, he had gotten an internal injury. The other elders were also facing the same predicaments too. Seeing how powerful the attacks they received were, their faces turned deadly pale at the skillfulness of the mysterious senior. Looking at themselves, they realized that 3 other elders didn't make it back, meaning they were probably dead. Gather everyone for an emergency meeting. But leader, your injuries. Jiang Juang quickly grabbed the main bandit butler by his collar hastily. I said to gather them now. Yes, leader. With that, the butler scooted away without a moment to lose. Seeing the leaders' and elders' injuries, he guessed that it might have something to do with Wenji Town. Who was responsible for dishing out such ghastly attacks? Jiang Juang and the elders who were supported quickly thought things through in their minds. They decided that without help from a sect or any other major powerful forces, they would be dare get close to Wenji Town anymore. Assassins or those from killer organizations wouldn't be able to do this job. They needed people who were supreme here in the lower realm. For now, Wenji Town would remain under the ownership of the brat. Damn it, they lost. Jiang Juang and the rest were just about to have their urgent meeting when they suddenly saw a figure that made them fuming. You still have the guts to show your face here. You still have the guys to show your face here. PFFF. Jiang Juang and the other elders exploded and even spat out blood when they saw Fairy move before them. This BCH, as they guessed, the so-called signal they saw earlier was her escaping and leaving them behind. So she didn't even bother alerting them about the dangers here and headed back to the fortress instead. Even though they were far weaker compared to her, that still didn't mean they would take it kindly when someone disregards their life and death. Technically, she was only paid to take care of old Fru, Chu Che, and a few other she had no obligation to alert them about anything. But you see, all this would have been okay if she had actually done her job. Boss Chu and the brat were still alive, so what right did she have to leave them behind? They were fuming mad. However, little did they know that Fairy Emu and her goons were also fuming mad too. They stared coldly at the bastards before them, wanting nothing more than to rip them to pieces. Who was it that said that old Fru was the strongest existence in Wenji Town? Because of all the information they also heard about Wenji Town when coming here, they readily believed Jiang Juang's info. After all, since he wanted old Fru and the rest dead, he wouldn't try to hide their strength or lie, right? Again, the greedy merchants that frequently did business with those from Wenji Town hurriedly told all they knew about the Ace-2 Fairy Emu, who arrived, was more engrossed with absorbing evil chi from the cursed demonic finger that Jiang Juang gave her. But who would have known that even after increasing her strength to a certain degree, she would still be beaten and stripped by some shameless puppets? Damn it. If she didn't have spare clothes in her storage ring, wouldn't she make her way back to the fortress naked? This was the most embarrassing day of her life. So how could she not be pissed off at these vagabonds? If they didn't give her a sense of belief that old Fru was the strongest existence, would she have ended up getting stripped like so? This was truly a rare case because from all her startup missions when she just joined the organization, most, if not all, desolate towns and villages rarely had any influential figures staying in them. And even if they did, most hermits weren't concerned with the mandate problems in the world. They usually stayed in isolation and cultivated nonstop until they ascended that why were some hermits here actively making their moves? This was all out of the ordinary. Typically, a mission like this should be successful whether they did their background research or not. She was at the second dan of the spirit realm. That was the spirit realm. So who here would be stronger than her? Common sense says that places like these would even struggle to have people past the ninth dan of the true chi realm. What was all this? If Jiang Juang knew that there was someone in the spirit realm here, he would never make any money or even invite people from her organizations to do anything. Yes. She assumed that the creator of those puppets should be spirit realm cultivators higher and stronger than herself, since their puppets were also ridiculously strong too, in all her 514 years of existence. She had never been so utterly humiliated and wronged in her entire life. Damn it. Looking at Jiang Juang, she so badly wanted to use her famous Tyndall Wind Cloud skill to suck the bastard's vitality dry. But she knew that she couldn't make a move toward any of the clients, especially those who constantly paid assassin protection fees, which basically meant that no one from their organization could kill the client. Another organization might make a move on the client, but not her organization, and Jiang Juang paid that yearly. That's also one of the reasons why he stayed alive for so long. Jiang Juang had a lot of enemies, so he didn't mind paying a certain amount to keep him alive. For a moment, Imu was tempted to back a move and damn the consequences, but she dared not try because she too would get hunted to the ends of the lower realm. Now, what was important was that she reported the matter to her organization. As for the humiliation she received, Imu swore that she would one day get her revenge. Just like that, Imu and the Zhuang bandits were left in a terrible dilemma. While Wenji Town, on the other hand, was cheering hard in celebration of their first victory to To Sum, this was their first battle ever. While the others, even though it wasn't their first, it had truly been a long time since anything happened in the town to this victory also made them proud and excited too. Are you Mo Yin and a few other newbies who participated in the battle couldn't help cheering up and feeling overly pumped up. Ha ha ha. We did it. We protected Wenji Town. Awesome. I didn't know I was this powerful. Hell, what powerful? You got transported back 5 breaths when the battle began. But at least I made him sweat. In 5 breaths. Everyone was still fully immersed in their job when suddenly a message echoed across the town. Safe mode deactivated. Townsfolk can resume their regular lives again. All takers stand by to receive your rewards in 5, 4, 3, ding. Rewards received. Degree 0 degree. Safe mode deactivated. Townsfolk can resume their regular lives again. All takers stand by to receive your rewards in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ding. Rewards received. Instantly, every tasker was immersed in an orange-yellowish light that looked like heat flames. Subconsciously, they then closed their eyes as if welcoming this strange phenomenon. No one knew what was going on, but they could tell that it was indeed a good thing. Power, power, power. It's an overflow wave of pure chi flowed into their bodies, causing them to tremble slightly. If watching a movie, the images of their battle instantly replayed in their minds. And when their last battle image flashed by, the strange light disappeared completely. Everyone opened their eyes and stood in a daze, frozen in time. Silence. This? What? How? They were made utterly speechless at what had just transpired. Only the chi that circulated them alone made them get goosebumps all over. That sort of chi was too your to belong to the lower realm, all right? Ha 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 ha. No one knew who started laughing, but everyone joined in celebration too. Ha ha ha. Like fools, some dropped to their knees and screamed at the top of their voices, while others jumped high up in the air, performing different stunts. Some remained standing while trembling from the wave of energy they felt within them. I broke through. I'm now at the second dan of the true chi realm. Ha! Oh, this is the happiest day of my life. Mr. Bandits, come back. Please come back anytime. Our doors will always be open to you. Damn it. If I knew it, I would have been more careful and lasted longer before getting transported out. Do you know when more enemies will come here? How can we convince them to attack again? It was at this moment that Chu Che realized that he was living with idiots. System, are you sure that this is okay? Host, that of course it is. Isn't it better than them and many other townsfolk dying in the hands of the bandits? Chu Che thinned his lips helplessly. Even if he agreed, the scene still looked strange, all right? Regardless of what he thought, everyone else, whether they had been teleported away or managed to stay so long on the battlefield, all had broad smiles on their faces when they looked at their rewards. Firstly, they got more points than converted into chi, which made some breakthrough instantly. Some are now at the second dan, third, fourth, and so on. While others just got stronger within the same dan nonetheless, they found that the rewards varied, depending on how many points they racked up. Some got points equivalent to the number of points they typically got after 2 days in the gaming hall, which shocked them. Of course, they knew. They only got higher things because of Boss Chu. They weren't fools that if they fought other enemies now, they would never be able to level up and have this many points. It can be seen that the points were probably generated and given by Boss Chu. After all, they had personally seen him create the mission hall and had also gotten rewards for missions 2.so. They could only say that all this came from him. But this was also a shocking thing. Who could just dish out more chi or give out rewards just like that? What level of power is Boss Chu really at? Maybe he belonged to the realm above the knowledge of they who was born in the lower realm, because they only knew of the lower, ordinary, and upper realms, but legend says that there are way more realms than these 3.so. Could it be that Boss Chu was actually from another realm? After thinking about it, many felt that it was impossible. After all, many in the town knew of Chu Che, with some who even saw him when he was born.so. They were sure that he belonged here. That meant that his master must have been a legendary being to be able to produce such a student. They had also heard that his mother, father, and late grandfather were all very gifted people too. He was no doubt a genius. Yes, all these things added up in this way. But why did they feel like there was more to it than what meets the eyes? Who, or rather, what mysterious identity does Boss Chu have behind closed doors? This was the real mystery. Everyone felt highly pleased with the points they had from the battle. Again, they also got a 6-hour free pass for successfully killing or pushing the enemy away, keeping Wenji Town safe. Well, it looked like this was all for the rewards, but that's where many would be wrong. Some also look at their cards and realize that they got an additional reward too. Hidden mission reward? Was there a hidden mission that they weren't aware of? Nianzu, Songhai, and many others tapped the message that popped up on their cards and were shocked by. The message that popped out? Congratulations, Tasker the Greatest Elder, for completing the hidden mission. Hidden mission. Successfully use any of the skills learned in the gaming hall to injure or destroy the enemy. Tasker used Lord Raiden's Lightning Steps and Thunder of Justice during battle. Kill count using the attacks. 32 injure count. 6 rewards. 7 vouchers for free popcorn or free energy drink. Underscore? Popcorn? Energy drink? What's that? With the battle over, Chu Che quickly finished up his mission tasks so that he could move on to One Piece. That's right. Last night, he got the system's notification saying a total of 300 people have chosen or started doing missions. The requirement for his primary mission was to get 80 people to take up tasks. But it seems the live broadcasting he did 2 days ago had stimulated several people to also take their families for registration. After all, the bags of money would make their living standards easier. And so, with one of his primary mission requirements done, he decided to grow the remaining building needed. The last building he had to erect was a viewing and simulator hall. Before he could complete his mission, he had pushed this one to the last minute, because even if it were created earlier on, no one would use it since he had to get at least 80 people to take up tasks for his main mission to get completed. Today, he had planned to get all this up after spending his required time in the gaming hall. But who would have known that his plans would get disrupted by the Flying Lady and her goons of street performers? Worse, there was also a battle too. One shouldn't forget that he was still the young town Lord S.O. after the battle, apart from reassuring the townsfolk that went into hiding. He also had to talk to Old Fru about countermeasures, whether they should head towards the bandit fortress and stack or not. For now, they decided not to do anything yet, since they didn't know if other powerful forces were there. So, but they only send top spies to stay around and monitor for a while. Chu Che decided to send his hidden shadows to do the job. Of course, they would also be wearing the presence-canceling artifacts that his mother left before she got taken away. But it was important that the spies didn't go into the fortress. It's unfortunate, but apart from Old Fru and Chu Che, these 9th Dan Hidden Shadow Guard were the strongest among Chu Che's forces. Even if their presence wasn't noticed. Those with way higher cultivation levels would get a certain instinct and feeling within them, promoting them to start searching. It was the case when those old cult people tried leaving Wenji Town. Even though they couldn't see anything after their search, they still felt uneasy about it. Someone with way more experience, like that Flying Lady, would trust her instincts rather than trust what she could or could not see. And when that happens, they might get discovered. That's why he only told them to watch the bandit movement from a safe distance. Of course, after a while, they'll head back to Wenji Town. Sigh. All this had really eaten up his time. At least now, he could finally erect the viewing and simulator hall. Thinking about it more, Chu Che didn't want this new hall to be too far away from the gaming hall. At the same time, he also wanted it to be close to the mission hall. He and Old Fru searched for a while before arriving at an empty plot space on the way. And once again, he grew the viewing and simulator hall from the ground like flowers. Rumble, the 2-story moderate-sized glass building, stood firm for all to see. And instantly, an alert came up on everyone's screen yet again. Viewing and simulator hall? TSK. It looks like today was a day filled with too many surprises, from the battle rewards to now this. How could they not get excited? On their maps, the location popped up as an image of the building floated on it. Again, they opened the building tab on their cards and read about it. The rules and time of operation were very similar to that of the gaming hall. The only thing was that a person could only use the viewing section of the hall for at most one new session, meaning they can only watch one new movie/episode a day. Anything they had already watched could be repeated and watched as many times as they wanted, but they could only watch one new thing a day. AS for the simulator part. They could at most spend 6 hours a day, alright? Many things intrigued them about it, but they would just have to wait until tomorrow. Ding, congratulations, my darling host, on completing your main mission. Plop, the system popped onto his shoulder, shocking him silly. Who are you? Chu Che looked at the female avatar in confusion, but soon it changed back to the male avatar he was used to. Host, this system doesn't have what you all call gendered. IT can be anything depending on the host preference. IT can even be a cat if the host likes. Chu Che thinned his lips thoughtfully before shaming his head in refusal. Note, I'm already used to our current avatar. If you change to a tiger, elephant, or even a girl, I'll always feel as if you're wearing some mask. Noted, my darling host. The system said after changing back to his original avatar, while wearing blue beach shorts, a flowery shirt, and a lovely sun hat with grass slippers. Was he trying to go to the beach? Forget it. Chu Che looked at his rewards and smiled broadly. He had been awarded popcorn and an energy drink with a weird name called Cleanser. He had also been awarded the first 40 episodes of One Piece. And finally, he was given a new pavilion, which will have cultivation manuals, mangas, on the first 40 episodes of One Piece, as well as cultivation manuals on Majira and Kratos moves within the prison of the damned. Damn, this was good. Chu Che beamed with joy after getting his rewards. Now he had to focus on where to put the pavilion, and he would be good to go, seeing the empty space beside the viewing and simulator hall. Chu Che acted swiftly. System, I want to place the pavilion here. Ding. Request denied. Host, please look for a bigger space. Chu Che rubbed his chin thoughtfully, as expected. He was turned down by the system. IT would have been great if he could place it next to the viewing and simulator hall. But now it seemed impossible. Of course, when one hears the word pavilion, one thinks of this giant, glorious structure similar to the mission hall. So it only made sense that the space would be too small. Well, he was just trying his luck. Just like that, Chu Che returned to the large, empty plots of land next to the mission hall. This region should work. He didn't want the building to be rubbing shoulders with the mission hall. So he spaced them out so that the majesty and beauty of each building could be well admired. System, I want it here. Ding, space accepted. Rumble, the ground shook yet again, making those who were watching the scene near the mission gall tremble as their legs wobbled considerably. But what was going on here? Of course, their confusion didn't last long, because in the next second, they saw a large building sprout out of the ground like a flower. Degree 0 degree this. Could this be the legendary story they all heard about? Many had heard how Boss Chu liked to pop out buildings from the ground. So they had heard of this before and only held satisfaction and appreciation for Chu Che's skills. But now, seeing it firsthand was a whole new matter that left them in awe. Ding. Many far away once again got a message for the emergence of the pavilion. Wait, 2 new buildings in one day. What the hell was going on here? Now, everyone clicked the building tab, wanted to know what the building was about. Of course, the word Park Pavilion explained it all. But what they were curious about was what manuals or secrets were stored within this pavilion. All right. Now, they wanted tomorrow to come fast. Chu Che looked at the building before him and was pleasantly surprised the building structure looked like an hourglass. The structure shone brightly and looked like 2 diamond-looking pyramids joined together by their tips. And the cool thing about it was that only the lower part of the hourglass building was stationary. The upper part seemed to be rotating instead. How fascinating. Chu Che was very intrigued by the building's design. Again on the building were the words Park Pavilion. And of course, the rules for the building were there too. The hours of operation were similar to that of the gaming hall. But now, they were charged per book taken out. All right, that was it for his rewards. Tomorrow, Wenji Town will be immersed in yet another wave of current AS for the popcorn and cleanser energy drink. They'll now be sold in all park buildings. There are vending machines all across the place to cater to this. But the trick is that everyone can only eat these things once a day. So they had to choose wisely whether they wanted to eat it when watching a movie, when playing games, or when doing anything else, of course. There's also a new rule in all buildings that anyone who recommends anyone else to try any new activity will get a voucher for free food or drink. Point 2 recommendations get additional food or drinks from what their daily minimum is. Chu Che finished going through everything and was thoroughly satisfied. With these out of the way, it was time for him to see what new missions the system had assigned to him. Main mission, get 500 people to watch at least 1 episode of One Piece. Sell 400 manuals from the Park Pavilion. And get 100 people to spend time in the simulator rooms. Mission rewards, Dark Souls RPG game. 50 more computers and virtual reality headsets, and 30 more cinema seats. The Avengers, the movie, comics, Cultivation manuals on Dark Souls and Avenger characters. Mission deadline, none. Mission punishment, none. Chu Che blinked in glee. Ha ha. So soon he would be able to see the Incredible Hulk smash Loki yet again? Wonderful, but first he had to complete his new missions. Tomorrow he planned to watch One Piece with a few others. So why not invite them? After the battle, Bosu, Rumoyan, Little Lulu, and a few others had left the mission they picked up in the mission hall. He kept them out, deciding to invite Old Fru, Ninzu, and Songai to the movies with him. Blup. The moment the trio saw their names tagged in some comment, they quickly read through it before jumping up excitedly. The greatest elder, haha. Boss Chu, say no more that I'll be there first thing tomorrow morning. The powerful Taoist, how can I reject Boss Chu's request? I want to know what this new hall offers. Old Fru, young master, and no need to ask. I will always accompany you. The trio readily accepted the request, which made Chu Che happy. After all, it would be fun to watch it with everyone. Unbeknownst to him, his request had sparked a great wave of intrigue and curiously online. What? Boss Chu is personally going to watch some strange thing. I have to be there too. That's right. If Boss Chu is there, then I have to go in as well. First thing in the morning, I'll be there in that new hall. If Boss Chu is there, then it means that it's something good. And so just like that, many have become increasingly aware of these strange new halls. Tomorrow, they'll definitely feed their eyes to the fullest.
And that's the end of today's chapter from the Dimensional Diary. If you enjoyed wandering these worlds with me, don't forget to like the video, share it with fellow adventurers, and subscribe so you never miss the next story that unfolds.